Hello guys, and welcome back to the Triple Crown Wargaming Studio for another deep dive with me, Scott the Duke McHugh, and I'm joined by both of my colleagues, Max the Chieftain Hurley.
What up?
And James the Lawmaster Lamin.
How you doing, everyone?
Now, for those who don't know, maybe haven't seen a deep dive before, the deep dives are a series of videos dedicated to the competitive analysis of every army book and supplement in Warhammer Fantasy 8th edition. Now, in this video specifically, we're going to be breaking down the Dark Elf army book, which Max has helpfully got next to him.
Ta-da! These guys. These horrendous guys.
Now, in this video, we're going to look at the army special rules, their specific lore of magic, their magic items, mundane equipment, and analyse each unit and special character choice with our dedicated competitive rating system. If you're looking for the ultimate guide to building a competitive Dark Elf army, you've come to the right place. So let's get started. The video today is going to be broken down into 5 distinct sections. Firstly, we're going to outline how the rating system works for anyone who's not seen a deep dive before. Then we're going to go through the army-wide special rules. Then we'll go through the special characters and the unit ratings, followed by the analysis of the army-specific items and magic lore. Then finally, we're going to discuss some sample competitive army lists, both in a non-comped environment and within the framework of the Triple Crown comp system. So without further ado, let's get cracking. So, like I said, for those of you who haven't maybe seen a deep dive before or want a better understanding of how that rating system works, this is the first bit of today's video. We're just going to give you a brief sort of explanation of how it works.
You can skip, it's there underneath.
I was going to say, for those of you who have seen it before, you go grab a drink or, skip it, whatever floats your boat.
I stole Scott's thunder there.
You did, thanks mate, cheers. But essentially, we divide every unit in the army book into its battlefield role. Now, this creates a system that accurately represents how competitive a unit is at its job. So just because it won't kill 50 models in a game, or a turn if you're a witch elf, doesn't mean that it's not competitive.
In this video, it will.
Yeah.
And
those battlefield roles are as follows. We've got battle line units, the regiments that form the fighting line of an army. Flanking units, the shock units that you use for hitting enemies in the flanks in support of those battle line units. Ranged units, the units that offer you a dedicated shooting threat. Chaff units, which are units you use for hitting lone targets like war machines and sacrificing for battlefield advantage. Support units, which are those sort of uniquely Warhammer units that offer buffs or damage unlike anything else. And then finally characters, which is what it says on the tin. Now there are 15 different criteria for scoring. However, each of the battlefield roles are scored on the 6 criteria which are the most relevant for that role. And we will outline which criteria are used for each battlefield role, and the full details of how each criteria is broken down can be found on the ratings page of triplecrownwargaming.com. The link is below this video as well, so you can get a quick link to it there too. It's pretty in-depth stuff, but it is well worth checking out to better understand where all these numbers that we're going to be talking about, where they come from. So each criteria is worth up to 4 points, giving a total out of 24 for each unit in the book. The higher the number, the more competitive it is at its job. Now the criteria for each battlefield role are... Big breath in. Battle line units are scored on strength of attacks, number of attacks, special rules, command options, survivability and cost. Flanking units are scored on strength of attacks, number of attacks, special rules, manoeuvrability, survivability and cost. Ranged units are scored on their threat range, the strength of their shots, their accuracy, their versatility, survivability, and their cost. Chaff units scored on manoeuvrability, number of attacks, special rules, the slot they come from, and again, their survivability and their cost. Support units are scored on manoeuvrability, special rules, synergy, risk, survivability, and cost. And finally, characters are scored on output, special rules, synergy, risk, and survivability and cost. Now, a handy tip in general is if a unit scores more than sort of 18, it's a pretty strong choice. But with that done, we're going to move into the Dark Elf special rules. So now that the formalities are out of the way, let's deep dive. In the Dark Elf Army special rules section, you're going to find 3 special rules, as well as an additional special rule which all of the elf units in the book have, and that's the one that we're going to start with first, which is Always Strikes First. It's hands down one of the best special rules in Warhammer. For anyone who hasn't been on the receiving end of it before, How have you never played an elf?
You've never played an elf army.
Played an elf, yeah.
But essentially, it allows you to go first in combat, as the name would suggest. And if you have an equal or higher initiative than your opponent, you can also reroll to hit in that combat.
It's a very rare circumstance using an elf does not reroll to hit.
Yeah, against like sort of vampires, chaos lords, demons, like demon
Generally
princes.
just characters.
Characters.
Yeah,
So some
there's
units.
very few units.
There
that have
are
high
a few
initiative.
a few units out there that do have the higher enough
I
initiative.
Very few.
I would go as far as to say it's more likely that you'll not reroll because you're fighting someone
Another
else
elf.
Yeah.
with always strikes first than because you haven't got equal to a greater
Yeah.
initiative. Because what has better than initiative 5? That's what you got to ask
Yeah,
yourself.
what unit?
That doesn't also have always strikes first. Even like Slanesh demons.
They don't have always strikes first to begin with.
No, what I'm saying is
Oh,
they don't have the
they don't
higher
have
initiative.
Oh, they don't higher initiative.
No.
No.
And they're really fast. The best you could do is something like the old fiend to knock their initiative down by a point,
Yeah.
and then the demonettes
Or-
would be higher.
Buff your initiative with like Hand of Glory. Is that initiative?
If you're a lizard man, yeah.
Yeah.
But you can't get above initiative 5 with, isn't it?
No.
Can with the Bastille.
If you're a temple guard.
Yeah, 'cause it ups it by one, and
If
then
you're
you
a
up it by
temple
3 with
guard,
Hand of Glory.
there's one unit I know that's not an elf that doesn't have access to high magic. There's one unit I know of that can do it, and that is chosen.
Yeah.
Because they can
You
they
get the
can
+1 initiative.
plus 1 initiative. They
buff.
got to initiative 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you only get the reroll with like half the units.
Yeah,
Not
just not all of them. Oh no.
and you know what? Fortunately, the ones you're going to take,
Kill
spoilers,
chosen.
they're the ones that are initiative 6.
Yeah, they are.
In short, as you can probably have told from our waxing lyrical, this is what we call a very consistent special rule.
It's gold standard.
Yeah, in that there is no time that it's not a benefit to you.
No.
Because even if it doesn't give you rerolls, it probably stops your opponent getting rerolls.
Yeah. You always get to attack.
Yeah.
That's the thing,
Yeah.
the part I think that people miss, is even if you're not re-rolling, even if your opponent's got always strikes first, you all then, initiative plays no part at that
Yeah.
point, you all get to make your attacks.
Yep.
So units with this rule basically always get to attack, unless there's something that takes the rule off of them.
Yeah.
You're gonna get a chance to take your enemy down with you.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's the worst case scenario, is that you always get to stab them in the face when you die. Like, hey, really? Okay. Very good.
Yeah, and the fact that all the elf units in this army have it cannot be stressed enough. As the Dark Elves are, or certainly can be, a highly combat orientated sort of list. And this is just another cherry on the cake.
Yeah, I think they're the most combat oriented out of the 3 of them. I'd argue.
Yeah, I would probably... I think they're the most
No.
aggressive of the 3 of them.
I think they're the most aggressive. I think
Mm.
High Elves are more combat orientated. I think magic combat is their jam. I think
Yeah,
Dark
'cause
Elves are really good shooting.
Yeah, I was saying because high elves really aren't that great at shooting. Even though
They're alright.
Mm.
They're just not great. They're just not Wood Elves, and they're probably not. They don't have the volume of shots Dark Elf armies can
No.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But that's just ridiculous.
Yes. And Always Strikes First is going to play a big part in boosting the ratings of the elf unit's special rule scores that we'll see later.
Absolutely.
But next up, and on to the first Dark Elf specific special rule, is really the quintessential Dark Elf rule, which is
That only
murderous
existed
prowess.
in this book.
Yeah, but it's you think of Dark Elves, you think, oh, they roll ones to win.
You might do.
It's murderous prowess, and as I just said, it allows the model to reroll ones to wound in combat. Obviously, really strong, and when combined with Always Strikes First, so you know you're at least going to attack, you're probably going to reroll as well. It makes those combat elf units even deadlier.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's effectively free. It never feels like you've paid any points
Oh,
for it.
no.
Absolutely not.
And it's
Never.
always going to be there. You can't. You can't get rid of through spells or anything like that. You can't
No.
get like ASF. You can't get rid of this.
No, you
No.
can't stop it. It's consistent. It's good. It's a strong rule. Look, I mean,
Yeah.
the only thing that lets units down is not having a lot of attacks or not having a lot of strength. with
Mm.
this
Yeah.
rule. That's it. Because otherwise, and even then, as you've said before yourself, you know, you're still re-rolling that one though, aren't you? You're still
Yeah.
getting another bite of the cherry.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't fault it. It's
And there aren't many units that have few attacks and are only strength 3. They normally, if they are strength in the Dark Elf book at least, if they are strength 3, they've probably got 2 or 3 attacks.
It's 2
which
units.
then really helps get that benefit from the reroll ones. And if they have only got 1 attack, they're probably a higher strength if you're seeing them in competitive play.
yeah. And the thing I would note on this rule is that when we've looked at High Elves and Wood Elves, which I'm sure, you know, lots of you that are into Dark Elves will have
Into your elves,
looked
yeah.
at both. The High Elves get martial prowess, they fight in an additional rank.
Mm-hmm.
The Wood Elves get both if they're in a wood, basically. They get this one and the High Elf one. But, but the interesting part here is that fundamentally, from a character point of view, martial prowess is, well, quite frankly, rubbish.
Yeah, it's almost
It lets me make
useless.
one attack from the 3rd rank. Cheeky.
If your characters are in the 3rd rank.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Whereas when you look at Murderous Prowess, where I think it is particularly shiny is the fact that it's really good on all my characters as well.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the few books where you look and say, oh, there's a universal special rule, and I extend this way beyond Elves now. There's a special rule that my army gets that's really good
on
for
my characters.
every unit in my
Yeah.
book, practically.
Yeah.
And that's what's really amazing. And you think about armies like Chaos, oh yeah, well I have to...
Issue a challenge.
I have to issue challenges, and I get but I get to roll on this chart. But you don't get to do that with regular infantry. This one is it's sick on my characters too, mate. It's really, really horrible.
Yeah, no, it's very good. A very, very good special rule. Moving away from the combat special rules now, and we have Hecate's Blessing. Now, models with this special rule add an additional +1 to cast spells from the lore of dark magic. All of the character wizards have this special rule, so it's both special characters and generic characters, and it really incentivises you to take the lore of dark magic, which I actually quite like.
Dark magic's good.
Yeah,
I like dark magic.
I like it because it's thematic. It's dark elves using their lore of dark magic. I also like it because it's a really solid lore of magic.
Yeah, it's decent. It's really decent.
Blow a hole in everything you
Yeah,
touch.
we'll talk about it properly later. It's quite damage orientated. Which I don't think there's anything wrong with. I do think, unfortunately, in competitive play, this rule doesn't get the sunlight, if you like, that it should get, because I do think you see so many people opt for Death or Shadow on Dark Elf.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that as we go through the video, I'm sure. But you can go far wrong, missing out on Hecate's Blessing and leaving your dark magic at home.
Yeah, it's really not that much of a concession at all, really. It just means you maybe have to play a bit differently, or build something into your list a bit differently, but it's really not a concession to take dark magic.
No, dark magic's
and it's
great.
nice to get the +1 to cast it as well.
It really helps with the fact that the signature spells for dark magic, which we'll cover later, they're not the best cast values.
No, they're quite high.
And I think that helps a lot, that I get a cheeky free one, if you like.
Yeah.
So,
It does give you the combination to take like the Book of Asher as well, to get you +6 on dark magic.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you
quite
want
nice.
it.
I think there's better items for Dark Elves.
There are, but there is an
But I
option.
agree. I think you could again. It's all about stacking up those massive bonuses, which is great.
Yeah. And the final special rule then in this section is Eternal Hatred. Now, a unit with this special rule has the Hatred special rule, obviously, and its hatred applies in every round of combat.
Is that genuinely in the main special rule section?
I think I have it down here.
One unit?
There is
4, I think it is.
four units.
4? Is there
have
that
it.
many?
Yeah, like 2 of them are characters.
Yeah. Blackguard have it.
Do I list them here? I don't think I list them here, but it's Blackguard, Malekith,
Oh, I didn't know Malekith had it.
Koran. Is he the...
Oh yeah, he makes sense.
Koran
Yeah,
has
yeah,
it,
'cause he's a Blackguard
and-
character.
There is another unit that has it. Max is going to quickly
I'm gonna
flick
try.
through the book. It's
Right,
not
go,
another
keep
character.
Going, keep going.
Unless Malus Darkblade has it. Anyway, we'll go on to my little...
Malus
blurb.
Darkblade has it.
It's Malus. So it's 3 characters and 1 unit.
I scarcely think that is worth playing in the main. Saying that,
But it's there.
The arrows of like Isha, I think, are in the high elf
And
section.
one
One
unit
unit has it.
But yeah, that is in the main arms rules.
Yeah. Back to my blurb and back to combat orientated rules. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to glance at this and realise that it's a very good special rule.
It's like ASF plus, because the units that have it.
You're always going to go first because you've got always strikes first, and you're always going to get rerolls. Doesn't matter what you're fighting.
I think it's good. I think that in any other army book, we'd be talking about this being absolutely... I mean, it is gold standard, but in any other army book, we'd be going wild over how good this rule is.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, in this book, the unit that has it, I believe, is Initiative 6 anyway.
They are, yes.
So it does mean that you are going first before other elf units with hatred.
You're not. You're going at the same time as
Yeah,
others.
at the same time.
So
But
strikes first.
you get the rerolls.
You get a reroll. That's why I
Because
said to you
against
before, they're
another-
really good against elves. That's their shining light, and that's where that rule comes in probably at its best is against other things with Always Strikes First.
Yeah, that's what I say. It probably won't come up very often. Firstly, because there are only 4 units which have it.
You never really see those units, to be honest.
And I've got a bracketed point, so I'm not really sure why it's in the Army Special Rules section.
Oh, sorry.
But we've gone over that.
We've excited ourselves.
And secondly, because the units which do have it also have Always Strikes First and are at least Initiative 6.
Yeah.
I think Malekith is 8.
Yeah, I
I'd
mean,
be shocked if he's less than 8,
I mean,
I'll be honest.
a regular
Dreadlord's
Dreadlord's
8,
Yeah.
so...
Malekith probably would.
So, you know, but it is a really good rule with absolutely no downsides. But because it's only on a few units that have got the Always Strikes First, that have got high initiative, it's unlikely to really make a big difference. But as you say, if we had this rule in any other book, basically, it'd be the best rule in the game.
Yeah, oh yeah, could you imagine? There were armies in previous editions that had access to that rule. Dark Elves were one of them, actually, and that made them absolutely sick.
Yeah, could you imagine a Warrior as a Chaos unit with it?
Oh yeah, well...
An Empire unit with it?
I'd like Warrior's Chaos unit with hatred. Not just I just want hatred.
You should come to
You
a
don't get
narrative event.
heroes.
I could come to narrative.
Come to a narrative event.
I'm going to narrative. I'm running it. I'm not playing it.
But yeah, that is Eternal Hatred, and that is all of the rules that are in the Special Rules section. I am going to add one more, which isn't in this part of the book, and I have no idea why, and that is Hatred High Elves. So, as with Always Strikes First, every elf unit in the book has this rule. So I don't know why they put a rule in that 4 units had, but that, like, 24, or however many there are, they didn't.
They do have
Because
it.
it's not an army specific one. It's a universal.
Special rule.
That's why it's not
Well,
the
but
army.
it's Hatred High Elves.
Yeah, but hatred has hatred
actually
is
has.
in the old rulebook is hatred X.
Yeah.
I suppose.
If it doesn't have any.
Alright,
A lot of
I'll
units have hatred in general, but the name is
Hatred bracket
It's supposed to be
X.
specific to something.
Yeah, I suppose so. But as with the Always Strikes First, no, I've read that bit. Let's move on to the next sentence, shall we? Matt's confused me. It basically means you're always going to be re-rolling your hits against high elves. Doesn't matter the initiative. In the first. Doesn't matter their initiative. You're always going to be re-rolling the hits. So, very good if you lose your Always Strikes First from a spell, although high elves don't have access to a spell that can give you that, or by having a great weapon, for instance. You know, or if you're in combat with a Frostart Phoenix, so actually they do have an ability which makes you lose Always Strikes First.
Not a spell.
Not a spell, but an ability.
You were right.
It's situational, obviously, because it only works against one army, but very good again.
Annoyingly as well, depletes some of the value of that previous Eternal Hatred
It
special
does.
as well, because you're like, half the dudes I'm fighting, I'm going to reroll against, I don't anymore. Awesome. I suppose I'm a Dark Elves.
I'm going to imagine this is just a really pedantic point for me. Imagine it's hatred high elves the entire Iron Book, not just the elf bits themselves.
Yes.
I'm really pleased you pulled that up, because actually, if you check out the Triple Crown Wargaming Grand Tournament FAQ, you'll find that it does say hatred every unit in the book.
Okay, lovely.
Yeah, because it is one of those things that really should have been qualified.
Yeah, because where it's like, does a Frostart Phoenix count as a high elf?
Part of the confusion there, I think, is that a lot of those other hatreds say hatred Warhammer Armies, Elves and Goblins.
Dwarves have hatred.
Or it will say they have, or it will be like hatred, and then underneath it will say any unit from this
Warhammer
book.
Armies. Yeah.
But it doesn't sort of be quite so specific.
Yeah.
But yeah, they hate Frosties. Everyone hates Frosties.
Yeah, no one likes them. Come on now.
And everyone hates the boats. Everyone hates the flying boats. I can't remember
They've got an elf on the back, so you'd hate them anyway.
Yeah.
It's really only Frosties, Flamespires, dragons
Unridden
without a rider.
Frosties as well.
Yeah, it's really only dragons without
Dragons
a
when
rider.
their riders have been shot off the
Yeah.
back by rattling cannons.
Yeah.
Check it out. But that is it. That is it for the Dark Elf Special Rules section. Some very solid special rules. Some special rules you're probably not going to get a lot out of, but are going to be useful when they come up.
Nothing
I've
bad,
never seen
that's
I've never seen Eternal Hatred ever come up.
No, neither have I, because I've never seen anyone take Black God. But yes, as you say, there's nothing bad in there. There are no negative special rules. There's no negative parts to any of their special rules either.
It's a great start for them.
It
Because
is.
even most of the other armies, like you say, if they've got a good rule, they have something tagged on the end of it
Yeah,
that's not so
but
good.
they can't do this.
Or they have like
to
a
do
small
this,
element, or they have a small rule that you look at and think that's rubbish, or that's really
Or
poor.
just an entire rule that just really just hampers your army. Animosity.
Yeah,
That's what I mean. You don't have any of those with these boys.
So yeah, very good. And on that note, we are going to move into the unit ratings. So, as I said, we're going to move into those unit ratings, but firstly, I'm going to address the Hydra in the room. It's a big room, there's a big Hydra behind the camera, don't worry about it.
That's my best Hydra impression there.
Cheers, James.
Insert any other monster that Dark Elves have access to.
Yeah, Charybdis, Dark Pegasus.
Not Manicore.
Not an only
never.
Oh, come on. Let the baby cow come out.
But anyway, that Hydra in the room is generic character profiles. So when we're putting together a system that sort of accurately rates choices in Warhammer, it's really hard to do that for characters that have so many options. And those options that you choose for them when you're building the list, they really make the difference as to whether that character is competitive or whether they're not. And so you can't really just rate the profile. There's not going to be any value to it.
It's pretty dry, that as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
He has good weapon skill. He has okay strength. He has poor toughness.
Literally every combat elf from
Thanks for
3
coming
books.
to my TED talk.
Yeah.
Good talk.
So essentially, during our deep dive, we aren't going to be rating the generic character choices. However, we have devised a way for you to get a rating for them. So there are a couple of different options for you. You can get your generic character build and head over to triplecrownwargaming.com, and then you can put your character through our rating system, and that will give you a comparative rating to all of the other units and characters in the book. You can
bounce them up against the special characters.
Yeah.
Won't it?
You can also head over to the competitive character series where we have done a Dreadlord, and you can see our ideas for a couple of Dreadlord builds on foot and mounted. Alternatively, you can drop us over your army list with a character in it. We'll take a look, maybe try and feature it in a future video, and yeah, that is your, those are your options.
Got lots of choices.
All the choices. I did it in the wrong order. It really confused me.
Yeah, it's okay, we're fine.
I got back. I was like, yeah, I'm hitting that. I've said that bit.
I also cut you up with the
You
special
did, yeah.
character
It's
thing.
really,
So
really unhelpful.
yeah, it's super helpful to you at home. It's not helpful for him.
I'm just sitting here wondering what the hell were we talking about.
Flicking through the book.
Yeah.
But with that out of the way, we're going to divide the army book units into their respective categories, give them their ratings. So, and remember, if we feel a unit can be used in 2 or more roles, we'll put them in 2 or more different categories. Firstly, we're going to start with Battleline Units. And for the Dark Elves, they are Dread Spears, Bleak Swords, Black Ark Corsairs, Witch Elves, Blackguard, and Executioners. So we're going to start off with those Dread Spears, coming in with a competitive rating of 9 out of 24.
It's the same as an elf spear.
High Elf Spear,
Yeah.
We get there for 1 for strength of attacks, 1 for number of attacks, 3 for special rules, 3 for command options, 0 for survivability, and 1 for cost. The classic Spear Elf, but this time with Murderous Prowess.
Of your dark variety.
Yeah, it's a good rule, Murderous Prowess, as we went through. On a strength 3 model with 1 attack, it's probably not going to come up that often.
It's helpful.
It's helpful, like there's no negative to having it, but it's not really going to come up. We feel it's not going to come up enough to bump their special rules score.
How are you gonna? This is the thing I always think about. This is how are you gonna maximise Murderous Prowess on a unit like Dread Spears? Are you gonna go really wide to get lots of dice to try and get 3 ranks? Let yourself get charged, fight in 3 or maybe 4 ranks if you went for the Horde. There you're maximising it, but dear, you are gonna take a lot of wounds back because you are low toughness, low save.
Yeah.
And weirdly, I don't think they're any better, the high elf ones, but I think on something like Spears, the martial prowess is actually really better because you can be quite tight frontage
And still
fight in extra ranks.
Yeah,
but
what they call the elf horde.
yeah, basically, yeah, you can go like 5 wide, and if you get charged, fight in 4 ranks for half the width that the Dark Elves are doing. But let's make no mistake, the Dark Elves will kill more in a Horde than those Elves will in that bus. But it's 6 of one, half dozen the other for me. If I'm honest with you.
Yeah, there are better units for Murderous Prowess, and
Way
to be
better.
fair, there are better units for you to take in your core.
Better units in every section of the book.
Yes. I think they're the lowest rated unit in the book.
Why are they 9 points? Why are they 9 points? This is exactly what we have with the
Matches
high
their
elves
rating.
ones. Why are they 9 points?
Because it matches their rating.
Yeah, but I don't think they had our rating system in mind when they pointed the figure.
They don't correlate at all.
I
But
think Scott's got you. It matches the rating.
Okay.
That's why
Match the
they're
rating.
9.
I was really hoping you were going to come back with their 9 points because that's what's printed in the army book. Because that's, that's the only reason
Also
I can
true.
think that they're 9 points.
Yeah, also true. So Bleak Swords next, and the only sword and board elves in 3 books.
I actually like these. I think
They're the only sword and board elf,
yeah.
which is odd, but nevertheless, they have a competitive rating of 10 out of 24.
I wonder what that extra points for.
So we get there with, again, a 1 for strength of attacks and a 1 for number of attacks, 3 for special rules, 3 for command options, a 1 for survivability, cheeky parry.
What?
And a 1 for cost. Yeah, very little difference really from the Dread Spears before them.
They're the exact same.
They attack in 1 less rank when they're charged, but they have a parry save. Still a bit too expensive. Still only strength 3 with 1 attack.
Yeah, I see a lot of guys that are big Dark Elf fans, and I think they're right when they say this. They're like the problem that I know a lot of guys have with them is a completely uncompetitive problem, which is that they don't really fit the background. Like elves fight with spears, or they fight with specialised weapons. They use like halberd or a great weapon or a spear. That's like been the established order of elfiness for a long time. Randomly, these guys show up. They can take a sword in this book. Which do you know? I actually think that in another book you might see them.
Yeah.
I think in a bus with the Dreadlord in the front rank chopping up for combat res, they could be alright. But in this book, there's just no way that you would.
There's no reason for you to take them like that.
Not really.
Going back to what you just said, the first line here is many Dark Elves forsake melee weapons in favour of delivering death from afar. But yeah, these guys like to take sword and bullets.
Yeah, it just feels odd in that way. Also, I'm going to dive in on Scott because I know you've forgotten to mention it. Is we've got 0 for survivability on Dread Spears, just in case this is your first deep dive.
Yeah.
If it's toughness 3 and it's got a 5 up save, armor wise or worse, it doesn't get any points for survivability.
Yeah, that's your sort of base level of survivability.
That's just
the
the
average.
average.
Score any extra.
Dying to a stiff breeze.
So the survivability score represents how much better than the average rubbish. I mean, the average stat line is.
Yeah,
This
and
is why these
the
guys
parry
go
save from the Bleak Swords is what gives them that extra point.
Nice.
But yeah, I think we'll move on from both of those
Let's.
poor elf units onto a chunk better. We're going to go with Black Ark Corsairs next, with a competitive rating of 13 out of 24. So we get there with 1 for strength of attacks, 2 for number of attacks, 4 for special rules, 3 for command options, 1 for survivability, and 2 for cost. The poor man's Witch Elf.
Yeah.
Possibly a bit unfair, but these guys have got a reasonable save thanks to their Sea Dragon Cloak, give them a 4 up. And in this roll, I've given them the additional hand weapons for a couple of points to give them that second attack. If you use them in the battle line roll, I don't see why you wouldn't go for additional hand weapon. I wouldn't go for the hand bows. I think if you have a unit of like 10 that you're quite happy to sort of throw away using a sort of chaffy type roll, I can see the appeal for the hand bow.
I know you get the die-hard hand bowers, but I just don't get it. I don't. I'm sorry, I don't.
But skill 4's nice for the hand bows.
Yeah, but just take crossbowmen, man. They're better. They're literally better like that. So
I was about to say but I can't think of any
they
reason
can't march
why.
and shoot. They've got less range on the hand bows. The 4 up armor save's nice. I'll give them that.
Also, I like the fact you said poor man's Witch Elf. With the additional hand weapon, they
They're
are
the same points.
the exact same points as the Witch Elf.
And I think that's a big problem for them.
Yeah, they do have the save compared to the Witch Elf's extra attack and poison.
They do. I'd probably pay 2 points for that. I'd probably pay 2 points for the extra attack. And I feel like
You do pay 2 points for it.
Well, I'm getting the poison for free is what I feel like. I'm getting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah, they pump out a decent amount of attacks, a couple of attacks each, but at 11 points, they're probably about right, I think.
yeah, I agree.
I like their models. Their models look cool.
They do look cool, actually.
They're good survivability for an elf core unit.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah, they sort of, at first glance, I think they look quite good, but in a book with a number of undercosted units, unfortunately, they do just get left on the sidelines most of the time.
Yeah,
I'd be interested to see what people's thoughts if they could take a shield and get to the free up armor save.
I think you'd see them a bit more regularly. But
yeah.
I think the problem there is this. It's all about play style.
The problem with them is they're a Bleak Sword with a Sea Dragon Cloak at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they are.
I think that it all comes back to play style, and I think like when we start, as we explore more and more with the Dark Elves, we'll see that they're much better if I'm going to be aggressive with shooting, aggressive with manoeuvrability, and aggressive with chopping up. And so looking at a unit where I've got obvious comparisons that are more aggressive, why am I vying out from survivability?
Yeah.
Is a 4 up enough? That's the question I'd ask. Is it enough for a toughness 3 unit? I'm not sure it is.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The final core battle line unit then is coming up next, and that is the Witch Elf.
Oh dear.
Coming in with a competitive rating of 15 out of 24.
Cannot believe it's only 15.
Yeah, they're let down on a couple of areas, which we'll go through now. So it's just a 1 for strength of attacks, 3 for number of attacks though, 4 for special rules and command options, 0 for survivability, and 3 for cost. So we think their cost is not quite undercosted, but it's certainly exploitable.
If you have not fought a Witch Elf unit,
Lucky you. It really is their lack of any sort of save on their own that lets them down.
Yeah.
It's easily overcome with the addition of the Cauldron of Blood, which we're going to look at a bit later on. But on their own, they are literally in their pants.
I think this is when we did the Empire deep dive. We talked about Empire Knights, didn't we? And how like when you look at them in isolation like that, they're actually not very good. But when you start punching on the ancillaries, if you like, the kind of the magic banners or the characters, and in this case, the Cauldron. I mean, they jump 2 points in survivability immediately. Just from adding a Cauldron, they get a conditional wall save and a 5-up wall save.
Yeah, they do.
So
MR,
yeah. So they jump straight up 2 points. So they're already on 17. And to be fair, their special rules are already on 4. If you could give them 5, they would get 5 at that point.
Yeah, 100%.
It adds so much to the unit.
Yeah.
So they've got poison. It's not even monsters want a piece of these guys anyway.
No, not really. They can take the best type of magic banners as well. They can take up to 50 points, which is insane on core.
They do have Madness of Cain.
That would go some way, I think, to balancing them up if they could only take a 25-point banner. Because you couldn't take Razor Standards, which is obviously very good. But movement banners also very good on them. I see that so commonly.
Making a movement 6.
Sorry, standard
good.
of
Banner of Swiftness.
Banner of Swiftness. That's the one.
I
was going to say standard of movement. Legitimately, standard of movement.
Oh dear. They have, the standard top tier Dark Elf special rules in ASF and Murderous Prowess. They do, however, have Madness of Cain, as Max pointed out, which means there is a chance they will attack any non-Cainite character that is in their unit. So not good, so that would drop 1 off of their special rules. However, I've decided to keep them at 4 because they've got poison attacks.
I've got to be honest as well, it would ordinarily, you're right, but who do you, other than maybe a master, I don't want to put anyone in my witches. I don't want wizards in there.
Not really, no.
Because they're going to get sliced and diced when the witch is going to combat. Yeah. I do want Death Hags and Cauldrons and maybe Crone Hellebron if I'm going really heavy on the theme. She's good, she's just expensive.
Yeah.
All of which don't care.
Assassins don't care either.
No,
so you can have an assassin in there.
Cainite units got on about is Cainite Assassin, Shadowblade, Death Hags, and Hellebron.
Yeah, so you can waste points on a Cainite Assassin as well.
Oh, come on!
Or Shadowblade.
Or even more if you want to treat yourself.
I like Assassins, come on.
I like their models, yeah.
I said the hits though aren't really that bad. It's D6 strength 3 hits. So if you're a Dreadlord,
it's not even that terrible.
If you're a Dreadlord and you got the typical 1-up arm save Dreadlords can have,
it's like, sure.
And it doesn't happen all the time either. I think it only happens on 4+. Yeah, so
every turn, is it? Start
end of your turns.
End of your turns. Okay.
It's not the end of the world. I'm going to be honest with you.
No, not at all. So yeah, really, really good from the Witch Elves. Moving out of core and into the special slot now then with Blackguard, coming in with a competitive rating of 14 out of 24. So we get there with 2 for strength of attacks, 2 for number of attacks, 4 for special rules and command options, 0 for survivability again, and a 2 for cost. So this, as we said earlier, is the first of those 4 elusive units with Eternal Hatred. These guys do dish out the hits with the constant rerolls.
They do.
But strength 4 for an elite unit just isn't enough, in my opinion. They're Stubborn Leash at 9, which is very good. Immune Psych, which has its drawbacks, but probably isn't the end of the world. They do have 2 attacks each, which is very good. I just think you look at their points compared to an Executioner, which we'll get onto in a sec, compared to a Witch Elf, and I just don't know why anyone would pay, 15 points?
15 points model.
Compared to an Executioner for 12.
It's that age-old problem of they're not the wrong points.
Everything around them
is the wrong points.
Yeah.
I think that the issue...
They're painfully their points.
Yeah, I think with Executioners, I think there is a good argument for both. I think they do completely different roles on a battlefield. I think where they fall down is when you compare them to Witches, which are core and cheaper, and basically do the same role as Blackguard.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Because I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, Witches aren't stubborn, and they're not, but they'd have to lose the combat for that to be an issue.
Yeah.
And they only do that if you hit them in the flank.
Yeah.
And to be fair,
even then, you've got to hit them in the flank with the right thing, or they will
still be alright.
The unit.
Yeah. So
4 Witches in the flank.
12 attacks. Yeah. Okay.
And so this I think is where they just fall down on opposition. If you've ever played against Blackguard, you will know they're a good unit. You know, 14's a solid score. Yeah. They're very capable, and particularly if you play against them with a Law of Life Wizard, and they get dropped a bit of regen, or heavens,
Yeah.
you know, bit of a flesh to stone on them. Suddenly they're toughness 7, they go up to 18 points because they've got 4 for survivability. You know, whoosh, you know what I mean?
You take Shadow and you give him Occam's Mind Razor, strength 9.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and with the Razor Standard, strength 4, always re-rolling, they're consistent.
Yeah.
I did say, Scott, I don't know if Scott mentioned it, the champion can take 25 points worth of magic weapons,
Yeah.
which is nice. It's
I
there.
probably wouldn't.
It's an option, isn't it? I don't think it's... Yeah, I think it's finding one that's worth taking for 25 points
That
always
isn't-
becomes hard on
That
those
isn't
choices.
just a halberd.
Well, that's it, because they've got a
Because they've
helmet.
already got the plus
Yeah.
one.
I mean, you probably would
From
take like maybe a 5 point so they don't get absolutely decked by ethereal units.
You've probably got a character in there though.
I definitely would as well.
With a magic
Blackguard.
weapon.
And I think that's the other thing. That's where the small advantage over witches comes in. You can put a character in there without
Yeah.
fear
Yeah.
of failing armor saves, because that's really all you're scared of, because
Yeah.
you're not going to really take a lot of damage beyond that. But I mean, to be frank, I think you're absolutely correct, Scott. That their problem is their opportunity cost.
Yeah.
I'm not. I've got to take core. I don't have to take special. I'm probably going to take witches, do the same job as them. So then what I'm losing is something with high strength.
For cheaper, so I get more of them.
Yeah, well, maybe not just executioners. You could look at the monsters. You could look at the which have also got higher strength than these guys. So again, that's what I'm losing out on, isn't it? I'm losing out, and a good balanced list, as we always talk about on the channel, is one that's got options for all occasions. I've got some high strength for the armor and the tough stuff. I've got some big attack units for the
number of
hordes
attacks.
or for the lower sort of armored elite stuff.
It's a shame because I do like them. I like Blackguard. You know,
Like the models.
I like the models. I like to see them more. I think they're really cool.
As the game
I
Yes.
like halberd elves. Just
Yeah.
generally, I think halberd elves look very cool.
As the game gets bigger, I think they get more viable as well.
Yeah,
we
that's
talk-
very true.
We talk a lot about
That's very
2,500 point games, and that's great. But I think you can look at these guys in 3,500 points as really bringing something else to the table. They give you a stubborn unit,
Yeah, I
which
think
is
that's
really
fair.
nice, and they give you a mid ground. And because you've already got your high strength stuff and you've already got your high volume
Suddenly
stuff,
you just have 3 blocks. They're
You-
all really hard to get rid of.
that's exactly it. Yeah.
When you compare them though to say their counterpart, which is Phoenix Guard, then it's a bit of an issue there.
I don't know. They're different. I think they're really good at being different. I think Phoenix Guard are much more tanky. They've got less
Yeah,
output,
obviously.
but more tanky.
I made a comparison because they're both halberd.
They're both halberd
Yeah.
building, yeah. But then these guys have sort of snatched that special rule from the White Lions, haven't they?
The stubborn.
They're stubborn.
Yeah.
But yeah, they are equal points to a Phoenix Guard, and I have to say that in general, fighting in 3 ranks helps to offset my lack of attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having a really good ward save and having much better obvious synergy. I think that's actually another big fall down for these guys, is that if I take Shadow or Dark or Death, which are probably going to be my first 3
Yeah.
thought processes, these guys don't get as much from those as Witches or Executioners might.
No. No. And speaking of executioners, we are going to move on to them with the final battle line unit, rounding out the section with a competitive rating of 17 out of 24.
Just missing
Missing the top.
Just missing out on that sort of top tier of unit. But we get there with a 4 for strength of attacks, a 1 for number of attacks, 4 for special rules, 4 for command options, 0 for survivability, again just being toughness 3 with a 5-up save, and a 4 for cost. The first truly undercosted unit in the deep dive for me.
Oh, not even close to being in any doubt.
No.
For me, it's not even close to being in any doubt. 12 points.
12 points model. Yeah.
Yeah,
Those
just
great weapons are free, mate.
you just don't pay for them. Just nudging that 18 out of 24 threshold that we say is reserved for the very best of units. It's just the survivability
I'm
that
just
lets
shocked
them
they
down
don't
again.
make it, but like you say, it really is just the survivability and the 1 attack each. But they scored 4 for everything else.
Yeah, bar number of attacks, yeah.
The number of attacks does let them down as well.
Yeah.
Being 1 attack each.
But
Yeah.
I think most Dark Elf generals would agree that is their problem, is if they end up in the
If
wrong
they do
targets.
get hit back, yeah.
I played them at the North Remembers recently in a big unit, a unit of about 28 charged into a unit halberdiers. I absolutely rinsed them. Empire halberdiers, because I had a hatred. They don't ever
And you
reroll.
had like 40 of them.
And I had 40 of them. Yeah, so they went in and
They
killed
just
like
couldn't kill enough.
14 attacks, 12 dead. I'm like, yeah, I'll take those 12 guys off. I attack back. You know, I've got your 7 wide frontage at 21 attacks, re-rolling the failed hit rolls. And they can't take the punishment
Yeah.
back. That's their problem.
That
They
suddenly,
have to take-
suddenly when you kill sort of 10 back, they're like,
I'm in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably the thing that balances them. And I think that might
Yeah.
be why they made the points so low. But when you look at them against a lot of elite infantry in Warhammer, is actually not that hard to kill.
no.
And so they still stack way beyond the pale for their points.
Yeah,
they really
100%.
do. They're ace.
Killing Blow as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
With an initiative order great weapon, thanks to their Aura Strikes first. Rerolling ones to wound at strength 6.
Yeah, 'cause they
Strength
they
4 base.
get the strength
Yeah.
4 base. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why great weapon wielding elves get strength 4. Like
Not all of them.
White
Sword
lines.
Masters don't.
White lines do that.
White lines do.
So
And,
Swordmasters just settle for 2 strength 5 attacks, which
Yeah.
statistically means you kill
Yeah.
about the same amount of an armoured target and actually kill a lot more of a not armoured target.
Tell you who doesn't as well. The Wildwood Rangers, because they are trash.
Oh yeah, they've
They
got
are
the
trash.
worst of all worlds. No attacks and no strength.
Yeah.
and no
Oh,
stun.
well, they get an extra attack against anything that causes fear or terror, which will
which
just
will
kill them.
them.
Yeah.
So
Hey.
no attacks, no strength. Somehow less of a save than these guys
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, they have
Even
light armor, don't they?
Unreal.
So good.
Yeah, I mean, like enemy characters, terrified of executioners. That 1/6, absolutely terrified
Just
of them.
heavy
Just
infantry.
looking in the cabinet for my
Yeah.
vampires, and I'm like,
Yeah.
just stay away from those, mate. You just stay away.
Yeah.
Warriors.
If you want to
hate
see how terrified characters are or should be of executioners, check out Game 5, I think it was, from the 2022 Triple Crown GT, the live stream. And I won't spoil it, but just the last turn, very funny.
Yeah, Lord, yeah.
not for poor Chris.
Not for poor Chris, no.
Yeah, that was
Very
Dark Elves Lizardmen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
funny. Sorry, Chris, but yeah, I mean, very, very good unit. As we say, just missing out on that 18 out of 24. But with Battleline Units covered, we're going to round up the slaves with the Dark Elf flanking units. So these are Cold One Knights, Cold One Chariots, Scourge Runner Chariots, the War Hydra, Doomfire Warlocks, Bloodwrack Medusa, Charybdis, and Sisters of Slaughter. Quite a few to get through. So Cold One Knights up first with a competitive rating of 15 out of 24. We get there with a 4 for strength of attacks. Again, with all cavalry across all of our deep dives, we assume that they charge for the strength of their attacks. 3 for number of attacks, 3 for special rules, 1 for manoeuvrability, 2 for survivability, and 2 for cost. Close to being good. I think these guys are let down by their stupidity, which drops their special rules. And they're relatively slow movement for cavalry in an army whose cavalry is some of the fastest in the game.
That's where they fall short for me. Is that movement 7 versus movement 9, and I can put my characters on fast cavalry mounts in this army.
And
because,
have a
you know,
1-up save.
and still have a 1-up save because reasons.
Because I'm a dark elf, obviously. I'm the elf with many cloaks, as we'll get onto later.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just stand out as being too slow, really.
15's probably fair. They are good.
They
I mean, you
hit
get
hard,
hit by them. You
yeah.
do know about it.
They hit hard when they do hit. Strength 6 on their lances.
Murderous prowess.
Murderous prowess again.
And
So you
they're,
can reel the
and they're
one.
initiative 6. They didn't realise they're initiative 6 as
Yeah,
well.
they are, yeah.
That's pretty nice.
That is pretty good. They are on the cusp of being overcosted for me at 30 points. But I think they just about squeeze onto the right side of that boundary.
Yeah, Dragon Prince 29. So, and I think they're the right points. So yeah, maybe I can see your
Because
point.
the Dragon Princes have got the 2 up against Flaming, they've got a 6 up ward.
Have 2 strength 5 attacks instead of 1 strength 6. Again, statistically, against the things you want to throw cavalry at, they'll do about the same damage.
The mount is better, the cold one is better than a...
He definitely is, but
That in combat.
he's a lot slower.
a lot slower, he's stupid.
So they get the buff of immune psychology though,
They do.
which for knights is actually generally quite good because it's not often heavy cavalry elect to flee, and actually they will probably charge things that are really big and scary because that's where their high strength
Yes,
and
the
not
strength
being
comes
able
into
to
it.
be stomped on
Yeah.
really helps. So yeah, it's not bad.
Again, the champ can take 25 points worth of magic weapons.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't think ever.
I think the only time that's really good is when something will go after you. Like if you've got great weapons in the unit and the champion could take something with, say, flaming, but again, there's not really
There's
access
not.
to any of
No.
that.
No.
I think you're better to, as you say, keep him cheap, stick with his lance.
Yeah.
50 points worth of magic standard as well. We've got the top tier one
Yeah, good magic standard.
And I think, unfortunately, they only spend 15 points of it,
Yeah, Banner of
which is
Swiftness.
Banner of Swiftness. But again, with Banner of Swiftness, much better. I think that ups their
I tell you
manoeuvrability by a
what's,
point.
yeah, I tell you what's not terrible on them as well, actually, if you can sort of get them there at the same time. It's Banner of Eternal Flame.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Initiative. No, Yours Strikes First. You guys.
Yours
Doesn't
Strikes
matter.
First, yeah.
Never mind.
But
Less good.
But I think, like I say, I'd stick with the movement banner. I think with that,
Yeah, I think that probably
they get
is
a lot
stress.
more viable.
Yeah.
They're all right.
Yeah, the first of the chariots though is up next, but we're sticking with cold ones with the cold one chariot coming in with a competitive rating of 15 out of 24 again. we get there with 3 for strength of attacks, 4 for number of attacks, 3 for special rules, 0 for manoeuvrability, 3 for survivability, and 2 for cost. Not bad. I know you're not a fan of chariots in general, but I think, for me at least, the 3-up save and the toughness 5 on this one should really help change your mind.
Look, I've always maintained that I like good chariots. I don't like rubbish chariots. I think that I play Tomb Kings and High Elves, which means I have access in general to a lot of rubbish chariots. Yeah. Although I've over the last, actually since we started the channel, I've used the lion chariots and the bird chariots a little more often. And I think I get a bit more out of them. But it's just for Dark Elves in particular. This chariot is amazing. It's one of the few units in the book that I look at and think, wow, that's hard to kill. Lots of output. I think the riders get 2 strength 5 attacks each on the charge.
1 strength 5 attack each.
1, apologies.
Yeah.
But they are strength 5.
They are strength 5 on the charge. You got speared.
But
they also got a repeated crossbow, which is quite funny.
Yeah, but this is the same problem with the Cold One Knights. The army is pretty swift. These guys struggle to keep up.
Yeah.
They can't keep up with the infantry blocks.
Double the fact they can't march.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because the chariot can't march, so they can't keep up with the infantry blocks, let alone keep up with the fast cavalry type lists.
Yeah.
But they are good. They are very hard hitting.
It's even scythed as well.
They're basically a Chaos Chariot, which we all love and we all think's really cool.
I love me a Chaos Chariot.
Yeah, they're really strong.
Yeah. Second chariot is up now, and I'm afraid it's a fall from grace for the Scourge Runner with a competitive rating of just 12 out of 24.
The sort of chariot I don't like.
Yeah.
See?
So we get there with a 2 for strength of attacks, 4 for number of attacks, and 4 for special rules, 0 for manoeuvrability, 1 for survivability, and 1 for cost.
I love that Max is trying to find it.
Where is it?
I think it's there. I think it's with the beast.
Why is it there?
Because you can put a Beastmaster on it.
Why?
You went Malekith on it, right?
No,
he's Cold One Chariot.
He's quite good on a Cold One Chariot.
Yeah, it's way too expensive.
He's 150 boy. That's mad.
It's
why?
Just over here staring at the floor.
It's a cross between a bolt thrower and a chariot that doesn't really know which it wants to be, and it's not very good at being either. Just leave them at home. It's a poor bolt thrower. It's arguably a worse chariot. Don't waste 150 points.
5 arm save. It drops a point of toughness and 2 points of save for 2 points of movement.
That's a high elf chariot. Welcome to the party. Okay, now do you understand a bit more?
No, I'm still
it's the Tomb King chariot. It's the Tomb King chariot.
It is,
and it's not that much more expensive.
Shall we say what the Ravager Harpoon does?
I think we should go through that though.
So the Ravager Harpoon is a bolt thrower that can be fired even if the chariot moves. 24-inch range, strength 7, multiple wounds D3. That doesn't ignore arm saves like a regular.
No. It'll just have to make do with dropping 3 off the save.
4
off the save.
4 off the save. And it also has the Barbed Bolts rule, which is if a monster suffers at least 1 unsaved wound from this weapon, it immediately drags D6 inches towards the firer, stopping instantly if it comes within 1 inch of an impassable terrain or another unit. If the monster is dragged more than 3 inches in this manner, it suffers another wound with no arm saves allowed.
Right, so a few things to grab onto this. Firstly, does it say it fires as a bolt thrower?
It is a bolt thrower.
So it will ignore arm saves? Because bolt throwers main rules in the main rule book.
I thought that was something from the actual Reaper bolt thrower.
No. It's just when you use a bolt throwers ignore arm saves. It's a main rule book thing. I think you can put a Beastmaster on it, which we should talk about. We don't normally talk about generic characters, but I think that the Beastmaster has a rule that lets him make it better. I think they're a lord. I know, ridiculous. Like he's looking in the hero section like he's going to find it.
No, so by Beastmaster is 300 points base.
Yeah, because they come on amount.
They come either on the Manticore for free or the Beast or the Scourge Runner for free. It doesn't actually do anything for the Scourge Runner.
Does he not?
No, he does say he lets a friendly monster within 3 inches gain D3 attacks.
Apologies. So yeah, no, he doesn't. He does give it his BS.
It gives it Blizzard skill 7.
So it will. So
it'll probably hit.
Yeah.
The dragging the monster thing was a real. Or the dragging the model thing and the monster being the thing you would shoot.
It's only a monster that gets dragged.
It has to be a monster to get dragged.
Was a real when the book came out, it was a real excitement
really good,
thing in the competitive scene. I think people were like, yes, this will be game changing because it can change the facings of a monster, which it doesn't actually specifically say it can.
No.
But it's a bit of a weird one in the way that you drag it. So some tournaments were ruling that it pivoted towards it and was pulled directly towards it, like a fleeing unit does, centre to centre. Others were saying no, you just pick the model up and move it the distance and keep it placed where it is.
I'd say you just move it. It says drag immediately directly towards it. So I just imagine you go.
Yeah, I don't think the facing would.
Yeah, I think there was the argument stemmed from most of the other times in the main rulebook when it says you move something directly towards it, it's pivoted. But it does specifically say pivoted. This is the thing though, it's completely and utterly almost irrelevant.
Yeah.
Because you've got to have any sort of hope of making any hay out of it anyway, which you're not going to. You'd have to have them on the ends of your battle line so that you could pivot it in a way that stopped it seeing things that mattered. Or drag it in a way where its arc, even if you said that it stays fixed straight forward, its arc would obviously move.
Yeah.
So you'd be trying to drag it so it couldn't see something you cared about. You've got random distance when you do it, it's blocked by other units, yada yada. It's blocked by terrain, yada yada.
Yeah, monsters generally aren't left on their own. They're normally, next to a unit or in amongst a couple of units. So it's probably not really going to be able to drag it very far anyway.
No,
there's only a few monsters in the game I know that do go off by themselves.
Are happy to go off by themselves, yeah.
And again, even if you get all of the kind of stars align and you can get it within 24, which I hasten to add is not necessarily always very easy.
It's within 9. It's not hard.
Well, but you're gonna want to be on the ends to make the drag.
Yeah, you don't want to put it directly.
You don't want to put it towards you, do you? Yeah, and that's another thing. You put it towards yourself, it just
then
kills the chariot.
You.
Cheers, thanks for a 350 point chariot. So ultimately, the only thing it's useful for is if somehow the monster can't declare a charge the next turn because something has been dragged. It's been dragged so that something's fell out of its arc.
Yeah.
Because people were really getting this idea that they'd then be able to capitalise by countercharging the flanker monsters if they could pivot it and things like that.
The monster just move off.
The monster just moves next turn.
Just turns back round and goes, hello!
Move, magic, shoot. I mean, it's not hard. It's just, I'm sorry.
If you are getting confused though about the order of the turns, head over to the store. Got a lovely t-shirt with some boxes on for you.
Also available on a hooded sweatshirt.
Also on a hoodie.
I should be wearing that hoodie right now.
Yeah,
that's downstairs.
Yeah, I think it's rubbish. Sorry.
Yeah, I think we all agree.
The only thing
35 points more.
I have seen people run 3 and then 4 bolt throws and try to do a big spam line, but they are just very easy victory points because suddenly
and very expensive bolt throws.
A magic missile. Well, so you get 7, isn't it? But a magic missile puts that in the ground, son.
Yeah, it really does.
A fireball puts this thing in the ground.
Yeah,
that's mad. A fireball puts this thing in the ground.
2d6 fireball is terrifying.
It's the same chassis.
Absolutely.
Welcome to Elf Chariots.
No,
it's not. It's not. It's quite different.
But it's made from the same kit.
Yeah, but it's got a lot less armour plating and
Does
stuff
it?
on it. Yeah, look at the pictures.
It's also not pulled by a cold one. Cold ones gives you +2 armour.
It's pulled by horses, which
There you
are
go.
really good horses to put characters on. They're really nicely
A
animated.
bit like the Empire chariots.
Yeah.
They're nice horses.
Yeah, if you get your War Over pulled by flagellants. Yeah. Could be cool and do that.
Or Fenrisian wolves.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Flicking between the pages of the book.
Like this one looks like it's made out of wood. Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Are you accepting that?
No.
Okay.
I mean, they're all made of plastic. But
Anyway, the first monster that we're going to look at.
Why are we spending
I've moved on, Max.
Why are we spending so long on this thing?
The first monster that we're going to take a look at is the War Hydra. Now, he comes in with a competitive rating of 17 out of 24. Again, just nudging that 18. We get there with a 3 for strength of attacks, 4 for number of attacks, 3 for special rules, 1 for manoeuvrability, 4 for survivability, and 2 for cost. These guys are really strong. I definitely find the 20 points for the fiery breath upgrade to give them that breath weapon.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't with the... Is it Spitfire? The other one? I wouldn't bother with that. Really solid monster that can either be thrown into pretty much any list and have its place, or you can really build around it as the foundation of the list, which we're actually going to get onto later in our army list section at the end of this video. And I think they work really well in there as well. But yeah, a really solid monster for 180 points for the breath, I think they are.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were disappointed with the transition from the previous Iron Book to this one.
Yeah,
because
where it went up by 5 points and got worse, yeah?
Yeah, because
used to have regen.
We used to have regen space, and you used to have hatred as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
It did have. It was like the best monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was absolutely sick.
Now it's got is it a once one head is
So it's got 2 rules, but they basically form one sentence, which I think is really cool. I like that.
There are a couple that do that as well.
Yeah,
actually.
so it's got, if one head is severed, so this is a War Hydra has 3 attacks plus 1 for each remaining wound, and it has 5 whips. So you get 8 attacks if you got
plus
all your
its
wounds.
thunder stomp, plus its breath weapon.
Yep. And the other rule is another takes its place. which is if this model is alive at the end of your turn, roll d6 and equals the difference between the War Hydra's starting number of wounds and its current number of wounds. For the roll of each 4+, a War Hydra immediately recovers a single wound lost earlier in the battle.
Yeah. So roll a dice for each wound you've lost. On 4+, you get that wound back.
So a lot of people say that's not as good as regen, but it's it's very similar. We've had this discussion.
It isn't as good as regen, but
it's not as good immediately as regen.
It's worse against things like artillery pieces. But then, it's not getting, flaming one bang and it's all over anyway. Yeah. Whereas this, I don't think, is this affected by flaming?
No.
I don't think it is. No. So again, next turn, he just tries to grow it back. So it's 6 of one, half dozen the other. In general, it probably will feel not as good. And it probably isn't quite as good because you will lose the monster more regularly. Because the monster has to be alive to activate this ability. Whereas, effectively regen, he gets it immediately.
Yeah, the immediate effect is better with regen. But this, if you can keep it alive, if you can get some luck and pass some saves, you're going to get a monster that's going to stick around.
Yeah, I really like it against sort of units that manage to chip a couple of wounds off of it and things like that. I think it's fantastic against that. You go, oh no, I've lost a couple of wounds, end of my turn, I've got my wounds back.
I think the more you take, the better they get. As well, because people you get 2 or 3 into one place, people start dividing their attacks, and they kill none of them then.
Yeah, you've got 1 or 2 wounds in each and you go, oh no, I've got my wounds
and then
back.
you get the wounds back and then you keep doing the damage.
I think the people that played the previous Ironwood need to get used to the fact that they're still good.
That's the thing, they may have got worse, that doesn't mean they got bad.
But the people that I've only ever played with this Iron Book, they should know that these guys are pretty good.
I think they suffer from exactly what you both said. I think the regen change is in general slightly worse as well, but I think the biggest problem that these guys have more than anything else is just they're up against executioners, and they're also, although they're not in the same slot, they're in the same points as things like Doomfire Warlocks, and also characters. Dark Elf characters are really strong.
Yeah.
So I think they just sort of end up often falling by the wayside by virtue of the fact that they don't break steadfast because they're a monster, but a big unit of executioners or Blackguard does break steadfast.
Yeah,
so.
I think equally though, as you said before when we were talking about Blackguard, actually, we talk a lot about 2,500 points.
Absolutely.
Well, they do compete for those points. Even just going up to 3,000 points, you've got another 500 points. All right, 125 has to go on core. Okay, you've got some more witches, good. No, you've probably got Dark Riders, but you've still got 375 points to play with. You've probably already got a big unit of XX. You could make them a bit bigger.
Just to interject there, you're telling me you didn't spend more than 625 points on core in a Dark Elf army?
Oh, that's fair.
Because I probably did.
Fair. You may not have to spend any points. But assuming you've only got 375 extra points to spend, you've probably already got a big unit of XX. All right, you could make them a bit bigger potentially. You're not going to spend that many points on making them a bit bigger.
Nope.
Maybe 60, 70, 80 points tops, make them a few models bigger. You've probably already got enough Doomfire Warlocks. You don't really.
Do you ever really got enough Doomfire Warlocks?
Well, you've probably already got 2 units, so yeah.
Increase
all right, you
size.
could up them, I suppose, but again, that's not going to cost you all of your points. You've probably got the points
also
at 3,000 to chuck a Hydra.
Or 2.
Maybe 2 if you've already got a lot of Doomfires in your 2.5.
John, my brother, went to Northern Members with us.
Which was 3,000 points.
Which was 3,000 points. He took Dark Elves and he had a Hydra and a Charybdis.
Yeah.
As part of his additional points.
I like that combo as well. I like having one of each.
And, they were, as he said himself, they didn't. The Hydra was pretty good for him all weekend, he said. He said he felt it was good. The Charybdis had one really good game, and then the rest of the games it kind of died. But, by his own admission, the amount of time that people spent going for the Hydra and the Charybdis, the monsters, because they're big and scary, they cause terror. They're actually relatively quick as well. I think the Hydra moves 6, so it'll go 12.
Yeah.
I think the Charybdis is about the same.
6. No, the Charybdis is 6 as well.
Yeah, so again, they're quite fast, they're quite scary, and when they get in, they do damage, and when they don't, they've been really scary, and people have had to get rid of them.
Yeah.
So it means your other blocks get in. I agree with you, Scott. I think they're good. They've also got a very specific build. I know you'll talk about later.
Yeah. So that's one of the lists that we're going to go through later.
Before you continue, though, I do want to say the model does look like it's got sock puppet heads.
Yeah.
How dare you?
I mean, look at it.
Yeah.
It looks like it's got sock puppet heads.
I love Derpy Hydra. He's great.
He's very
He's derpy.
He's very derpy.
He's great.
The Cryptis is lovely.
It's the lack of any real teeth.
It's a gum in you.
I quite like the previous Hydra though. I think he's a bit goofy, but I like him.
Yeah.
I prefer the previous Hydra's heads on this one's body.
Oh, okay.
I would have
Yeah,
liked
but they're
that.
like a different size. They
But so
look
if they scale it,
horrendous.
because I like the size of this Hydra. I do
Yeah.
think the previous one is too small for me. But I like the
Okay.
size of this one, but I prefer to have the old heads on it.
Okay,
Well,
well,
I like
Because
it.
you want to have your cake and eat it.
Because you know the old one has teeth.
I'd put some teeth in those
Yeah.
heads. I think
Yeah.
Why
they're
has it
great.
not got teeth?
Yeah,
Doesn't
that
need
is.
to.
That's
You
the
own
big-
these? Does this kit come with teeth for it? Have they just forgotten to put the teeth on the
No,
model
mate,
in
no,
here?
it doesn't come
No.
with
It
teeth.
doesn't come with teeth
No.
in it.
Doesn't glue the teeth individually.
Some models do. I've had to glue teeth in before.
Just see if you can get some Hydra dentures. I'm sure someone's 3D printing some somewhere. Bit of fixed dent in there.
I don't
Other teeth-related glues are available.
I just don't get it.
Well, you carry on looking at that, mate. Don't worry about it. We are going to move on to the first outing of Doomfire Warlocks next.
Spicy.
Coming in with a competitive rating of 18 out of 24. We've finally reached that 18 score.
I can't believe it's taken us this long.
I know.
We've had so many chipping on the
17s.
door, haven't we?
Yeah. So we get there with a 2 for strength of attacks, 2 for number of attacks, 4 for special rules, 4 for manoeuvrability, 2 for survivability, and 4 for cost. 3 4s, 3 2s. Very, very good scores. I'm in no way surprised that
Their
these guys hit
worst
the 18.
performance is average, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what that
Oh, that's a bit. A lot of people have
Yeah.
seen what you want about survivability being only 2, but then that's just there because they only get 1 point of 2 points there.
Yeah, for the 4+
For
rule.
the
So,
4+
yeah,
rule.
but I mean, if you could, we don't have a provision for it, but I think we could have argued for adding a magical provision for this, a special provision for this unit, in that the way they take miscasts is really unique, and it
It's
actually
broken.
makes them so survivable
Yeah.
compared to other regiments that take miscasts. And so you
There
could
is
argue
only one.
there's a point of survivability. Well, other wizards and other
Wizards,
things
yeah,
take miscasts. You know,
You could
you
maybe
could almost argue
for
they should have a point
survivability
for that, but it doesn't
Yeah.
exist in our system. We're sorry.
Yeah.
But do you want to let us know how they work magic wise?
I can do, yeah.
It's probably easier to read it out.
Yeah. So they have the Cursed Coven special rule.
Great
So
name for a
yeah, it's a good name. The unit of what Doomfire Warlocks is considered to be a level 2 wizard that knows the Soul Blight spell and the Doombolt spell from the Law of Death and Law of Dark Magic, respectively. This doesn't stop other wizards from knowing those same spells.
Very good.
Very good.
Just going to stop there and translate that. They're a level 2 wizard that knows 2 of the best spells in the game that you can spam.
Yeah.
Please continue.
The unit receives an additional +1 to cast for each rank of 5 or more models in the same unit. After the first, to a maximum of +3. Each time you cast spells, you must nominate one Master of Warlocks or Doomfire Warlock as the caster for the purposes of line of sight and range, etc. So you pick that guy on that end there is casting the spell
That's
here.
the closest one that can
So
see,
there's a
obviously.
couple of really important points in that sentence as well that are worth clarifying for the really competitive gamers that want no friends at home. Is that it's ranks after the first, not complete ranks.
Ranks of 5
Ranks
or more.
of
So it's 5 or more
Yeah.
to qualify
So if
as a
you're
rank
6
from
wide,
the main rulebook.
you
So
still
you
get
can
it,
you still get it if you lose 1 or 2 and
Yeah.
you're at the extra width. And it doesn't specify. It should say 10 or more warlocks. You
Yeah.
get an extra +1. 15 or more warlocks. You get an extra +1. But it doesn't. So when you drop fast cavalry based characters in the front rank of the unit, spoilers, well they fill a space, and so they mean
They make a rank.
that means that 9 warlocks if you're 5 wide.
Could mean 8 if you've got a character on a
If
dark
you've got a
peg.
character on a dark
He's take
peg,
up 2,
yeah,
so he
takes
fits in
up 2.
perfectly.
So again, it's that thing of going, you know, that it's really abusable. They're really, really abusable.
Yeah,
They're absolutely
man.
ace for their points.
Yeah.
Shall I continue?
Please.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, and then
Because the best bit's coming up.
Best
isn't
bit
it?
is coming up next. In the event that a Doomfire Warlock unit rolls a miscast, do not roll the miscast table. Instead, the unit suffers D3 wounds and no arm saves allowed. If the unit is targeted by a rule that affects a wizard, your opponent must choose one Master or Warlocks or Doomfire Warlock as the target.
So if you get the strength 6 hit on another wizard, miscast, or if they've got a spell that jams a wizard, it only ever hits 1.
Yeah.
Yep.
Super serial.
It's the jam, obviously.
They have a
because-
4+ ward save, and
not?
that stupid rule doesn't
Doesn't
specify
say that,
anywhere
nope.
that they don't get to take it against.
No, see, it's
Against
D3,
their miscast.
D3 wounds, no arm saves allowed because
I
that's
know,
6
you don't get your 6 up mounted
So yeah,
save.
6 up mounted save.
So invariably, they take a wound on average per miscast.
At most,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're also weirdly like a good support caster. If you fail to dispel with your level 4, you can still add 2 by selecting one of those Doomfire Warlocks to
Yep.
dispel with.
The Sisters of the Thorn from the Wood Elf book are just crying that they're just better cousins.
Yeah, I mean they're really good as well. I mean
They are
don't
really good,
Suffer badly,
But they're a point more.
and they don't
ridiculously.
get their ward save.
Don't
against
get the ward
miscast,
save.
It's
and
specified.
They have one
Do they
good
not?
spell. No.
specify.
Sisters have one good spell. Doomfires have two.
Yeah,
very
sisters
good spell.
do really have one.
Yeah.
The lore attribute in their other spell is the reason I cast it, rather than the spell. Whereas with these two, and again, sorry, they're not bound spells. I get so het about this because that means that I can do either of them, and both of those spells have boosted casting values, which again. The sisters only have one that has a boosted casting.
The amount of times I've seen someone just move up a Doomfire Wall, I'm just going big Doom
Let's
up.
go six
dice.
There you go.
But the Soul Blight, for me,
Yeah.
actually is what makes them so good.
That bubble 24 inch.
They're fast cavalry. They get in the gaps. They get right in the middle of the enemy army, and then they go. Everyone within 24 is -1 toughness.
And strength.
But the toughness is.
With the amount of shooting.
With the amount of shooting, I'm thinking. But I mean, you're right. Yeah, the strength too. If you go for a big in combat that turn, I've lost count of the time someone's done that as well.
John.
I know, Scott. If you didn't hear that, that was John.
They are so dirty.
Yeah.
And they're no points.
No.
25 points a model.
Mad.
Also, their 4 ward save is against everything but demons and Marks Slanesh.
Yeah, it's quite funny.
Which, to be honest, I've used that so many times against people. Like, 4 ward save? No, man, demon Slanesh.
I remember playing a guy and being like,
hilarious.
I'm going to go for the big long bomb charge of Slanesh Chariot with my grey plastic Slanesh army. And it was like, I need an 11. He's like, I won't flee, you won't get there. Got the 11, went in, did the impact hits. I'm like, I've got Marks Slanesh, mate, you don't get any more save.
It doesn't happen.
Doomfire bowling!
It happens so rarely, but when it does happen, you're like, it's worked!
And do you know what? I'm not being horrible, but they are. I love my Slanesh. I love them. They're arguably the least competitive mark in a Chaos book.
Except if you're a Demon Prince. Or a Chariot. Or Marauders.
But Frenzy's really good on all those things as well, from the Mark of Call.
Zinch.
Zinch is really good. Zinch is great.
How is Zinch good on a chariot?
On a Chariot it's less good, but Nurgle is much better.
Nurgle is very good.
Corn is probably better on the Chariot as well. You get extra attacks and everything.
Possibly.
We're not talking about Warriors here, though.
But what I'm saying is that, but it's not that common.
No,
it's not that common.
Unless you're this guy.
And the same with the Demons of Slanesh. They're quite good.
Demons I think up there is like this, probably the second.
They're probably the second best in the book.
Monogod army.
But you're more likely to just take Nurgle and interject Skull Cannons. I mean, that's what you're going to do. Maybe a Keeper of Secrets because you want the really good spell.
We'll talk about them soon.
Yeah. But this is the thing. It's not a bad one to be weak against. If it was, they don't get their 4+ ward save against other elves, you'd be like, oh, that's upsetting.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. But yeah,
against Demons Slanesh and models with have the mark of Slanesh.
And again, being fast cavalry, very little actually hits you at range that's got Slanesh.
Yeah.
Love to
if
see
anything, because
it.
what do you mean? If it got range of Slanesh, there's no range of Slanesh.
Magic spells, basically.
Okay.
Lash from the Demons.
Lash from the Demons. Yeah.
Very, very, very small amounts.
Yeah.
Look, we'll definitely be seeing them later again.
And you love to see them.
Yeah, but even in a role that isn't their main role, and I'm sorry, but flanking is not their main role for Doomfire Warlocks.
No, probably not.
I don't think, because they can do basically. They're not terrible in combat, but they can do.
I think they're quite good.
Everything they want to do outside of combat.
Yeah, I think it's a turn 5, turn 6 charge.
Yeah,
combat-wise, strength 4, 2 attacks, poison.
Yeah.
That's mad.
They're not bad.
They're no mugs.
They're not bad at all.
I've seen these guys take down hell cannons in combat, which is mad.
That's hilarious.
I think again, it's that they've got that rotten internal synergy there with the spells.
Yeah.
And then -1 toughness. I'm strength 4 poison. That's not very nice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of those wounds start
Strength
sticking.
4 just comes from nowhere.
Yeah, a lot of those wounds stick. They really do, and the models are so like ill looking.
Yeah.
There's no like they look like Nicholas Flamel in Fantastic Beasts 1, and yeah, they're really strong. Other fantasy wizarding franchises are available.
Are they?
Maybe.
Lord of the Rings has got some wizards.
Yeah.
But even in a role which I don't think is their main purpose, they still score that 18.
Yeah, mad.
I mean, mad.
They're one of the best units in the game.
Yeah, it does just go to show how good these guys are.
Yeah.
In this role though, in the flanking role, I'd run a larger unit of sort of around 10.
Yeah.
8 to 10, depending on if you want to put some characters in there maybe.
I would definitely have characters in there.
Yeah.
Choppy characters.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up though, a rather large fall from grace, with the Bloodrack Medusa coming in with a competitive rating of just 11 out of 24.
Surprising.
It's that high. She's
Yeah.
got a lot of attacks. She's got 2 for strength attacks, 4 for number of attacks, 2 for special rules, 1 for manoeuvrability, 1 for survivability, and 1 for cost. A real letdown really on the second half of those categories, all scoring 1. The closest thing that you can really compare this to, I guess, is a Great Eagle, in that it's a single model, it's relatively fast. I think it's movement 7.
Movement 7.
Yeah. And it's
Watching
it's
Scott
on a
Clark.
50mm base.
He's on
Can't
50.
believe I'm offended for a Great Eagle.
Yeah, I know. But for 40 points more than a Great Eagle, you lose fly, you gain frenzy at leadership 2,
That's mad.
which is never good, and an initiative and attack. So you gain initiative and an attack over a Great Eagles with 2 attacks if you include the frenzy. The extra attacks are good, but she's
They're
still
always
not going to
strikes
kill
first.
much.
What's his weapon skill?
5.
Oh, okay, yeah, same, isn't he?
Yeah, it's a nice model. I actually quite like the
I
model.
like the model, yeah.
Great unit filler.
Yeah, nice unit.
I mean, to
filler.
be honest,
nice on the shelf, little sort of bookend.
Let's be honest here.
If you put some big stones on its base, I reckon it could hold a big
Paperweight?
stack of papers.
Yeah.
But
Let's be honest, but you're more likely going to be buying a Cauldron of Blood. This thing
So
can't-
you're going to have one.
You're going to have one. Just stick it on a 50 and just have it there. You have one available.
Yeah,
If
have
you
it
ever want
there in a unit of something to count as 4 more. Okay, so I have it on a 40, and
I think it comes on a 50 actually.
Does
It
come
come-
on a 50, yeah.
Do we tell say
Yeah,
what its rules
oh, yeah,
are?
yeah,
Can we
absolutely.
need to, yeah.
Yeah, so it has it. So
No one will ever use them.
no one ever use them. So it has 2, 3 rules that it would rather have on the Blood Rack Shrine. The Blood Rack Shrine has 1 more apart from this. We'll talk about in a second. But it comes with avert your gaze. So at the start of each close combat phase, before challenges are issued. It's the first time I've ever seen that actually specified before challenges are issued.
Yeah.
Everything else like start of
It's
close.
just start the combat phase.
That's only time. Oh,
What's this initiative?
5.
Oh, I'm getting a grave, Festus. You're in trouble, mate. Make me drink this. Yeah. I found its use. Every competitive list.
90 points, worth it.
Just to take out Festus. But Festus, I'd say because Festus goes at the same time as Ed. It's set to start close combat phase. We go at the same time. Anyway, let's go back to this.
I don't care, mate. You can kill it. It will kill Festus. That's all I care about.
So yeah, and before challenges are issued, any models in base contact with this model must take a pass initiative test or suffer a strength 4 hit with a killing blow special rule and no arm saves allowed.
Oh, I thought
So
it
it
killed
won't
you,
kill
so it
Festus.
won't kill him unless
No.
you roll a 6.
Yeah.
Unless you roll a 6. This is a magical attack as well. See, the Battle Dragon.
Laughs in text.
Lariel just sits there like, nah.
No,
Now
and
the
then-
white lines are going to cut you up.
And then it has Blood Rack Stare as well. This is a magical shooting attack with the following profile.
That's actually alright though.
Yeah.
Mm.
12-inch range, strength 4, killing blow, multiple shots 4. When you roll to wound, substitute the target's toughness with its initiative value. No arm saves permitted against the Blood
Less
Rack
good.
Stare.
Single Khan Wraiths running round do not like that.
Yeah. Well, I want to know.
Spirit hosts don't particularly like that either.
Well, I want to know, because a lot of people do point this out online. Yeah. This is obviously the stare fluff-wise, it makes you bleed from every orifice in your body.
Yeah.
How does that work against a skeleton? Or a ghost?
He just falls to bits.
Yeah.
But there's no blood.
The
He
ghost-
also can't actually look.
No, he's got no eyes either.
Can't see her.
Tell me that, Mr. Magic Man.
So
Wizards did it, obviously.
Wizards did it, obviously. I'm trying to think of a good one. She puts some special eye drops in at the start of the game.
Oh.
She knows what's going on.
Stop.
And then she cries holy tears at them.
Oh,
which
stop.
banishes them.
You
There you
don't,
go.
just stop
What,
it.
from 12 inches away?
Yeah.
She's gushing.
She's projectile, mate.
Yeah.
She rubs her eyes really hard, and then he's like, ah.
Have you ever seen these things being used in Total War? They're actually shooting attacks really cool to look.
Is
It's,
it?
it's,
I've
it's
never
like a
watched
laser
it.
beam.
Oh, that's cool.
It is cool to watch in Total War. But no, these things are trash.
Yeah, you're not wrong,
They'll
unfortunately.
kill other chaff, but then they'll run out of position when they do it. So.
Yeah.
Unless you're stuck nearby your general, you are not staying where you're supposed to stay.
No.
And your general is more likely to be, as you said, on a fast cav or a flying
Yeah.
or a flying thing.
Yeah, they just. Can we move on?
We shall. On to our penultimate flanking unit. We have the other monster, the Charybdis, coming in with a competitive rating of 18 out of 24 as well.
Very good.
I say as well as the Doomfire.
Shame he's in a Doomfire slot, isn't it?
It is a shame he's in the Doomfire
yeah.
slot. A really good score from the second Dark Earth monster, which we get with a 4 for strength of attacks, a 4 for number of attacks, a 4 for special rules, just 1 for manoeuvrability, but 3 for survivability, and 2 for cost. He's got really good special
He
rules.
does, yeah.
Terror and Abyssal Howl, making units in base contact, reroll leadership tests if they don't cause fear, terror, or have immune psych. Feast for Bones, he's very good against other monsters. because he's weapon skill
5.
5.
So he's a decent weapon
very
skill.
high.
And Feast for Bones, essentially, if you all of your attacks target a single model and they all hit, you get an additional D6 automatic
Yeah,
hits.
through the story, sort of
Yeah.
close attacks against the same model and they all hit, it targets an additional D6 strength 7 hits.
That's probably, if you get all of your hits, I mean, strength 7 anyway, if you get all of your hits against a monster, plus that D6, you've probably just killed that monster.
John did say to me in his last game at North Remembers with his characters, he made a really big charge into a ogre
Let Iron Blaster.
Sky Cannon Iron Blaster. Yeah, got 5 hits, rolled 6 the additional hits. Just put the little mouth suckers on 4 different parts of the thing and just. Is that strength 7 for me?
What I do
Yeah,
want
he's
to
poisoned as well.
Yeah. What I
Really
do want
good.
to point out here though is if you do lower his strength, even then, and he still hits all his attacks, those
It's still strength 7.
they're still strength 7 additional hits.
Because they're
Yeah.
fixed strength.
There's
yeah,
a fixed
right.
strength 7.
Yeah. A good initiative for a monster as well, and a
4,
reasonable save.
4 months. So
Yeah, not bad. Overall, really good. Really like them.
yeah, 2 points more of initiative over the Hydra, which is really interesting.
Yeah, they're quite quick, which means they're not susceptible to a lot of the problems that monsters suffer with, which is initiative-based attacks.
Purple Sun.
Purple Sun, Pendulum,
Pit
Pit
Shade.
Shades, and other things like
Off the top of your head.
Sepulchral Stalkers,
Yeah.
Bloodrake Medusa. No, things like Brass Orb's a big one. I've lost
Yeah.
count of
Oh,
times
Brass
I've
Orb,
decked
yeah.
monsters
Yeah.
with a Brass Orb.
Yeah.
Scare leave him in the way.
Secret is to put him 1 inch away, guys, so that when he drops it invariably on his own head, it still hits.
Still
and
hits.
stuff.
But yeah, I think we all like the Charybdis.
I like his model. It's not dirty.
I do.
I
like
think
his
they're
model,
all right. I don't think they're too many points. What, they're 160, I think.
160. Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
The same points as a base Hydra.
Yeah.
They have no upgrades.
Yeah, I think they're all right. Again, I think that with lots of cannons in the game, maybe they're less good, but
Has a blowhole in the middle of his chest.
they're not.
it does.
For me, they're just not expensive enough that I wouldn't want them.
Interesting.
It's just when we get back to opportunity cost.
They come out your Doomfire slot.
And I've stacked in my Doomfires, I've
Yeah.
stacked in my Executioners, which we already know. My Witches
Yeah.
have got my Cauldron, they're up to over 17.
Comes out your Bloodroot Medusa slot, which is really
And,
bad.
and if I want to do a really manoeuvrable army, which is
Sorry,
another
say it.
really strong option for this army, I think the problem is they're a bit more build around than they are.
Then the Hydra,
obviously
I think
dropping.
they definitely are.
Unless you go big, biggest. You
They
play
are,
big points,
yeah.
then you can drop them into
they
anything.
are on a leash of 6 as well, which is pretty too.
Yeah, they don't have the best leadership. The Hydra as well.
Leash of
is
6,
six
yeah.
as
We didn't
well,
mention
so
Hydra. They're both leash of 6.
Yeah, are they both not immune to psychology though?
Well, no.
They both cause terror.
Oh, okay.
Not immune
I didn't know
to-
if they're immune for things like panic, so
No.
they have to worry about
No.
panic basically.
Yeah, which keep an eye on it, but you should be.
Manoeuvrable.
Stick
units
around.
in your
Another
army.
interesting one because they have the monsters. They have the handlers on the back of the model, but don't
But
have
don't
the
have the monster in hand.
No, Monster and Handler's really a legacy rule. Very little. I think only Lizardmen were the
Hell
only.
Cannons.
Hell Cannons have it.
Yeah, they it's like two books
It's not a
kept
lot.
it. Most of
Three
the armies.
units in the game have it.
Yeah.
From my knowledge.
Yeah, and that,
Salamanders,
most of it.
Razordons,
And Hell Cannons.
Yeah, most of it went when they moved over to 8. So, although those 3 randomly got new books and didn't, well,
Just didn't get rid of the
The Hydra and Charybdis also got a new model in 8th.
Yeah.
That didn't get rid of the handlers.
no. But that's a design studio versus
Rules studio.
team
Yeah.
thing, which they do a lot.
And teamwork is sometimes not the best.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they don't always see everything to each other, I don't think.
No, we're going to move on though to the final flanking unit. It's taken us a while, but we're getting there. And we have the Sisters of Slaughter, the Witch Elf's older cousin, coming in with a competitive rating of 12 out of 24. So we get there with a 1 for strength of attacks, 2 for number of attacks, 4 for special rules, 1 for manoeuvrability, 2 for survivability, and 2 for cost. Their special rules is really why you take them.
Yeah.
+1 to hit and wound if their opponent has a higher strength or weapon skill than them. Unlikely to have a higher weapon skill. Very possible that they're going to have a higher strength. Because they are weapon skill 6 basic, which is very good. Couple of attacks each, but I really feel like they should have had 3 to be on par with the Witch Elves and just not had the frenzy.
They're not. The fluff-wise difference between these guys. These guys are gladiatorial fighters and then don't take like the potions that witch elves do, whereas the witches are priests of Cain, which makes them a bit mad.
Yeah, I think we associate them in our heads with being the same
The same sort of
the
cult.
same sort of cult, but they're
Because they're the
actually
same
quite.
kit.
What these guys are more closely akin to is if you played 40k is the witches from Dark Eldar.
Yes.
They are
Yeah, they're
yeah.
pit fighters,
They
aren't
are
they?
pit fighters, yeah.
Yeah, I only really see you using these in sort of small units of 5 to maybe 7.
1x5 with the little sticks.
Possibly. But you get into a flank, you squeeze onto the end of a combat, which is probably better. And then you'll get your 4-up ward save, which they get when they're in combat.
Yeah.
And you stop the enemy unit giving their rank bonus or being able to parry. Or,
Yeah, they have a list of things they can stop.
I think there's
don't
3
they?
things.
With Dance of Death, they get 4 ward save in combat. At the start of each round of combat, just choose an enemy unit in base contact. That unit receives no combat result bonus for extra ranks this turn, and models in that unit cannot make parry.
Oh, it's both.
Yeah, it's both.
Oh, I thought it was a choice.
No.
Oh, that's very
So
good.
you stick this in, say, a unit that's in combat with XX, and those killing blows are.
Yeah.
It does not affect, however, steadfast.
No,
No.
it's just combat result
Bonus.
bonuses for extra ranks.
Yeah.
But
Your exec killing enough will just have to be enough to get rid of the step.
I have seen them in bigger units. I know you're not a fan.
I wouldn't personally.
You lose a lot of attacks you take in with more ranks than anything above the front
Well,
rank.
I mean, I've seen them use 7x4 a couple of times.
That's a lot.
That's a big unit.
Yeah, I've also seen them used 6x3 a couple of times. You know who you are, people that have used those against me. But I will say, there's a lot of units that should be quite... They can catch you out. Trolls, terrified of them.
The plus
Crit
1 to hit wound
Taurus,
is very good.
terrified against them. Suddenly they're hitting you on a 2, they're re-rolling, they're wounding you on like a 4.
You say the trolls, they can also take magic stand at 50 points.
Yeah.
So you take the banner of eternal flame against those trolls and absolutely
Or
tear them
Or
apart.
Cryptaurus.
Or Cryptaurus.
They're a good monster hunting unit. Again, are they immune to psych?
No.
Anything like that?
No.
No? But they're not a bad little monster hunting unit in that regard.
The plus 1
because
to wound certainly
The
helps,
plus
doesn't
1
it?
to wound is
It's
pretty
hit and wound
ace.
though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but they're going to hit a
But
lot
then
of
they're
stuff.
gonna hit a
because
lot
they're
anyway.
always
So
strikes.
you hit
Reroll.
hit on 2s, re-rolling.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
never wound on worse than a 5 if you've got higher strength or weapon skill than them.
Yeah, rerolling once because I've got murderous prowess.
And I'm going to be honest, I've seen some cheeky stuff in the past as well where you think you're doing yourself a favour by dropping their weapon skill with, say, a bit of Melancholy Mystify Miasma, and then they're getting the plus 1 to wound against your basic troops,
No,
which is pretty rubbish.
They get before modifiers.
Oh,
for
is it before?
No, sorry, before modifiers for weapons.
Yeah,
With strength
Yeah.
That's what I thought,
characteristics.
yeah. So, yeah, pretty spicy.
I actually quite like them. They're not that expensive either. 15 points a model.
They're not cheap.
It's
Come
not.
out, you do
I
plus
love the fact that was such a Warriors of Chaos statement there, wasn't it?
Only-
They're not that
only 15
expensive.
points.
12-point Executioner.
Yeah, well, I'm used to like 20-point warriors of chaos.
Yeah.
They come out of your Doomfire slot.
Yeah,
They do.
and your Charybdis is in there as
And
well.
yeah.
And your blood red Medusas.
I think their big problem is they don't bring
Stop.
you anything you haven't got elsewhere,
Yeah, not really.
and they don't. What they bring they don't bring you more than the other versions of those units do. Like, for example, like Executioners will also kill monsters, which is probably their best shout. It'll also kill monstrous infantry if you take enough of them, which is another good shout for these guys. And they'll also kill knights, which these guys won't kill because
Lovely
they won't get
models,
through the armour.
Yeah. They are really
They're
nice
lovely
models.
models.
Yeah, I do like them.
I love the
I
shields.
imagine they're a nightmare to rank up though.
I mean, they're the same base as the witches, so they are a
yeah.
nightmare.
But they've got whips
They
going
do
everywhere
have whips
rather
as
than
well.
just blades. Nightmare. Look, there were some stunning scores in there and some stunningly low scores in the flanking units for the Dark Elves. But they do it really well. It's one of their sort of best roles, really. A lot of fast moving options. Even their monsters aren't slow, really.
I think
Moving 12 a turn.
they do everything well, Dark Elves, for me.
Yeah, and when the right units get into combat, they really do pack a punch. On to the next battlefield role now, though, and that is ranged units. So, a lot fewer in this list. There are Dark Shards, Shades, and Reaper Bolt Throwers. So, Dark Shards up first. They come in with a competitive rating of 12 out of 24. So, we get there with a score of 2 for threat range, 1 for strength of shot, 2 for accuracy, 3 for versatility, 1 for survivability, and 3 for cost. I've gone with a shield on these guys for that point of survivability, for a cheeky parry. Really solid unit, although it's not taken into account here. A really good place for a magic banner like the Banner of Eternal Flame.
It's mad how many units in a Dark Elf book can take a magic banner.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Absolutely
They're the least
insane.
restricted of any of the elves for magic banners.
Like, every unit apart from Dark Riders can take one, and Doomfire Warlocks.
I think if you look at the
Doomfires can't take it.
They can't take a banner.
I think was it 5 out of 6 core units can take them?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's insane.
that's crazy.
High elves get 1.
Wood Elves get 1.
1.
Yeah. just there.
Yeah. But the Flaming Shots is really good on them to strip off the sort of regen and things. It's also really good if you get them into combat with something like Executioners, They go first, they get a cheeky wound, strip the regen, the XX, absolutely decimate something like trolls or cryptoris.
Yes. Or just kill Hellpit Abominations by themselves. I've seen that.
Or kill Hellpits by themselves.
I've seen that.
With a hand weapon and a shield as well, they are better than. They're as good as Dark Shard. Yeah, they're as good as a Bleak Sword in combat, and they're basically probably better than a Dread Spear really as well.
They are just a Bleak Sword with a gun.
With a crossbow, yeah.
I say a gun, a crossbow.
They're just really, really good. They're the sort of versatile core that people want in their lives. They still have always strikes first. They still roll ones to win in combat as well.
Still a murderous prowess.
Yeah. Like that was, just in case you thought, I'll charge them. They're actually still alright in combat as well, sorry.
So, 12, it doesn't look like a fantastic score, but they're a solid unit, and they've always got their place, I think. I think you should always include at least one unit of Dark Shards, realistically.
They're not very expensive for what they do.
Really,
they're
12
very
points.
versatile.
13 with a shield.
13 with a shield.
Yeah, they're very versatile.
Yeah, like them a lot. Shades now then, and I like them a lot less, but they come in with a competitive rating of 10 out of 24. So it's 2 again for threat range, 1 for strength of shot, 3 for accuracy, 3 for versatility, 0 for survivability, and 1 for cost. Now, I don't think this is their best role, in my opinion, because I just don't think they kill anything, or enough really for their points. They can be used as a dedicated shooting threat though, which is why they're here. Bit like the Dark Shards and any bow-based weapon really, the strength 3 hurts their score quite a lot, as does a complete lack of save in the case of the
Unless
Shades.
you buy it.
Yeah, you can buy light armour. I really don't think there's a point. If you could buy a shield, I'll be honest, even then I probably wouldn't, because I'd buy them an additional hand weapon or a great weapon, so they actually killed other chaff.
I'd buy the great weapon.
Yeah,
I'd buy a great weapon on.
Yeah,
this is interesting. I know we disagree on these. I don't think they're a 1 for cost. I think they're a 2 for cost.
16 points is a lot.
I think they're good. I think they're good. I think a unit of 5, 16 points a model is 80 points. I'm paying 8 points a shot for them. Which I think is pretty decent when they're ballistic skill 5.
Yeah, they're ballistic skill 5.
Yeah.
They've got armour piercing. I like them. I like them a lot.
I just don't think they're killing them.
Scout. They march and shoot. Well, they don't get charged. Don't give their points away.
No. But then if they don't get charged, if you don't use them in that role, okay, I suppose you could go hunt war machines if you find a lot of war machines and use them in the chaff role. But if they don't get charged, if you don't use them in that role, what realistically a 10 strength 3 armor piercing shot's going to do for you? Maybe kill some chaff.
You took crossbowmen.
Yeah, but you took more than 5.
But what? But I can take more than that on these. If I take units of 10 instead of
And
taking...
their core, you have to spend
Yeah, so
that
you
time.
Yeah, but I'm going to take witches and dark riders. So
Yeah.
I'm not losing out necessarily.
You've also got a ton of shots from your Dark Riders.
Yeah, I have.
Because they've obviously got...
But they're good at shooting. Everything's good at shooting in this book.
Yeah.
I don't dislike them. I've seen people use them in big units and have them on the back line in 10s. They're -1s be hit back. They start at BS5 when you're shooting back at them because of skirmish. And then they can run around into awkward shapes and be difficult. They're basically skink skirmishers at that point, but they're skink skirmishers with double the range and armor piercing.
And double the points. Almost.
Yeah. Yeah, but they've got double the range, armor piercing and better ballistic skill. And they can take a great weapon if I want them to. They can be... they're a moderate all-round threat. I think they've got lots of options. I don't think they're breaking the game. I think 2 points for cost is probably what I'd give them. It wouldn't improve them greatly. They're not going to ever be improved greatly. Range units struggle in 8th edition Warhammer.
Yeah, they do.
The game is fast, the game is combat dominated, and magic is also very powerful.
And generally, ranged weapons are overcosted.
Absolutely, absolutely. Range weapons are expensive. You never get the bodies you need when you start buying bows. So, I think that combination, like you say, has made shooting a lot less good. So that's why when we see a good shooting weapon,
it's like,
a good shooting unit getting like an 18 or a 20, you're like,
yeah.
That's only really held for like the war machines and stuff like that.
Yeah, in general, yeah. So I think for me, I'd get an extra point. 11's not gonna break the difference on them, is it? Let's be real.
I agree with Scott. I do think they are too many points.
Yeah, I know you guys agree on it. So
it's taking points out of my Cold One Chariots and the High Def Executioners, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think I think this is interesting though. This because we're getting into the meat of this now.
Yeah.
What I think is interesting is I think you see list A, but we're talking about a lot of other units now, like the Hydras, the Cryptices, the Cold One Chariots, and we're saying these are all workable in a competitive list.
Bloodback Reducers.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, let's not take them in. These are all workable in a competitive frame.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dark Elves are probably the army I've seen the most just use one list.
Which because
It's
that
the
list,
only army I've ever seen that uses the... Sorry, apart maybe the Wall of Nurgle as well.
Yeah.
But demons had more choices from the list because of the other gods. But Dark Elves the only army I've ever seen just use one list repetitively.
yeah,
But
but
I don't think that means that they're the only units and combinations
They're
that
not.
works.
That's just list
they're
data.
just the most points effective. Morothai is underpointed.
Yeah.
The executions
Oh,
are
well, we'll get
underpointed.
onto her later.
I've got to be honest. You guys went for 3 on witches. I'd have gone for 4. I think they're underpointed. So
I think they're
again, and I
underpointed
think
when
it's a
combined-
shot.
When combined with the Cauldron, they're underpointed.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
for me, that, you know, witches with a cauldron are an 18. We've got them at 17 in the
Yeah.
dive. I think it's
Yeah,
all there's fine
yeah.
details because there's always some element where we have to sort of draw a line and say, well, what's your opinion? What's mine? We come to a group consensus. But I think that's the problem is that even if you say they're a 17, puck a 17 in core, well undercosted elite infantry in special, undercosted rare choice fast cavalry,
Yeah.
dirty wizard does everything. Sick. Undercosted best special character wizard in the game. So I've put all that in. And
You're not
what I'm doing now is I'm putting sprinkles on my
Just
donut.
flavouring to taste.
That's it. I'm just putting the sprinkles on my donut.
But you're right. I do see them in a role if you wanted to try and break the norm of your Dark Elf armies.
I think they can be alright.
I do see them in there, but I do
Really
think they
good
are,
for Highlander armies as well.
I do think I still think they are a little bit too many
Yeah,
cards.
that's why we've got them at a 1.
Yeah.
Finally, then,
That was
for range.
a lot of shades.
Yeah, it was.
Well, we covered lots of other things
Yeah.
at back, didn't we, as well?
But finally, we are going to move on to the Reaper Bolt Thrower. These come in with a, I'll be honest, quite shockingly high competitive rating of 19 out of 24.
Do you think so?
I think that's shockingly high for a Bolt Thrower, yeah.
If you had John in one of these chairs, he'd be biting your leg off for saying that.
Yeah, maybe it's just you, because you're a rubbish for Bolt
Mine are
Throwers.
rubbish for me. but-
Except they're Goblin Spear Chuckers.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
Flying Bretonians.
And they kill Bretonians.
Just machine gun bolt throwers.
Still won though, didn't I?
Oh, come on.
So anyway, we get to that 19 with a 3 for threat range, a 3 for strength of shot, a 2 for accuracy, a 4 for versatility, a 4 for survivability, and a 3 for cost. Our regular deep divers will know that's exactly the same score as the high elf version.
It's the
They're the
exact
same thing.
It's
They
the
are
exact same thing.
exactly the same thing. The crew have got murderous prowess rather than martial prowess,
Which is better.
which is better because they can never use martial prowess.
They have martial
But
prowess.
They're a
everything
high
has
elf.
martial prowess.
Yeah, they're a high elf.
Just in case you want to rank up your bolt thrower at a certain point.
If only you could attach the bolt for a crew and join into another unit. If only that was a rule.
I'm going to be honest, they are better than high elf ones.
Good,
because
because
they're in
they're
the
proud.
special slot.
Yeah, you
that's
can
fair.
have more of them.
No, they have the same restrictions. They both have an amended special rule. I think it's just there.
It's that one.
The high elves have it the same that says you can take 4 in a regular army or 8 in a grand army.
Yep.
I thought theirs was 6 or 12.
No, it's not.
That's
it's still
why,
4
yeah,
or
it's
8.
Is it still
mate.
4?
Yeah.
No,
okay.
Yeah. It says it there. Mate.
No, I'm on about the
Oh,
high
high
elf
elf
ones.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
high
yeah,
elf
yeah.
one, I knew doubled it.
Yeah.
I thought theirs
No,
doubled
no.
it as well.
Well, theirs used to be in rare as well. Randomly,
Right,
they went
okay.
to special, and I think it's because they wanted this idea that black arcs are common and that raiding fleets
Yeah.
is the way Dark Elves play, and they're all stacked on the black arc deck, so
Yeah.
you'd have lots. Cool. But what it means is that unlike the High Elf book, where I'm crammed in against Frostheart Phoenix's sisters and all that other really juicy stuff, these guys are coming out of a slot that I can spend 1,250 points on in an average competitive game, and they're 70 points each.
Yeah, they are.
They are cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah. As with all bolt throwers and all war machines, really, placement is key.
Yep.
As if they're charged, their survivability falls to 0.
Plummets.
Unless you're fighting a certain Terrence the Pterodon, as we all know.
Terry.
Terry took it easy on you, mate.
You give him his full
title.
His full title. Terrence, who has
Well,
died.
it's, he's posthumous. You've got
Yeah,
to
Terrence
give
of
some respect.
House Pterodon.
Who has died in every single game he's come across.
Yeah, he
Oh,
has. But if you do protect them, you can really get a lot out of them. The multiple shot types is very good.
It's not multiple shots, just 6 shots.
Yeah,
That's
the multiple
another thing.
shot types.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
As in the big bolt or multi-shot.
Little bolts.
Which is not multi-shot, it's just 6 individual
Yeah,
shots.
it's not,
So
you
good.
don't get the -1 to it.
No. Multiple wounds, ignoring arm saves, all good things. A Wood Elf's dream.
Yeah, they are. Strength 4 armor piercing as well on the base shot, on the
little
multiple
bolts.
shot.
Yeah.
Means that they eviscerate almost. They're a threat against every unit type in the game.
Yeah.
yeah.
Why on earth did Wood Elves not get bolt throwers? Come on, G.
Because they're too static.
They're
for
a
their
bit
play.
static for them, yeah.
So War Machine is too static.
What, Blade Guard aren't static?
They can move. They can still shoot.
So can a bolt thrower.
You
Can't shoot though.
try lugging a bolt thrower.
Well, hang on.
Maybe
A
5
bolt
inches.
thrower made, like carried by a tree of some description.
I just carry like a gun. It'd be like that, wouldn't it? Just
It's a shame the tree men couldn't have bows and stuff.
I want a tree man with a crossbow that's actually a bolt thrower.
But imagine getting it and then its rules being like the giant, the bone giant, being so disappointed.
I mean, it'd just be a tree man with a strength 7 bow.
Tree men are skill 6.
Yeah, but I'm not going to pay 300 points for a strength 6 shot.
For a bolt thrower.
Oh, strength 6 or if it fires 6 shots a piece though. You might do.
Yeah, 50 points a shot.
Exactly.
Anyway, we like the bolt thrower. Very good.
Yeah, John swears by them, never leaves home about them. Tim Richardson, Napoleonic Wargamer, always takes them, swears by them. It's just me who has the bad luck with them. Yeah, I just don't have very good luck with them. I'm going to bring them to the channel again soon though.
And failed to hit.
En masse.
On to Dark Elf Chaff now though, and it's an area I think you'll see they really excel in, thanks to one unit in particular, or one unit more than others, let's say. But we've got Dark Riders, Shades again, Harpies, and the return of the Bloodwrack Medusa. Spoilers, they don't excel thanks to the Bloodwrack Medusa. But we're going to leave her till last. We are going to start with Dark Riders.
Petty.
With a hot competitive rating of 18 out of 24.
Hot! H-A-W-T.
Hot. We get there with a score of 4 for manoeuvrability, 3 for number of attacks, 3 for special rules, 4 for slot, 1 for survivability, but 3 for cost. It is worth noting though that their survivability, when compared to other chaff in this book and across the books really,
in the game,
is fantastic.
Yeah.
4-up armour save on fast cavalry.
They're basically chaff with a save.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because most people chuck a cheeky strength 4 hit at them and
then
they're dead.
Yeah.
But these guys are like,
Yeah,
third of the time I mugged that off.
Yeah.
Very Essex for me there as well.
Mug it off.
A lot of people don't expect the 4-up save on fast cav.
No one expects the Spanish.
I think they're still the only fast cavalry. Wild Riders, they stay fast cavalry if they purchase a shield. But all the other stuff that can purchase shields, they lose it, don't they, if they take the shield?
No, it's only like the old books.
It's only the older books.
Orcs and Goblins, they're an 8th edition book, they lose it.
I don't think they do.
They do. If you purchase shields, they lose fast.
Sorry, their characters don't. Their units do.
Yeah, and again with the Chaos Dwarves, they also lose it.
Yeah.
And the Hobgoblin Wolf Raiders.
They said the unit does. The characters don't. I don't think.
No, I think they do, but I think that you can take a magical shield and it doesn't count, or something stupid like that. It's proper stupid.
It's more than you think that don't lose fast cavalry these days.
It's still absolutely filth.
Yeah, but they are there as some of the best fast cavalry in the game.
Right, they're the best chaff fast cavalry.
Yeah. It's worth putting out that obviously I have taken the shield and I've taken the repeater crossbows on these guys as well.
Why wouldn't you?
Why would you not? So the shield obviously ups their survivability and their number of attacks are upped by the repeater crossbow. Spear on the charge for strength 4, rerolling 1s to wound means these guys are actually more than a match for most other chaff as well.
Easy.
And artillery pieces, which fast cav got hunting after.
Yeah, really good against artillery. I'll say it, I think they're the best chaff in the game.
Probably. Yeah, they're really good. It's the slot.
The fact they're core, the fact they're points, the fact they've got the 4-up save, their strength 4 on the charge, their reroll 1s to win, they've got shooting attacks.
You can see things like Eagles making an argument if they were core, but it's the fact that they're core,
the fact that Eagles are rare.
It's all the good stuff, and I'm core.
Yes, and you can spam me, and it's points you have to spend.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, really good. But we're going to return to Shades now. They're skulking out the shadows again, with a competitive rating of 11 out of 24. So this is compared to the 10 we had them at, because their cost score hasn't changed. James, would up their cost score again, so there'd be a 12.
Yeah, I would. I think 80 points for a throwaway unit's pretty good. I don't think you're spending too much there. But again, it's 6-1 after the other. It's not going to make a big difference. They're still decent in the chaff roll. Still second bet? No, well, about around the middle, aren't they?
Around the middle.
Middle for diddle.
But we get to that 11 with a 2 for manoeuvrability, a 3 for number of attacks, a 3 for special rules, a 2 for slot, 0 for survivability, and a 1 for cost. So not a great score again for the Shades, but of the 2 rolls, it is their better score. I've gone with the additional hand weapon on them for the extra attack, because I think you need it really to make sure that if they do get involved with other chaff, they actually kill it.
They want to mix it with the chaff.
Weapon skill 5 means they're hitting almost everything they fight on 3s. They're good war machine killers as well, because they're scout.
Yeah.
So,
I think other chaff, the additional hand weapon is better, because generally chaff stuff is 3. Generally. If you're going for war machines, great weapons are probably better, because it's probably only got 2 or 3 wounds. So you can afford to miss one of the attacks.
Yeah. I think
and then you wound it on probably a 2 with
I'd still
ones.
probably take great weapons on them for myself.
Okay.
I would still just take great weapons. I think strength 5 is really
The
nice.
standard shoot as well if they're smart with
Yeah.
their positioning and
Yeah.
other chaff want to charge them. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think they're alright. I think they're okay.
I think they're okay as chaff.
Problem is they're not Dark Riders,
Yeah.
which are core.
They're not Dark Riders, no. And Dark Riders pretty much get to where Shades can be in, say, a turn.
20 points more, I'd definitely buy the Dark Riders, particularly when they're coming
100%.
out of a slot, have to pay points for. It's just that Highlander thing for me.
Yeah.
That's where you would see them,
Yeah.
I think, and they're really sharp in that list.
Yeah, I agree. On to the Harpies then, and it's their debut in the deep dive. They come in with a competitive rating of 12 out of 24, so slightly better than the Shades. We get there with a score of 4 for manoeuvrability, 2 for number of attacks, 2 for special rules, 2 for slot, 0 for survivability, and 2 for cost. Not a terrible score, really. 12's not bad. Obviously let down by their lack of save, but what chaff isn't?
No.
Dark Riders.
They're the exact same as a Beastman Harpy.
Yeah, they should be.
yeah.
They should be the exact same score, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that they fly, so they get skirmish.
Yeah, they're
Which is
decent at
nice.
zipping over and sort of hunting down the war machine as well.
Very quick.
Initiative 5 or 2 attacks.
Mm.
2 attacks is weird. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but...
The old models used to be like this,
Yeah, the...
which I used to imagine is why they have 2 attacks, because they do that.
Climb the ladder.
Yeah.
Because they got claws, so it's like having an additional hand weapon, I guess.
Yeah.
Because they just go like that.
Everyone's got a hand, though, don't they?
Yeah, but me going like that doesn't hurt. If I had like 6, 7, 8 inch
Oh,
long
me
claws,
giving you 2 slaps
it really
does,
hurt.
does hurt, though.
I don't know, you slap like a child.
Not like a harpy.
Not like a
No,
harpy.
apparently not, no.
But yeah, they're cheap enough as well. Any sort of character is probably out of their league, to be honest, but good at hunting down war
Any
machines.
sort of character.
Well, I mean, they are, unless they're a lone wizard
I
with
seem to
literally
recall
no save.
the big challenge with these guys is leadership.
League
Yeah.
is 6, yeah. But unlike some of the other stuff, these guys can keep up with your generals
Yes.
because of the flyer.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
can hang out.
They can hang.
Yeah, I think they're alright.
Yeah, I think they're a really good example of why Flyer is such an exceptional special rule. If these didn't have Fly, they would be trash. They could still be movement 10, even. But if they didn't fly, they would be significantly worse.
Yeah, they're very good for killing war machines, these guys, because they can
Yeah.
charge over the top of intervening units, which is huge.
It is worth noting, though, that they don't have ASF or martial prowess because they're not actually an elf.
No.
Or even murderous prowess.
Or murderous
They
prowess,
don't-
even.
Don't know
They,
about
on-
that.
they only have fly.
They do only have Fly.
But they are ridiculously low pointed. I think they're like 11 points.
15 points.
Really?
Yeah. They're not that cheap.
No,
75 points for a minimum unit,
Oh, that's okay,
Yeah.
I suppose.
which is why they got a 2.
Yeah, alright.
The final chaff choice then, it's a bit niche, so bear with us. We're back to the Bloodrack Medusa, coming in with a competitive rating of 10 out of 20.
Yes!
We get there with a score of 1 for manoeuvrability, 4 for number of attacks, 2 for special rules, 1 for slot, 1 for survivability, and another 1 for cost.
Yes!
You might be thinking, hang on a minute, Frenzy at Leadership 2, that makes for terrible redirecting. And you would be absolutely right.
So Scott has devised a way to mitigate
The
this.
joys of being a single model, though, is that you can reform as much as you like. So this gal can rock up 14 inches. Yeah, she's movement 7, baby. And just turn around.
As long as she's not 19 inches away from something and doesn't have to test to charge it before she tries to move. No, you are right though. I'm taking the mickey a little bit.
Just deploy her backwards. I did it with Vargeists. If you played me or saw me play at the North Remembers, I did it with Vargeists
I must admit,
a lot.
Yeah,
it was so weird. I played against you
And
on
they're,
this.
they're leadership 7.
I played against that unit, and it's so weird to see Vargas
It's like, no,
moonwalking
they're
backwards towards you. Just moonwalking.
They're backwards.
You're right, mate.
Absolutely
Pivot,
finesse some
fly,
of destroyers
pivot.
in a practice game
You did,
with
yeah.
flying them backwards. It was great.
Yeah,
Spirit Eyes.
I don't think there's a lot
Yeah.
to say, Scott. I
No.
really don't. They'll kill other chaff quite well, but
Yeah.
then they'll run out of position doing it
Yeah, they were.
Yeah,
because they're frenzied. So.
Yeah.
Even if they can charge, obviously you're facing backwards towards the enemy chaff.
And 90 points when we've just talked about 75 for the harpies,
Yeah.
80 for the things that shades that you don't like, and 105 for the Dark Riders. I think when they're
For the
100.
best chaff in the game.
100 is it?
100, yeah, 20
Yeah.
points
So
overall.
again, so I'm looking and going.
And you've got to buy their spears or crossbows, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, the 60-point model. Spear crossbows is 3 and the shield is 1.
Oh,
okay, apologies. Yeah,
100.
I know they're 100. And I think it's Reavers are 105 because I think no, they're 95. Insultingly,
Yeah.
the 5 points is clearly not reasonable for double the shots and extra save. But yeah, I think that's the other problem is that you're looking and going, they're not actually cheaper. In fact, they're more expensive than 2 of the 4 chaff options.
And the only one she's not more expensive than is probably the best chaff in the game.
Yeah, and she's
core.
Worst slot of the lot as well.
Oh,
She's
100%,
rare.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, but you could.
We're nice like that.
I do it just so you can mess with your opponent's mind. Like, what is he doing? He bring a blood rate. Obviously, this guy's got something up his sleeve. I don't. It's just that
I don't even have sleeves. I'm wearing a vest.
you wear a string vest. You wear a sleeves. You know, this is just an illusion.
Triple crown vest. I'm gonna do you a
Is
triple crown
it a
vest.
spaghetti string vest?
Maybe.
Anyway, our final section before we take on the special characters is support units. And the Druchi have 3. So 2 shrines and some wizard cav.
I wonder what one of those shrines is.
We've got the Cauldron of Blood, the Blood Rack Shrine, and the Doomfire Warlocks again. Starting with the Cauldron of Blood. Or, as it's otherwise known, the only competitive choice for your Death Hag, with a competitive rating of 20 out of 24.
I'm just not surprised.
Yeet.
We get there with a 1 for manoeuvrability, but don't worry, it gets significantly better everywhere else. 4 for special rules, 4 for synergy, 3 for risk, 4 for survivability, and 4 for cost. I mean, I wasn't surprised when I worked this out.
No, it's really strong.
At all, really. I'm sure neither of you are.
This is
either.
the key component of the Witch Star.
It is really. Anyone who's been to a competitive event has almost certainly seen 1 or more of these gracing the tables.
Although you still see huge chunks of the community that are like, they're not competitive. I don't know why you would
Wait,
take
what?
one. They're such a big risk.
Really?
Or they can
Says
just
this?
die to a cannon. Seriously.
I've never seen it.
Seriously.
So can any character with a 4-up wall save. You
Yeah,
still take
yeah,
them.
but they're in a unit with a lookout
No,
service.
you
They
know,
can
well,
get
they're
a
not,
lookout
because they're on a
service.
flying horse, obviously.
They're not all Manfred with no wall save. But
He didn't die to a cannon.
but you do
That's
still
the
see
tyrant.
this. There's still this hardcore kind of chunk in the community
Really?
that is like, well, they're so dealable with, but they just, you know,
I'm sorry, I've never come across anyone who says
No?
that. But
Okay.
I will say it to camera, I think you're wrong.
Yeah, no,
I've never seen anyone that says
No.
this. Anyone I've spoken to, this is terrifying.
I can tell you at Triple Crown 1, it was 1 with a Witch Elf unit like that, with that, and there was a group of guys there that were genuinely like, I just don't understand how the guy's done it. And had like a 20-minute conversation with the winner about how it was possible that you could do that with a unit like that. And the guy, you know, he's like, well, I've just put fast cavalry behind your unit, and then when I overrun, I don't go very far.
Overrun like 4 inches.
Control my frontage with all my amazing fast cavalry. I kill anything that you care about with my wizard or with my witches because they're really strong. Like I say, it's really good. It's really
they're fantastic.
They're powerful.
Dark elves and elves in general struggle in combat to consistently win things unless they are wielding a great weapon.
Yeah.
And this takes away all of that inconsistency, really.
Why roll dice when you can re-roll those dice?
Yeah. So it allows any unit with a murderous prowess special rule to reroll all fail to win rolls instead of just rerolling one.
And that's in combat. It's not your dark shards.
We FAQ'd that.
Oh, was that a main FAQ?
No, it's never had
Dark
that.
Elves never got one.
Do you know? So we FAQ. It's not your dark shards.
Not your dark shards
also,
or your magic.
It's not just limited to the unit it's part of. It's units
No,
within 6.
every unit within 6. Yeah.
And yes, in combat, yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. On a unit like Witch Elves with 3 attacks already, 4 because it's got a bound spell that will give them extra friendly.
Yep.
If you
potentially
want to
an
do
extra
that.
So
attack,
up to 4. They're 3 attacks already. Initiative 6. They'll probably re-roll their hits as well against almost anything that's not
Because
a
they're
very quick
ISF.
character.
They've got poison.
Yeah, they've got poison. I often joke that you just keep rolling dice until you get the numbers you
Yeah,
want.
we say that all the time.
But to be honest, you're not wrong.
Yeah, you
You're not
really
wrong.
you just pick up the dice 4 times and go, yeah, I've got loads of 5s and 6s. That'll do.
Yeah.
Even
So
it
good.
itself is just really good. Like itself has frenzy, so all the witch elf crew, they have
Yeah.
like their 6 attacks
Yeah,
with the crew.
there's 2 witches on the
Two witches
on the
on
thing.
yourself on the thing itself.
Yeah, plus the Death Hag that's
Plus
mounted
the hag,
there. Or,
who has
or Hellebron if you want to put Hellebron.
who have like 5 or 4 attacks, or
5 minimum, I think.
Sorry, 8 attacks.
Do you know
Yeah.
what's incredibly underrated about it that people totally miss?
It can march.
It causes terror.
Yeah.
Now, the amount of times you see people put a redirector in front of it, and then the Dark Elf player says, "Take your terror check, mate."
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, well, I'm miles away from my general. Oh, I failed.
There you are.
I tested redirecting that to that really big, horrible unit I wanted to smash up with my witches. Oh, I've passed. I'm leadership 9. Probably got a reroll because I've got...
the chick on the cauldron's probably got the big old banner.
Yeah, the death bag's probably a BSB.
Yeah.
Which is also, incidentally, an 18-inch BSB if you manage
it's a large target.
because it's a large target.
It's a chariot, so it has impact hits.
Strength
Yeah.
5.
Strength
D6
5.
plus 1 on the side.
Is it side as well?
I think
I'll double
so.
check. Let's
I'm not sure, but it does have murderous prowess, and we had this at the GC a few weeks ago. There's nothing that says it doesn't re-roll them on the impact hits. Doesn't re-roll
Special
them on
rules
the
don't
impact
apply
hits.
to impact hits.
Yeah,
and
see,
stops.
now that's what I said, and then we looked, and there was nothing that said that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for stomps there is, but not for impact. not for impact
Is it
hits.
specifically stumps?
It has
Oh, okay,
side,
fair enough.
so it's decent
Does
plus
also.
1.
Decent
Yeah,
as well.
we will check that when we take a brief break in a moment. But that is, at the side of the table in the heat at the moment. I couldn't find it, so we ruled
Fair,
it. Could do it.
fair.
Magic Res
I'll
1
be
as
honest,
well.
even if you don't get to reroll the wounds from the impact hits. Oh no.
Yeah, it's really good.
Magic Res 1, and it ups the survivability of your Witch Elves to
It does
something
massively.
crazy.
So any unit the cauldron is in gets a 6-up wall save.
Mm-hmm.
Any Death Hag, Witch, or Hellebron,
Witch Elves, Hags, or Death Hags, including Harablon, yeah.
including Hellebron, instead get a 5-up wall save. Insane. That also counts for the Death Hag who is on the cauldron.
Yeah.
So she gets the 5-up
And
as
if
well.
Hellebron goes on the cauldron, hers is a 4+.
Hers is
wall
4
save.
plus.
The
Yeah.
Cauldron itself has a 4+ ward save
Yeah,
as
The
well.
cauldron
it
itself has
does.
a 4+ wall save, so 3 up against any of those spells that
It's
you're
got Magic
particularly
Res
worried
1.
about. I mean, yeah, it's insane. It's got the Bound Frenzy spell, like we said, which I don't actually think has to affect each unit. I think it's like got a 12-inch range.
Single unit with 12 inches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really good.
Augment Bound Power level 3.
Yeah, that is just
Low
one
power
dice.
level, innate as well. So
Will of the Gods is probably the bit that needs to be discussed here a little bit. Will of the Gods, the model has no steeds to draw it, but can use its own movement value. Unlike other chariots, it can also march. It can also join units and leave it as if it was a character, save for the fact it must always be placed in the centre of the front rank. Only one model with special rule can join each unit. So usually these units being like sort of the Screaming Bell and the Plague Furnace, they can't leave the units and they can't move.
They can't move without them either. No,
No.
but a cauldron can.
This thing can just run around by itself.
Yep.
If it really
It
wants
is worth
to.
pointing out though, it has no leadership value.
Doesn't.
So if the Death Hag dies,
Yeah.
it will auto fail any leadership based test it has to take, and it will not be able to rally, which is quite funny.
No.
Why does the Witch Elf crew not have leadership?
They just don't.
Why?
hilarious.
Very amusing.
Why
but,
don't they have
hilarious.
it's
leadership?
very amusing.
Oh,
It's really strong.
But I mean, yeah, to be honest, just don't run it on its own.
you could run behind.
Yeah, I could sort of see the arguments, but then why are you not just putting it in the unit to give them a ward save?
Yeah, well, I mean, you gave it a 3 for risk because you don't have to.
'Cause you don't
risk
have
it.
to, yeah.
But I mean, I agree. I would put it in the front. It's not a massive risk when it's as hard to kill as
This
it is.
thing-
And the Death Hag on the back dishes so much damage. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
There.
5 attacks minimum. Give her the Rune of Cain,
well,
I think it is, for the extra D3.
She got 3 attacks base.
Yeah.
She frenzy for 4.
4.
And then the Rune of Cain.
Rune of
can
Cain
give
gives you an additional
D3
D3
for
attack.
potentially 7.
And if you don't take magic weapon, you also have the paired weapons that she comes with.
Yeah, if you do take a magic weapon, you can take all sorts of hideous combinations,
Yeah.
which we'll save for a competitive character video at some point,
Yeah.
I
So
suppose.
say
Or
she can
any of the lists that have got a cauldron in.
Yeah,
She can only take magic weapons though.
She can only take
yeah,
magic
which is reasonable, because could you imagine with the Crown of Command?
I don't
Oh
think,
no, you flanked me. I'm leadership 9.
I don't think a lot of people would want to know a thing about the Crown of Command. And that's
She also
won.
effectively gets, if you mount her on a cauldron, she effectively gets a 30-point talisman for free.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
and a 15-point talisman as well with the
yeah.
MR1.
Little
Yeah.
cheeky combo there. It's lovely.
This
Very
thing's
nice.
ridiculous.
It is.
I don't know
It
what
is.
crazy people James talking to, but
Yeah. Look, you, as I said, you'd be losing out on the wall save if you don't put it in the unit. So I definitely recommend keeping it in a unit, and the first choice for that, obviously, is Witch Elves. We did a tale not too long ago on what other
Beneficiaries of
units. It
Yeah.
was the Beneficiaries of Blood.
yeah.
I do like a bit of alliteration.
You do.
It sometimes takes me a while to come up with them. But we did a tale on which other units are actually quite good for it. So I would definitely recommend going to check that out
yeah.
if you didn't want to go for your classic witch stuff. But we're going to move on to the next unit and the next shrine, which is going to see a mythological fall from grace.
come on now.
This is the Bloodrack Shrine with a competitive rating of 13 out of 24. So better than the Medusa on its own. That's a plus. We get there with a 1 for manoeuvrability, a 3 for special rules, a 3 for synergy, a 2 for risk, A 3 for survivability is relatively hard to kill still, and a 1 for cost. Not as bad as I thought it was going to be, I've got to say. Its special rules are actually quite good.
Yeah, it still has the Avert Your Gaze and Blood Rack Stare that Blood Rack Medusa has.
Yeah, it's got a +1 leadership to Dark Elf units within 6, which is meh, and a -1 leadership to all other units within 6, which is pretty good. Combined with the terror that it causes.
It's got to charge within 6 though, isn't it, to get the bonus
Yes.
for that. But it means they're more likely to fail a fear check, which I suppose is something.
Yeah.
I want to say that
I did say it's unlikely to make your opponent fail their terror check,
sorry.
because you're probably going to be charging from more than 6 inches away, but it will help them fail the fear check when you get into combat.
Yeah, there you go. Look, you heard it first.
what's interesting though, this does have a leadership.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Leadership 8.
Yeah.
So I don't know why the Corsair doesn't have a
I
leadership.
think
There
it's
is.
probably because it's a mountain and they just didn't think of it.
Yeah.
Whereas this one is actually a rare choice.
It is
actually
a rare choice, yeah.
which can join units
It's-
like the Cauldron.
It's got the Will of the
It's got the
Gods
same rule.
Yeah. Doesn't have water though, it's only got 6 bomb save.
Yeah, it's just tough. It's toughness 5.
Toughness 6.
6
With 5 wounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's okay.
I mean, it's got a bigger base size. Does it have a bigger base size with the Avert Your Gaze thing? Yeah, it does. It's bigger than 50 mil, is it, on the front edge?
Yeah, 60.
Yeah,
Yeah.
60.
Yeah, it's got a bigger base size for Avert Your Gaze, which is something,
Sure.
I suppose.
Sure.
James turns his nose up.
Look.
Some core elements on the model.
Yeah. All in all, the 175 point price tag is insane. I don't want to pay 90 points for the Medusa. Why am I spending 85 points for a 6-inch +/-1 leadership bubble and some impact hits?
You improve our leadership quite a lot. It's like 8.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what you do. You keep
You
your
pay
blood-
10 points for those 8 points leadership right there. 10 points per point.
You take the shrine, you take 2 singular Blood Rack Medusas and up the leadership by 1 to 3 if you want to. It's an option. Silence is down.
It screams. It screams. We finished the Dark Elf Army book. You know that Cauldron of Blood kit makes 2 kits. Sorry, what?
Oh, make some rules, make some rules.
Give me 20 minutes. I need an espresso now. That's what it screams to me.
Yeah.
It
Because
just.
they came from nowhere, the Medusas. They weren't in
No, in the previous
book, were
books,
they?
no.
No, they've always sort of been a suggestion of it in the background. I really like that. It goes back to that kind of Greek mythos that the elves in Warhammer have a touch of. I think it's really cool. I actually think they're a massively undermined option. I
Yeah,
feel
they
like
could have been made
done
a lot
such
better.
cool stuff with them, and they could have done like a Cult of the Gorgon type thing, particularly
Yeah.
with Hecate, where you've got that crossover with the kind of Gorgon's lore there anyway. So, but you know they didn't. It's rubbish. Please move on.
Yeah, we shall to the final support unit, and it gets a lot better again. This is the final one we'll look at
Support
today.
unit sandwich.
Yeah,
With bread, poor
the,
filling.
It's the final unit we'll look at today before we go on to special characters, and it's once again the Doomfire Warlocks, who come in with a competitive rating of 20 out of 24 again. A 4 for manoeuvrability, a 4 for special rules, a 3 for synergy and risk, 2 for survivability, and a 4 for cost.
So 2 points better than flanking.
2 points better than flanking. It comes to something when you say they're let down by their score of 2 for survivability for their 4-up ward save.
Yeah, what I'm saying is not that good,
They're
obviously.
only having a 4-up
Yeah.
save that they get against basically everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm happy it's not the only thing. They have 6 of armor save.
Good.
Keep that.
Back
In
to the
mind.
dizzying heights then. These guys are fantastic. We saw them in the flanking roll score at that 18. Very good. And that didn't actually really take into account any of their spells. That
No.
flanking roll score.
We touched on the debuff buff, didn't we? We didn't
Yeah.
touch on.
But as in their score itself
Didn't include
it wasn't
any
affected
magic.
by their spells. Now we're only looking at their spell casting. So none of their combat stats, which we discussed, were very good.
Yeah.
And they score a fantastic 20 out of 24.
I think bubbling that 24 in Soulblight is huge.
The true power of the Doomfires, a bit like the Terrorgeist from the Vampire Deep Dive, it comes from when you combine those two roles.
Yeah.
You use them in combat, maybe turn 4, 5, 6, get them in the flank of something. I mean, they're really good at killing chaff, whatever turn of the game is.
Yeah, they're good early doors for that as well.
Yeah, and you combine that with their spells across the game, and they are fantastic.
I think this is the thing that you hit the nail on the head there. They're so flexible. You play your first game at a GT and they dance around for 4 turns, blowing stuff away with Doombolt, dropping the crucial Soul Blight when it matters. They go in on turn 5 to the flank of a big block
Yeah.
and get the job done. You know, you play the second game, they charge Chaff turn 1, they kill a War Machine turn 2, and then turn 3 onwards they cast support spells and blow up stuff with Doombolt. It's a complete opposite flip use, and yet they provide something in every scenario because they've got a powerful hex, a powerful magic missile, and really decent combat
solid combat stats.
They're always useful and always on the move as well.
And abhorrent manoeuvrability.
That's what I've said. You throw out some Doombolts, drop some Soul Blights, later turns where you just need a bit more punch in a combat, you want to finish some stuff off, chuck them in the flank. They might only kill 3 or 4 guys. They'll probably kill a lot more, but they might, fluff their dice. They only kill a couple. They're still giving you a charge in a flank, and however many wounds they cause, it could be enough to wipe out the unit. It'll probably be enough to break the unit.
Do you know what? They're amazing against monsters as well.
Oh yeah,
absolutely amazing against monsters. Could I Destroyers particularly? When they forget their rules, they're even better.
Yeah.
But no, it's that fact they've got a ward, they can't be stomped on, they've got poison attacks.
Yeah, and I'll go back to my sentence that James really rudely interrupted.
Sorry, I just got excited.
But as I said, they'll probably kill a hell of a lot more. They'll give you that bit of combat res, which will probably be enough to break the unit if your block that whatever's into it struggles to do. And then you catch them with the Doomfighters because they've got Swift Stride.
Yeah.
And they swing you a whole ton of points. I really do think they're the best unit in the book. Excluding the special characters, I think they're the best unit.
I just don't think you can argue with that.
No.
I'm sorry, I just don't, because where's the weakness? Where's the problem with them, really?
Slash, obviously.
Well, yeah, I mean, but do you know what I mean?
You're not wrong, but it's niche. It's very niche.
I can pull them around because they're frenzied. They're ace. Executioners, they are a low number of attacks. They're not that survivable. But that is an obvious set of weaknesses.
Yeah.
What's the problem with these guys?
Doomfighters there's hardly any.
No, you've got a good number of attacks, you've got good strength of attacks, you've got poison attacks, you've got fantastic manoeuvrability, you've got really good survivability.
You're a great spell
You've
caster.
got great spells.
You're a good spell caster as well. You've not just got good spells.
You're
good
at
an ace
casting
caster.
Yeah.
There's no risk in miscasting. In fact, you want to. This is what you include them for.
To prevent your
you pick that big handful of dice up and go, big Doombolt?
Yeah. You don't try and big Doombolt with your level 4 on Dark.
No.
You do it with these guys, because you throw 6 dice, whoever you're casting it with, and you just want a double 6, maybe lose a Doomfire. Oh no.
We talk about the Light Council and how strong Empire double banishment is, because it's 2 really high strength magic missiles that do lots of damage. Yeah.
2 Doombolts?
3 Doombolts? 3?
Easily. You can have as many Doombolts as you want, actually.
But you can get 3 casters with +3 or 4 to cast with those Doombolts. +5 even on the top Dark Wizard.
Yeah. Yes. It's mad.
Sick.
It really is.
So good.
But we are going to move on. We're going to leave them there and move on. As I think we've quite clearly seen, the Dark Elves, they're really good sort of combined arms force. So you want that really good shooting. They've got really powerful magic. And they're really good when you get into combat. And they excel at manoeuvring around the enemy into favourable positions and then delivering that brutal but calculated aggression to finish the job off.
Every phase, mate.
Every phase.
Every phase. And every type of list you can be really defensive, really offensive.
Yeah.
It's just horrible.
We'll see that in the list that we'll look at the end of this video.
Yeah.
But with all the units out of the way, we're going to move into special characters. It's been a long haul. We've chatted a lot. We've crested the waves with our Black Arcs. Some of that chat maybe have even been helpful. But why don't you grab yourself a Coke? Other beverages are available, of course, and take 5, and we'll see you back here to look at those special character ratings. Welcome back to the frozen wastes of Nagarond, where we're about to get stuck into the 8, that's right, 8 Dark Elf special characters. There are 8, despite the fact you only see
1.
Maybe 2?
Sometimes 2,
Yeah, maybe 2.
Is the second one Helleborn?
Yeah.
Nah,
you do see
Hilarious.
sometimes.
He comes to a lot of Triple Crown GT.
Yeah, okay.
That's
that. You just don't see him for long because he dies quite quickly.
Being a plus, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna. It is 8 Dark Elf special characters, not 2. So we can start with Malekith. Then we have Mummy Morothai, Strange Auntie Helleborn, Weird Uncle Malus Darkblade, the alternative cousin Shadowblade, the brother who left to join the Navy, Lokir Felhar. Big bro, Corrin Darkhand.
Did you actually write these down? I'm sorry.
He did!
And the emo cousin, Talaris Dreadbringer. What a strange family tree. On to the Witch King himself.
2 of them are related. That's it.
Yes, yeah, that is it. On to the Witch King himself first, though. Malekith. who comes in with a competitive rating of 18 out of 24, which is not bad.
It's not a massive surprise.
Not really.
He's
The combat laws do usually get quite big scores out there.
Yeah, and he's quite good at both, to be fair.
Yeah,
He's not
he's
bad
very
either.
good at both.
Yeah, so we get to that 18 with a 4 for output, a 4 for special rules, a 3 for synergy, 2 for risk, 4 for survivability, and 1 for cost. Now, just quickly, this is assuming he's mounted on a cold one, which I think is probably the best mount for him.
probably, yeah.
It gives him a 2-up armor save, bit more manoeuvrability than being on foot, and yeah, it's a better save than all of his other mounts. It means he can join a unit, unlike his other mounts. Probably the best one.
He can go on foot, can't he?
You can.
He can.
He could go in like a unit on foot.
Yeah, but then he's only got a 4-up armor
save.
save.
Yeah, he's a bit short on the side.
And it makes him a bit quicker as well.
He's cool on the dragon, though, isn't he?
He is cool on the dragon.
Yeah,
He's got a lot of points on the dragon. He's like 800-900 points on the dragon.
No, you might as well take Host Eternity and just take him as the big boy himself from there.
Why not? But yeah, to be honest, I wasn't quite expecting that high a score. I didn't think it'd be bad, but I wasn't quite
He is
expecting
good.
that high
I
a score.
do think he is good. I think James is
Yeah,
right.
he really does do a bit of everything and does it quite well. It does mean you've got to risk him, even though he's at any game under 3,000 points going to be your only level 3+ wizard. So you don't always want to do that, and if you do keep him back and just use him as wizard, you're losing out on a lot of what you paid a lot of points for, effectively, his combat stats, his items and such. You're spending over 500 points on him before amount as well.
I say he's not spending. He's just a little bit over 500 points.
That's a lot on a
25
20 mil base with a 4-up armor save.
That's the Witch King, mate.
I don't think he's mega overpriced, if I'm honest.
What he does.
I think he drifts towards the 2 for cost to me, because I look at him against something like a Vampire Lord. I'm paying 500 odd points for one of them if they're a level 4 wizard as well.
I'd put to you the Vampire Lord probably might have the best chance of killing Malekith though.
I think Vampire Lord's good against him. I'm not saying he's not gonna cause him problems. Malekith's a way better spellcaster though.
Yeah, Malekith, because he is a level 4 on the Law of Dark Magic with Hecate's Blessing.
Yeah, he's also got, is it the Circlet of Iron?
Circlet of Iron, so do you want to go through all this stuff?
Oh yeah,
go for
absolutely.
it.
He's really good.
There's loads of items to go through.
We've been around the bush here, there's a lot I've got to
Go for it.
So, special rules wise, he has all the normal ones, Hecate's Blessing, he's immune to psychology, he has Eternal Hatred, number 2!
Number 2, 2 of 4, halfway there.
Murderous Prowess, all that sort of jazz. He must be a general, and his Inspiring Presence is 18 or 24 for Ardent Seraphon.
Which is the Black Dragon.
Which is his Black Dragon, yeah. Seraphon has her own special rules, but I'm not going to go through them because you're probably not going to take her. So, anyway, magic item wise, he has Destroyer, which is his magic weapon. And at the start of every close combat phase, all enemy models in base contact must reveal their magic items. So you have to tell him what he's got. Furthermore, if you score a hit against one of the model with magic item, roll 4 or a dice. On a 4+, a randomly determined magic item is immediately destroyed and cannot be used further in the game. Do not include items that are mounts magic items that contain bound spells that miscast earlier in the game, or any magic items labelled as one use only that have been used.
Yes.
So you can't destroy that you used the spell scroll.
No.
In addition, a wizard suffers one or more unsaved wounds from the destroyer. Roll a d6 on a 4+. The wizard loses a wizard level.
And a randomly determined spell, is it? Or is it?
I'd imagine it's like, no, it doesn't say random determined spell. It says you lose a wizard level.
Oh, and you keep your spells up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just forget how to be a wizard after a couple of turns. Or, Malekith's killed you, status.
I'd say Malekith would probably have killed you.
Where he's quite scary with that rule is the times that he pops your 4+ ward save. Because you don't lose the attack. It's not discount that hit, roll a dice on a 4+.
No.
Oh, you've been hit. I popped your 4+ ward save, and you still
Now
take 4 strength 5 hits from me.
See, it's when he scores one more hit, so it's before you roll to wound.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if there's stuff like the Trix's Helm, whatever it is,
Yep.
that you reroll for successful wound rolls or anything like that.
Yeah.
And he also, I must say, he's also Strength 5 base.
Yeah.
He's Strength 5 Toughness 4, which is the only elf in the book who's Toughness 4.
He's the only elf in the game that's toughness 4.
Is Tyrion Toughness 4?
No.
Is he not?
No. No, he's toughness 3.
I thought it was Toughness 4.
No, he's toughness 3.
No.
Again, I'll check, but if we don't put a correction on the next part of the video, I was right.
But no, so then he has the Armour of Midnight, which is magic armour. It's given him a 5+ ward save and a 2-up ward save
5+
against...
armor save.
5+ armor save, sorry. And a 2-up ward save against all non-magical attacks. If he suffers an unsaved wound from an attack that's killing blow or multiple wounds, special rule, he will only ever suffer a single wound.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. 2-up ward save is...
Obviously very good.
Is immense. And
Yeah.
if you're going against like magic weapons, you want Destroyer to destroy the magic weapons.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's obviously the plan.
That's the plan there. Obviously, you can't plan for that because it's randomly determined,
It is.
which
Yes.
is upsetting.
Yes, but if he destroys the wall safe, there's a very good, or a piece of really potent magic armor, there's a very good chance he'll kill
He'll
you
just
before you
kill you.
attack.
Yeah, it's fair.
If he doesn't, and he destroys your magic weapon, you won't kill him. And the fact that he only takes 1 wound per source of hit
Yeah.
is quite good
He's tanky.
when he's got a 2-up armor save and 3 wounds.
And he's got Supreme Spell Shield, which is magic armor again. Gives him magic res 2. And if he's ever the target of an enemy spell that he successfully dispels, the caster's unit immediately suffers D6 strength 6 hits.
Very good.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
And then the Circle of Iron, Arcane, which is once per magic phase. Malekith can use a Circle of Iron to add a single bonus dice to any of his failed casting or dispel attempts. This bonus dice can contribute to Irresistible Force and a miscast.
Really good.
It's incredible. So when you combine it with the previous item as well in the dispel phase,
Yep.
it's amazing. And actually, with Malekith, what you want to do very often is miss a big casting value by 1. And then you go, oh, I'll add my D6. Oh, it's another 5 on top or 6 on top. It's so often punches you well above the quota. Again, I played against him at North Remembers, and it was only because he ran that I killed him. He broke. I killed the rest of his unit, and he broke.
Yeah.
I completely missed the fact that it was a failed casting. I thought you had to decide to use it before you roll the dice.
No. So again, it's that my really important level 4. It's alright. He doesn't lose concentration on an when I should roll extremely average, and I don't because I get to save him with this 3 dice.
Yeah. Very good.
He's really cool. I do like Malekith.
Yeah, he's no slouch.
No, he's no
not
slouch.
at all.
He's one of the oldest characters in the game.
Yeah, again, the magic resistance buffs a unit he joins as well,
Yeah.
which is nice. So
Stick him on a cold one inside. He gets rid of the fast gas. Stick him on a cold one inside your old Doomfire Warlocks.
yeah, in a big unit, cold ones is with balance plus on movement is really not very pleasant. I like him. Like I say, I don't mind paying the points for him, but
he's often defeated in usage by probably the next character.
His big problem is like all these types of characters is the very, very elite of wizards are still better than him.
Yes.
He's better than most average wizards, but the very elite are better than him.
He's a jack
and the very elite combat characters are also a little bit better.
He's a jack of all trades. He's not so bad. He's not the master of none. He's pretty good at what he does, but he's still not the best at what he does.
No, he'll still wreck most combat things. He'll still cause problems for most wizards, but it's those elite level enemies that are paying the same sort of points as he is where he falls.
And his Law of Magic isn't a slouch as well. Dark Magic is absolutely devastating. Make himself strength 6 if he wants. Power of Darkness.
Yeah.
Which is terrifying.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Overall, very good. You are relying on, as we said, either destroying the magic weapon, or them not having magical attacks. Otherwise, your survivability does drop quite a lot. And if he does get attacked by magical attacks, you better hope you roll Soul Stealer.
That's another thing. He can Soul Stealer above the starting points, which is insane. So
very good.
Yeah, he's underrated.
And he scores very well. So maybe after this we'll see some more of him.
Oh,
who knows?
I don't know why
I like Malekith. I've got a Dark Elf Army book at home, so who knows?
Also, doesn't cost you the comp that this next one does.
No.
No, he does not.
And we are going to move on to the most commonly used Dark Elf special character on competitive gaming tables, and that is Morothai.
Hack Sorceress of Grond. I'm going to do you now. I'm going to give you the official title.
Cheers, mate. Who comes in with a competitive rating of 23 out of 24.
Yay!
So that's a 4 for output, special rules, risk, survivability, and cost. She only loses a point on synergy, where she scores 3. For anyone who's read our top 5 special character wizard article in the Wizards Tower, you will have seen this chick rock up before. For anyone who's played a competitive game against Dark Elves, you've probably seen this chick rock up before. She is the best rated special character wizard in the game. She's tied with Kairos on score, but we have no doubt she would beat him in a one-on-one.
No, I know that because I've seen it happen.
I've seen her beat him in combat, mate.
Yeah. Even though as I've said, she's not a slouch in combat. No, she really
she's
is not.
Terrible, no. And so, because of that duel off that she wins, the crown is hers. Yeah, I mean, it's mad.
She's the best special character in the game. She's not the...
Yeah, she
that's
probably
it.
is, yeah.
That's it. It's not just...
No.
You know.
I also want to point out that while I was reworking out her score for the deep dive, because, we like to be thorough, we like to make sure we got it correct, I worked out that if we didn't limit each category to 4, She would have scored 6 on output.
Jesus.
6.
Yeah.
Madness. There's no surprise she's first on the team sheet for a lot of competitive Dark Elf players, or that she is a big minus in the TCW GT Compact. 3. Yeah. She's insane. She's very good. She's got the choice of magic laws, which she can blend at the start of the game.
Death, Shadow, and Dark.
Fantastic combination. She gets her +1 to cast Dark Magic from Hekate's Blessing. She also gets plus D3 to cast everything. So on Dark Magic, she's adding an additional 2 to 4.
Yeah, she's basically level 5, effectively. She's adding 5 plus D3 every time. So she's
for Dark
Magic, yeah. She's scoring between 6 and 8 additionally on every cast.
So good. She's got 4 up ward save.
Magic Res 2.
Magic Res 2, so you can't spell her.
And do you know what's really dirty about that? Is it's not an item.
No,
it's
that's a rule.
1001 Dark Blessings, is it called?
That's a rule.
It's it's a
so
rule.
You can't
so you can't Arcane Unforge it. You can't get rid of it with anything that like negates or has an effect against magic items. You can't destroy it with Malekith.
No. Enchanted Beauty, so
which no one ever uses.
No,
because she doesn't go in combat.
No. Any model of friend or foe in base contact modifier, the start of each round of close combat must pass leadership test or suffer -5 penalty to their weapon skill.
Yeah.
Until the end of the round.
When you've got access to Doom and Darkness, it's a bit good.
Yeah.
This does not affect attacks that do not roll to hit, and does not affect models that have the immune psychology special rule. She's that hot. She
is that hot.
HAWT.
She comes on. Does a Dark Peg have a name?
Sulafet.
Sulafet. She comes on Sulafet, which is a Dark Pegasus,
which has the Impale attack special rule.
Which I think is +1 strength on the charge.
I believe so. I'm gonna double check for also.
But I'm pretty sure it's that. But so she's flying, which is very good.
It is.
Good. So she's a flying wizard on death. Insane.
Her magic weapons are pretty good as well.
Her magic weapons are very good. She gives killing blow.
Heartrender Dark Sword. Hits from this weapon have killing blow and +2 strength in the turn that she charges. Addition, a monster or character suffers 1 or more unsaved wounds from a Heartrender and the Dark Sword, reduces attacks, strength, and toughness characteristics by 1 for each unsaved wound. These penalties are applied at the end of the round of close combat which the wounds were suffered and last the remainder of the game.
That's a bit of a shame that they're applied at the end of the round, because she could go in, do 2 attacks?
3 attacks.
3 attacks. And then basically keep herself alive by minusing your attacks down enough, or your strength. And attacks down enough that you're not going to kill her. Yeah. So it's a shame it's done at the end of the round. But it's still very good.
Said she's 3 attacks from her and 3 attacks on Sulafet.
And strength 5 on the
and strength 5 on Sulafet.
Sulafet's got a stomp as well.
Yep.
Strength 5 for both.
Yep.
She's a nightmare.
So she's weapon skill 5. Not bad.
I mean, you'll take leadership test and -5 to your penalty to your weapon skill.
Yeah. She's a straight.
She's really, really.
She's a straight shooter.
Yeah.
And she's 375 points. It's just
makes
her approximately 15 points, I think, more than a fully tooled up level 4 wizard on a Pegasus in this book.
Yeah.
Which, as we've just discussed, with all of the additional buffs she gets, it's just not even comparable, guys.
Not even close.
Like she's the model that started Scott's legacy of going down the Alp.
She did. It was the first time I did it. She went down her own Purple Sun.
There wasn't a miscast, though. It was a Purple Sun.
She went down her own Purple Sun. She only fails on a 6.
Incredible.
She is incredible. But we are going to move on from the best special character wizard in the game, and the best special character in the game, to Hellebrand.
The Blood Queen of Hageneth.
Thanks, Max. With a competitive rating of just 10 out of 24.
That's really upsetting.
Shocked it's so low.
That's really upsetting.
She does get 4 for output, 3 for special rules, 1 for synergy, 1 for risk, 0 for survivability, and 1 for cost. I've got here a real roller coaster of a character, starting at the dizzying heights of 4 down to the 1s and the 0s even for survivability. So the ups, she's strength 10, and unless she gets Arcane or Forge, but she's strength 10. She lets you have a Cauldron of Blood from your Lord slot, which is the only way you get it from your Lord slot. Is her. She has all of the Gifts of Cain, whereas a Death Hag can only have 1 of them. Now the downs, she's toughness 3 with absolutely no save, unless she goes on the Cauldron, which does give her a 4+ ward save if she's on it, 5 up if she's just in the unit. But if she's on the Cauldron, then a lot more models can attack her. She's suddenly 60 mil wide.
She has a rule that says...
Cauldron's rule or her rule?
No.
She has a rule then that says it, I think.
No.
She does not.
She only has 5 or 4 save on the Cauldron.
Oh, she does have a 5. She's even worse. Don't put her... I still wouldn't put her on it. Have her next to it.
I could be wrong. Please continue.
Yes, I've said it. It's absolutely the best place to have her with a cauldron, not on a cauldron.
Yeah, it's better anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. She does nothing for your army
For
other than provide her attacks.
Just something for a unit though. You get +4 to the spell against units. Casting.
She does.
no,
but it's only
apologies.
when
You're
it's
right,
a spell
it is
cast
a 5+.
at her unit.
Yeah.
It is a 5+. It also is worth pointing out that the Amulet of Dark Fire, which you guys were just talking about,
touched on.
Yeah, that actually affects your units, your spells as well.
Yeah, it does.
Wait, what?
Well, it says dispel attempts made against spells that target Crone Hellebron's unit receive +4 to dispel.
So you give your
So you're helping your opponent
I'll
dispel
go
buffs.
I'll go for the Cauldron's
Bubble from
frenzy
yeah.
on my unit, and your opponent's like, that's cool. I get +4 to dispel that.
It's a +8 realistically.
It's rubbish.
Probably, yeah.
It's generally speaking, it's
Although, to
as
be
much
fair,
good as it is bad.
outside of that bound spell, Dark Elves probably won't be buffing a unit like Witches a lot.
No, you don't need to, but it's annoying.
It is a bit annoying. But yeah, she other than that +4 to dispel, which is, you know, a double-edged sword, she really just doesn't do anything for your army other than kicking the living daylights out of whatever she attacks.
She will
with
kill it.
Between 7 and 9 strength 10 attack.
She will kill anything.
Yeah,
so
she's gonna be your general at leadership 10 for her points, unless you're playing a very big game and you happen to have Malekith.
Or a Dreadlord. You could probably
Or a
possibly squeeze a
Dreadlord.
Dread. She's what, 300?
310. I
10.
think.
You keep her off the Cauldron, you'll easily get
Yeah,
a Dread. They're
off
not
the
very
Cauldron.
expensive.
When she's testing for frenzy checks at leadership 7, not great.
Yeah, should we go
She gets
through
dragged
those?
around a
'Cause
lot.
We haven't, have we?
So this
James,
is
take my
I've
job,
stolen
the
Max's
gift of
book. I'll
Cain.
give it back to him in a minute. So that she has the 3 gifts of Cain. Normally, Death Eggs can only pick 1. So she has Cry of War. The model has the Fear special rule. In addition, all fear tests taken by enemy units in base contact with the model must be taken with a -3 penalty to their leadership.
Pretty good.
She has the Rune of Cain, which is excellent. This model has +D3 attacks. You roll each round of combat. And Witch Brew, which the model and all models in the same unit have Frenzy. If they already have Frenzy, it gives them +2 attacks instead of +1 attack.
That doesn't stack with the bound spell from the Cauldron. The Cauldron's bound spell specifically says that doesn't stack.
Oh, really?
Right at the end of it.
Oh, that's rubbish then. Oh, in which case you probably wouldn't worry about casting spells in a solo.
Right at the end of the...
Yeah, Fury of Cain is not cumulative with Witchbrew.
That's a shame.
That is
But
a shame.
as you said, Scott, they do suffer -3 penalties to their leadership when testing to declare a charge.
Yeah, which is not what
okay.
you want for a model with no save, really, who
She's got to be
Doesn't
in a unit
want
with a
to-
Cauldron.
I see a
who
lot of
doesn't want to be dragged out of place.
I see a lot of people put it in like execution units. Oh, me and James both played as a Card of Crusade. We both played the exec unit with our Hebron in it.
Yeah.
We did play it, didn't we?
Yeah.
She tore the head off my Demon Prince.
She
No.
was chawed up all game against me, so he ran her out to try and get a charge. I'd basically pinned his Dia de Doomfire bus, I'd pinned it, and he moved her out to next turn charge her into the side of that, and I turned my Hexros into a dart and shot 5 Hexros for her and killed her. Sorry, Stan.
Hilarious.
That Doomfire Warlock boss got acquired by me.
Did it?
So, no ward save.
Sorry, Stan.
Oh,
Sorry, Stan.
Oh, that's savage.
Sorry, Stan.
Oh, that is savage. But yeah, she has definitely got her risks.
She also, if your model rolls a 1 to hit whilst tagging Helebron, she kicks you in the nuts with a strength 4 hit for each one rolled.
Nice.
Specifically mentions the
Yeah, the
the rude part,
testicular
Yeah.
Thanks.
devastation.
It says, and it doesn't specifically say, I just think that's the destination she'll go for.
What about
Okay.
if... I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
We're going to move on to our final Lord special character, which is Malus Darkblade, who comes in with a competitive rating of 13.
Sign of Hag Grave.
Thanks, Max.
Thanks,
13 out of 24.
I've got an itchy back. I'm sorry, everyone at home's watching me look like a weirdo. Sorry, I can't reach it.
So we get there with a 2 for output, a 4 for special rules, 2 for synergy, 1 for risk, 2 for survivability, and 2 for cost. He's getting his 2 for synergy for the meaningful buff that he offers to a unit of Cold Bomb Riders that he's in. That buff being that they don't suffer from stupidity. Very good. I think he's possibly a tad too expensive. I've gone with a 2 for cost because he's very close to being the right cost, but I think he's also very close to being overcosted.
Also, this is number 3 of Eternal Hatred.
It is. He is number 3 of Eternal Hatred. His sword is good. No armor saves. Rerolling to wound. Very solid. With Eternal Hatred, as Max said, so he's always rerolling his hits and his wounds. But he is only strength 4, so he's not wounding as often.
No.
I think that the reroll makes him amazing. And basically, we talk about the Death Hag having the sword and no armor saves on the cauldron.
She's got a lot more attacks.
Well, she's going to average what? She's going to average 6.
He's got 3?
4.
4.
He's
Okay.
Dreadlord, so he's
Okay.
not.
If he unleashes
a million miles
Zarkan,
behind her.
Yeah.
the Zarkan, he can.
That is his sword, I think. Isn't it? Oh no, it's the demon that possesses him.
Demon bound within him. May unleash the power of Zarkan and start the friendly magic phase. Movement phase, sorry, not magic phase. Demon is released. He cannot be bound back during the battle. Once he releases Zarkan, following rules apply. He himself, but not Spite, his cold one, gains Frenzy. Malice increases weapon skill, strength, toughness, and initiative by 1. And every time he makes a roll hit of 1, a friendly model in base contact of your choice suffers an automatic hit and Malice Darkblade strength that must be rerolled if it fails to wound. Armor saves cannot be taken against wounds Malice causes in this map.
Kills a cold one, probably.
Kills a cold one.
Yeah, but does it say a roll of 1 before rerolls?
No, you can reroll them.
So he's always strikes first, kicks in there and helps.
And
him.
Eternal
Eternal
Hatred.
Hatred kicks in as well.
Yeah. So
You can reroll those, whereas the other one that's got something like Archaon cannot reroll this.
that's what I wanted to check because I knew he couldn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, I think he's okay.
Not just a dumb brute.
Good.
Which is
Thanks, Max. That's the rule that means that Spite and cold ones in Spite's unit don't suffer from stupidity.
Spite also has Eternal Hatred. So that's 5!
Does he?
That's 5!
I think the big issue is always going to be I'm spending 300 points on this character.
Yeah.
And I'm not spending them on
A wizard.
I've already spent 375 on Morothai, so I don't have 300 points left at 25. Sorry.
Also
I've only
true.
got 250.
Can James do
Yeah,
that?
250.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's solid, but he's just sort of okay rather than
I think
top.
a lot of people take
Competitive
him.
slot, isn't it?
It is.
A lot of
It is
people
very
take him
competitive.
purely for the fact that he has like a really cool set of books.
Yeah.
A lot of people do like him for his
He
background.
doesn't have bad rules.
No.
No.
It's just I think, regular dark sorceress or level 4 sorceress, I can't think the name of it.
Supreme
Sorceress.
Very good. Morothai, very, very good. Malekith,
Malekith
seems an
even, yeah.
18, good score.
Yeah.
Dreadlords, Ace, see them
Yep.
all the time.
You just don't have the points for Malice.
Nope.
Unfortunate.
So moving into the hero slot then, and we're going to go in with Shadowblade first.
The Death that walks unseen.
Thanks, Matt.
That's such a cool name.
Yeah, cool name, less good in the game. He comes in with a competitive rating of 9 out of 24.
Which is probably why he's unseen.
Yes. So we get there with a 2 for output, a 3 for special rules. So not a bad start. Gets a lot worse though. A 1 for synergy, risk, survivability, and cost. This has been a pretty catastrophic fall from the dizzying heights of Morothai. He's the cost of nearly 3 basic assassins, or 2 with a lot of upgrades.
245
He's
points.
a lot of
We
points.
thought old Deathmaster Snickage was expensive.
Yeah, and he was 100 and...
No, he's
No,
270.
He's 270.
Oh, he's 270.
Yeah.
Okay.
At least he's got wall save.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's just not worth
Shadowblade
it.
has a ward save. It's a 5+ ward
So
save.
yeah, not as good as
It's
It's not a 4+.
He's just not worth it or anywhere near it to me. I've upped his output to 2 as he can take all 3 of the forbidden potions where you can normally take
comes
one.
with all of them.
Sorry, he has all 3 rather than.
Shall I say what they are?
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, so you have Black Lotus, which is each unsafe wound the character suffers from a model equipped with Black Lotus, they suffer -1 penalties or leash it for the rest of the game. Dark Venom gives him Killing Blow, and then Manbane gets +1 on all rolls to wound.
So the 2 good ones, Killing Blow and +1 to wound. The other one,
Not
meh.
so much.
So I've upped his output because otherwise he's actually the same stats as a normal assassin.
Yeah.
He's got a 5 up ward. That's
5
basically the difference.
Yeah.
At Master of Disguise, he can. He deploys using hidden like every other assassin in the game.
Yeah.
But he can do it in... Is it in your opponent's unit anymore? No, I don't think it is. He used to be able to do it hide in your opponent's units.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that anymore. Give me 2 seconds. He does.
Just read the rule.
He can change units, that's what's different. Shadowblade can deploy using hidden special rule like a Canine Assassin. If he does so, he can change which units hiding at the start of any movement phase or close combat phase. Keep a note of where Shadowblade is each time you change your mind. Clearly Shadowblade is not moving between units, his disguise was simply so good that he was hiding just where he needed to be all along, waiting for the perfect time to strike.
Good that you can change it at the start of the combat phase
Yeah.
and not just the movement phase, because if a unit that he is in does get caught, a long charge is made into them, and you think, oh, actually, they're going to wipe out that unit before Shadowblade's been revealed. You can go, start of the phase, he's actually going to be in this unit.
I love the second part of this. If an opponent has an ability that forces you to state that there are any hidden models within a unit, you only need to say that Shadowblade is hiding within a unit, but not which unit he's currently within.
Yeah, that's helpful, but...
So it's like against the Chakax and the Rockeye.
There's quite a few, actually, that do that. Kemler's staff does that.
Does it do hidden models? I thought it was just magic items.
I think it's hidden models and magic items.
Maybe.
I'll check that as well.
I just don't see why you take him over a regular assassin.
I don't see why you take regular assassin either, to be honest.
Maybe.
The Dark Elf Assassin's lack of a ward save, I mean, he's got a 5-up, but the lack of the generic one's ward save is just crippling. It's crippling.
Yeah.
They jump out, they're really expensive, they struggle to have a meaningful impact because, well, you're going to have to give them a magic sword that probably increases their strength to have any sort of one, and then maybe
strength?
+1 to wound. I think they can only take magic weapon. It's worth double checking. But I think they can only take magic weapon.
That is upsetting.
I might be wrong actually on that.
No, magic items.
So they could take
up to
potion
50
of
points.
strength, but not being able to have the 4-up dodge like a Skaven assassin, and being, what do they start at? The regular ones?
Regular ones start at 90 points.
Yeah.
He does come with 2 magic items, the Heart of Woe and the Potion of Diabolic Strength. Should I say what they do?
Yeah.
Heart of Woe is an enchanted item. If he's ever slain, it's sent to the small round template over him before removing the model as a casualty. Every model touched by the template immediately suffers a strength 3 hits. After damage has been resolved, remove Shadowblade as a casualty as normal.
So he kills as many Dark Elves as he... In fact, against basically any army that's not toughness 3, he kills more Dark Elves than he kills enemies. Cool,
Yeah, he
good
does.
start.
And then the Potion of Diabolic Strength, enchanted item, 1 use only. Potion of Diabolic Strength can be drunk at the start of any player's close combat phase after any assassins have been revealed. They are hiding in a unit. Shadowblade then has +4 strength. To
That
match
is
10.
incredible, because you have to do it at the start of a turn for
the
regular
potion of
potion of
strength,
strength.
yeah.
You
And the
could
regular
do it-
potion strength +3 rather than +4.
Yeah, the difference in that, probably not a lot, but the fact I can do it in the combat phase does help.
Yeah.
He's
Is
better.
it 270 points help? No.
No, it is not.
If he was 180, I think you'd see him.
245 points.
Yeah, if he was 180, you might see him. Because a regular assassin's 90 points.
Yeah.
So I'm only paying twice that, and I've got a good potion, I've got a 5-up
All
ward.
the...
I mean, he's basically the same.
What are they called?
Yeah, all the poisons. How
The
many
forbidden
points are the
potions,
poisons?
that's what they're called.
How many points are the potions?
Potions, 15, 20 and 20. So Black Lotus, which is the rubbish
55.
one, which
So
is
55. So I'd be paying... I'd probably pay 30 for the... 25, 30 for that
For
potion.
the potion.
Yeah. The Heartway is rubbish, so I'm
Yeah.
going to pay for that. So yeah, I don't think I'm
180,
over-egging the pudding at
yeah.
180 points. I think he'd be worth having. At 245, leave him at home.
Yeah,
I would leave him out because I'd have the model because the model is incredible.
it is nice, yeah, I will say that, it's quite a nice
The
model.
model is absolutely lovely.
Yeah, you just use him as a Conite assassin,
You
never.
do. You do, yeah.
We're going to move on from Shadowblade. I have a question for you guys next.
Ooh.
Who lived in a pineapple under the sea?
Lord Keffelhart,
You love to see
the
it.
Kraken Lord of Karanka.
Thanks, Max. And that, who is up next? So he come in with a competitive rating of 14 out of 24.
Aye, kids.
So we get there with a 2 for output, 4 for special rules, 1 for synergy and 1 for risk, 4 for survivability and 2 for cost.
He's surprisingly survivable.
He's not bad for a pirate. He's got the 2nd point on his output for the extra attack granted by his paired weapons. He's got the big 4 for special rules because of his show no weakness and daring leap special rules. Now essentially this means he can direct his attacks onto any character fighting in the same combat as him, not just one in base contact.
It's amazing.
That's
Yeah.
really good.
And if he kills a character, him and his unit gain unbreakable for the turn.
Yeah, so it's sort of
Fantastic little combo.
like a weird version of the
Fleet
Fleet
Masters,
Master,
yeah.
where if he fights in the challenge.
Yeah.
No, so that's the same rule. So Blackheart Fleet, the show no weakness, is more fights in the challenge or kills an enemy character
Yeah.
and is
it's
alive.
both. Oh, sorry, apologies.
He gains unbreakable.
So if he fights in a challenge as well,
yeah.
Yeah.
he gets it. That's pretty cool, isn't
Yeah.
it? That's helpful.
Merciless Slaver as well, which is breaks from combat that includes like Giffelheart. All units obtain a panic test as a result of that unit breaking, so -1 penalty.
Yeah,
So
not
he's
bad.
good for it.
He's really survivable with a 2-up armor and a 4-up regen.
Yeah.
He causes terror.
Yeah.
You know, he's not bad at all. He's worth his points, but he is expensive.
The red blades as well.
Yeah, his magic weapons are pretty good. He's got the same...
What do they do?
Rear elf Alvarez to wound.
Yeah.
Right.
Paired weapons, reroll, bad one to wins.
Just thinking it's worth clearing that up.
I was coming to that,
No.
but Max jumped the
I
gun.
jumped the gun.
He's got the same stats as like a Lord level Fleet Master. He's the best way I can sort of describe it. But he obviously loses the wound because he's only a hero.
I don't know why he's not a Lord level.
Yeah, I don't really get it. You do pay 80 points more for him though. So he's got a 4-up regen, which is not quite good as a 4-up ward, but it's very
40
close.
points probably.
Makes up for, which I said, that makes up for about half the difference. Paired weapons that reroll to wound, causes terror, 2 points of better armour saves than Fleet Master.
He's alright.
I think he makes up that difference.
Yeah, easily.
Comfortably.
I'd pay 30 points for those swords, I think.
Yeah.
Extra attack, 20 points, 10 points to the reroll. If I'm being generous there on the points.
I mean, the 2 points better armor save.
How many points is he?
235.
Yeah, he's reasonable. But
Yeah, he's not too many points. He's just quite a lot of points. But yeah, I think overall, pretty good.
I mean, the fact you see
I like him
jumping around from character to character.
Yeah, I think that's really terrifying.
I could see him in like units of not Corsairs as well and doing well.
Oh,
Can
yeah.
he join non-Corsair units?
Yeah.
I mean, it's great then,
there's
isn't it?
no-
Yeah.
No
Don't mind
limit
him.
to what he can join.
What was his score?
14?
Yeah, don't mind that.
That's the wrong page. 14.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
Never really looked at him. There you go.
No. We're nearly there then. Just onto the head of the Blackguard and the Executioners, respectively. First up is Common Darkhand.
Captain of the Blackguard.
Thanks, Max. That was, I'll be honest,
You
quite an upset.
You got it almost. You got almost perfect yourself.
Quite an upset with that. That let me down. With a competitive rating of 10 out of 24. So we get there with a 3 for output, 4 for special rules, 1 for synergy, 1 for risk, 0 for survivability, and 1 for cost. Good output, good special rules, all let down by lack of survivability or synergy, really. He's alright. He makes Unit of Blackguard easy and unbreakable. Along with any characters who are in there.
The right hand of darkness.
Thanks, Max. And if he's in Blackguard for the whole game, then his synergy will go up by 1, as Unbreakable has an effect for the entire time they're on the table. Whereas Stubborn doesn't matter unless you're in combat. If he's in anything else, he is Stubborn, which is nice. Gives him any unit he's in Stubborn. He's Strength 6 with an always striking first halberd and Eternal Hatred. He's the 4th and final.
5th with Spite.
4th and final unit with Eternal Hatred.
He has a maddening weapon skill of 9.
Yeah,
he's
very good
which
fighter.
is crazy. Why is it 9?
He relies on not being hit to not die.
He's a better weapon skill than Malekith.
Not enough stuff won't hit him. That's the problem.
With 2 wounds, toughness 3 with a 5-up armor save.
If they do hit him, they are taking hits though.
They are. It's not going to be enough, I don't think, to save him.
No.
And as I've got here, he doesn't make the unit unbreakable when he's dead.
No, he doesn't. I hit him on a 5. All right. Well, because I'm weapon skill sort of 4.
Yeah.
Don't forget, I've like any elite stuff still hits him on a 4.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm weapon skill 5 because I hit him. I'm hitting him on 5, sorry, because I'm weapon skill 3 or 4. All right. But if I'm strength 4, he's in a world of trouble, mate. He's got a 6-up save. I'm wounding him on a 3.
Yeah.
I don't care if I take strength 5 hits on halberdiers, ghoul. I mean, poison is another whole world of hurt for him as well. Units of things like ghouls, witches. Just the list goes on. He's just too easy to kill, boys, for his points.
Yeah,
Like 180, mental.
He's like Blackguard. They're cool, but they're not all they're competitive.
I think the big problem is he makes Blackguard unbreakable. I don't care. They're immune to psychology, so they don't panic.
And they're stubborn.
They can't flee,
anyway.
and they're stubborn. And basically every army will be leadership 10, because I'll take a Dreadlord, or I'll take Morathite, or I might treat myself to Malekith.
Or Malice.
I think the fact that he's Blackguard purely the fact you can't just stick him in a Witch Elf unit. That unbreakable.
Well, I mean, could you imagine putting him in a Witch Elf unit, mate? He'd die the first time they throw the 1 on him.
He probably would.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, he probably would.
So, leave him at home. Sorry.
Yeah.
They never did a model for him, which is nice, because you haven't got to look at that cool model and think, I can't use that.
Unlike Shadowblade.
Yeah, unlike Shadowblade.
On to our final special character then, Talaris Dreadbringer.
The Hand of Cain.
Thanks, Max. And captain of the Hargadeth Executioners. He comes in with a competitive rating of 14 out of 24.
Better.
A lot better.
Use take 2.
So, 2 for output, 3 for special rules, 2 for synergy, 1 for risk, 0 again for survivability, and a 1 for cost. He's a master with a great weapon and frenzy, which he gives to his unit, and can blow on a 5. That's essentially what he is.
He is a great weapon still. He still has it always strikes last roll.
It does. He's good for giving Executioner's Frenzy. If you want that, give him the extra attack.
Or any unit frenzy, if I'm honest.
Any unit, yeah. But, I mean, he's thematically, at least, he's meant to go in Executioners, but you can put him in any unit. He gives them the same benefit. He's leadership 9, so if he sticks with those XX, they probably won't be pulled around by any sort of long charges.
It's the
or
having
things
to
like that.
overrun.
They do have to overrun though, which is the shame.
Yeah.
The fact I can get a great weapon though on a master with a 2-up armor save on foot for 69 points less.
Nice.
Thanks. Just shows you, I think, how overcosted he is. There's no way I'd pay nearly 70 points for Frenzy on him and his unit and kill him blind on 5.
The killing blow's nice.
I'd maybe pay 45 points. 45. I'm not going to pay 70 points.
I think the problem is there's other ways to get Frenzy on my unit. I can take Witch Brew on a Death Hag.
Yep. I can cast a bound spell from a cauldron 12 inches away.
I can, yep.
And you're going to be taking a cauldron.
Yeah, you are going to take a cauldron.
I just... There's a reason he's +1, and it's again the same problem the last guy had, and actually more acute because he doesn't do strength 5 hits on you when you hit him, and he's only weapon skill 6, not weapon skill 9.
Yeah.
Yes.
So again, this guy's got 2 wounds. He's toughness 3. He's got a 5-up armor save.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's 70 points difference as well. That master has a 2-up armor save.
Yeah, I've lost count of the times that I've played against him because he's a +1 and he is relatively seen, and he goes barreling into a unit. Even really recently, running up to North Members, I had a unit of execution, a unit of demigriffs. He charged into my demigriffs. I was like, yeah, they're all going to kill him, but I'm not fussed because I'll just make sure I kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's dead. Cool. Yeah, that's 150 points. The demigriff unit you charge only 240. So you've not, you've not made any meaningful gain.
Yeah.
And he's now dead.
Yeah,
Cool.
and the XX or whoever you put him with lose their frenzy when he dies.
Yeah.
Because it is a unit he is in.
Almost an easy unit, yeah.
Has the frenzy
such
pressure, right?
badly designed again.
No, they
Very
don't
poor.
don't gain frenzy. They just have unit. They have the frenzy rules.
There's a few units, few characters that do that, and it's all very badly designed for me.
It is. But that is it for all of the Dark Elf units and special characters. We've waded our way through the Slaving Pits and the Icy Ports, and now we are about to look upon the Black Armory as we take a look at the Dark Elf mundane and magic items. So we are going to start with the mundane equipment that the Dark Elves have access to. And we're going to start with the various repeater crossbow type weapons. So that's the repeater crossbow, the repeater handbow, and the brace of repeater handbows. They're all strength 3. The crossbows and the handbows are multiple shots 2. The brace being multiple shots 4. Crossbows are 24-inch range and armor piercing. While the handbow and the brace of handbows are 12-inch range and quick to fire. Crossbows are your standard range weapon that your units have access to, and your handbows are limited to Corsairs or characters.
Randomly, like Dreadlords can take handbows, can't they?
I suppose they're like a sort of Corsair Dreadlord. That's like a Black Art Fleet Master, really.
Look, I've got to be honest, the repeater crossbow for me is a wicked little weapon.
Yeah, very solid.
It's one of the best shooting weapons in the game.
Strength 3 armor pierce is really good. Multiple shots
Multiple shots 2, yeah.
And I can move and fire it.
It's the multiple shots on an elf who hits on 3s normally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or on characters with really good ballistic skill, or on even the shades. But like we were saying earlier, they've got it on quite a lot. It's on your Dark Riders.
Yeah.
It's on your Carbon Chariots as well.
Your shades, your Scourge Runners, all that sort of stuff.
There's, the thing is, you've just got access to lots of them.
Yeah, you get them all over the place. Very good. Very nice little weapon. The other mundane item that Dark Elves have access to are Sea Dragon Cloaks. These things are phenomenal. There's no other word for it, really. They give you Scaly Skin 5+, which means you can have a Dark Elf character with a 2+ armor save on foot with no magical equipment whatsoever. Mounted on anything, fast cav, they've got that glorious 1-up armor save.
1-up armor save, fast cav, what are they thinking?
Yeah, the Bretonian in me just looks at them with jealous eyes.
Get good scrub.
It's not just the characters that have them either. I'm not sure what that's got anything to do with me getting good. Bretonians just don't have wide scale access to 1-up armor saves.
You shouldn't need it.
I don't.
Exactly. That's what it's got to get good.
I don't. I've got a 100% win record with the Bretts on the channel.
All 2 games. Sam Allardyce.
I'm determined to get through this sentence. It's not just the characters that have access to them. Black Art Corsairs have them too, which actually I think makes them a viable choice.
Yeah.
Because without them, they're just a terrible witch elf.
Yeah, or a slightly upset Bleak Sword.
No, they're worse than Bleak Sword. They don't have a shield.
Shield.
Yeah, but they swap it for second hand weapon. I'm
Really
assuming
pay for it.
you're giving them something.
But that is it. That is it for their mundane equipment. So we're going to move on to the magical weaponry and equipment available to the Dark Elves, the Black Armory. And there are some real gems in here. Well, one gem to be precise.
Hey!
Thanks, Max. He understands.
I'm not dignifying it.
Anyway, we'll begin as ever with the most expensive, which is almost always a magic weapon, and today is no exception. The Hydra Blade. 100 smackaroonies for effectively an extra d6 attacks. I mean, I don't think it's worth it for that.
I don't know why they have to specify that random attacks d6 plus A. Why can't they just say
Yeah, an extra d6 attacks.
Why just say you get extra attacks?
But even after that, there is a downside. You have to take a leadership test at -2 every time you're in combat. If you pass, nothing happens. If you fail, you suffer -5 weapon skill to a minimum of 1, but you gain HKB, your right clear blow, until the end of the round.
Ah!
Seriously, what are you doing taking this? You're better than that.
You want
Come on
HKB?
now.
That's
You're
what you
better
want.
than that.
Got one up arm, so.
You're better than that.
One up arms though, got a very clean blow. I think it's funny.
It's rubbish. It's just
I'm not
rubbish.
saying it's good. I think it's funny.
Okay, but
When your weapon skill 2 dreadlords.
Oh, you should put it on a sorceress, mate. Supreme sorceress. Someone goes bounding into her, thinking they're the big chops. Right, killing blow. Take your frosty off.
With one attack, yeah.
Well, D6 plus
Oh,
1.
D6 plus 1.
Minimum
hitting on
2.
5s.
Minimum 2. No, it's
People
terrible.
are sick.
I don't need to add to what you said. It's just dreadful, mate.
Moving swiftly on to the second magic weapon, we have the Chill Blade, which I have spelt really badly on my cheat sheet.
How have you spelled it?
Chill Blade-eek. I've just added an AK to the end. I don't know how to manage that. It's the Chill Blade. This one is 50 points and wounds automatically. Any model that suffers an unsaved wound from the Chill Blade must pass a toughness test or suffer -3 to its attacks characteristics until the end of the phase.
That is rubbish.
Yeah, auto wounding is very good.
Well, at your strength though, they're still getting armor.
But you probably haven't got the strength to get through any armour, which is the
no,
issue.
your strength's going to be 4, because that's
Yeah.
the strength of Dreadlord.
But you can combine
Could go
it
on
with
a
the
sorcerer.
potion of strength.
You
Yeah,
can,
you can.
but then why would you spend 50 points on that when you can spend 40 points on a +2 strength sword?
Well, I'd probably spend 50 points on the armour saves.
Or no armour save swords.
It does have synergy with things at lower toughness though, which you've got access to from
Yeah.
Doomfire Warlocks. I'd say that. And
Yeah.
then you've got access to through Laura Shadow as well. Very good for Dark Elves.
Again,
It doesn't synergise with the army special rules though, with the murderous prowess,
No.
which is a shame.
Good with SF though.
Yeah, I feel like it was close to being good.
Yeah, I see people sort of chat about this at events and sort of try and convince themselves they want to take it, and then it still never appears in any armies. And
No.
I think it's definitely got potential in certain scenarios, but I think in general you're
You need the strength bonus to make the most out of it.
Yeah.
That's
Or
what
you need it to be a rune fang
Yeah.
that ignores the armour as well.
Yeah, I think the thing is, it will cause big problems for things that rely on their toughness. It will cause a lot of problems for
Monsters.
a lot of regiments
Yeah.
where you throw lots of dice but they don't have a lot of save.
Against characters, not so much.
Yeah, not so much. But we're going to move on to the first of the enchanted items now, and it is the Black Dragon Egg. There's one use only, and can be used at the start of any player turn. For the rest of that turn, the bearer is Strength and Toughness 6, with a Strength 2 breath weapon, which ignores armour saves, and it's 50 points. Turns you into a mini dragon, basically.
You also got to bring your own skillet and oven to actually cook this thing up.
Nah, you torpedo it.
No, you got to cook up a storm, mate. In the middle of the map,
I don't mind this item.
Yeah, I think it's very cool. It's quite expensive, I think, for what it does for that one turn. But if you use it at the right time, it can be really effective.
Comes from a good slot.
Yeah.
Enchanted item.
Yeah.
Makes you strength and toughness 6, which is really solid.
And it's fixed. It's not like +2 strength and toughness. It's a fixed, your strength and toughness 6.
It also doesn't give you magical attack, so you can get the strength toughness 6 against those white lines and then absolutely tear them apart.
It's the breath weapon.
Breath weapon.
The breath weapon would be magical.
The breath weapon would be magical, yeah.
Army book FAQ
It's attacks
says
from a magic item.
attacks from a magic item, yeah. But I think, that's a weird grey area because it gives the bearer the breath weapon, doesn't it? But I think it probably would be magical.
I would say it's magical breath weapon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the fact that it's strength 2, no armour saves is cool.
Yeah.
Good synergy with Lara in toughness again.
Yeah, very good.
Strength toughness 6 is really strong.
Yeah.
It's alright, it's an alright item.
Yes, it's not bad at all.
It's a fun flavour item.
And you are absolutely wrong to have an egg raw.
I reckon a 2-up armour save
Good hangover.
master battle standard bearer with that bad boy could be really unpleasant for someone.
Yeah. Chuck them in a halberd.
I'd probably just keep the hand weapon and shield, keep the good armour save in them.
Maybe. Anyway, moving on. On to what is probably the most well known of the Dark Elf magic items, the Cloak of Twilight.
Yeah.
Why this isn't magic armour is beyond me, but hey ho. The wearer has a 3+ ward save against shooting and spells, and in the first round of combat, they have Killing Blow and multiple wounds D3. How does a cloak give you Killing Blow and multiple wounds D3?
I think
Somebody tell me.
It's meant to be that you like leap out of the twilight, isn't it? It's like it shrouds you in twilight. What I don't understand is not how it's not magic armor, because it doesn't give him any armor. How is it not a talisman?
This is a cloak.
How it's a talisman. It's a 3-up wall save.
It's a cloak. It's enchanted item.
I can combine this with magic resistance.
Are you telling me the invisibility cloak from Harry Potter was a talisman?
Absolutely.
No, that's an enchanted item, mate.
That's not an enchanted item. It's a talisman. It gives you invisibility, and this doesn't give you invisibility. It gives you a 3-up wall save. I don't remember at any point him going, "I'll hide behind the cloak."
Oh no, I've rolled a 2.
Cadaver doesn't kill me. I don't recall.
No,
that.
I'm the firm. I believe it is an enchanted item. It's not a talisman because it's not a talisman.
No,
a talisman is a little pendant or anything
I'm
like
sorry,
that.
it's a talisman.
And it's not magic armor because it is a cloak. That cloak offers no protection.
No, it's,
Sea dragon cloaks do.
That's because it's made out of scales.
Yeah, it's. I'm sorry.
This one might
For
be.
me, it should be a talisman, and the fact that it's not is absolutely horrifying. Because I can easily combine it with rerun my armor save, which is going to be amazing from the Dawnstone. I can combine it up with the magic resistance 1. I don't even to invest a lot of points. I can get this bad boy, magic resistance 1, and something equally as unpleasant like the Sword of Anti-Heroes on a choppy character, and just absolutely wreck face.
I always thought you had to get the Killing Blow multiple wounds D3 when you charged.
No.
Because I only ever see this thing being
Is it
taken.
in the first round of combat?
I always remember this. I only ever see this thing being taken on Pegasus Masters with a lance.
Who generally do charge.
I should point out again, other franchises other than Harry Potter are in fact available.
And those invisibility cloaks are enchanted items.
Well, we've not even spoken about the points. It's 50 points for all of that.
Yeah.
There's no caveat to say that you can't wear it with a sea dragon cloak. Ridiculous.
Do you know what? I'd pay 50 points for the wall save part. And I think this is the thing.
Yeah.
This item is just as good on a wizard as it is on a chop character. Because
Yeah.
you look and go, oh, but I don't get all that cool multiple wounds and the killing blow.
I'd still pay 50 points for the 3-up
But
ward
I'm
save.
going to pay 45 points for a 4-up ward save. So I'm going to pay 50 and have a 3-up ward save.
If your sorcerer's going to be running around like Pegasus by herself.
Yeah, or even a Dark Steed.
Yeah, or a Dark Steed. Yeah.
And then I can get a bit of magic resistance on her as well, and still have a scroll.
Yeah.
Or, Power
and-
Stone.
He's part of the model with the Techni material dream cloak.
Anyway, as Max hinted to, you do inevitably end up with a master on a Pegasus with this 1-up armor save and a lance.
I remember going to an event that
He's a
banned Cloak of Twilight and
Because it's
Cloak.
cloaks.
It was like a man can only wear one cloak was the line underneath. It was like, fair play.
Yeah, it's just madness. Fantastic item.
Too many
50
cloaks.
points.
Too many cloaks spoil the master.
Apparently not. The 2 talismans are up next, and we are going to start with the Black Amulet. It's 60 points, so Lord level character only. Gives you a 4+ ward save, and every time you pass a ward save in a challenge, the amulet inflicts a wound on the bearer's opponent, which ignores armour. So 15 points for the sort of inflicting a wound on the opponent in a challenge. Do I think it's worth it? I don't think so, to be honest.
It's an auto wound.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a strength hit.
And is it with no armour saves,
No
I believe,
armour
that
saves.
wound. So, it's not terrible. It's not terrible.
I just think too many times if you have a Dreadlord, because you're not going to put this on a wizard, you have a Dreadlord who goes, oh, I'm going to issue a challenge. Most things don't want to fight a Dreadlord in a challenge anyway.
No, but I think it gives you that. It's like when you fight those Warriors of Chaos type characters, when you sort of have killed the champions and stuff like that, it allows you to sort of go out for an enemy lord. I think the biggest problem with it is I can get it with Ogre Blade, which is obviously very good because I'm an elf and Ogre Blade's sick. But I lose those options then because it's 60 points. I can't then squeeze on the other
enchanted
Trickster's
shield.
Shard.
Yeah.
Or an enchanted shield, which I possibly
Dragon
won't
Helm
need.
or-
Dragon Helm, which I might
Yeah.
want.
But for the fact you can take the dragon, you can take the ogre blade with this and still get a 1-up armor save.
Oh yeah,
Still a
yeah.
1-up, 4-up,
yeah,
strength
it's really
6.
good. I don't dislike this item. The thing I like about it is it gives me another ward save. I can effectively, if the game gets bigger and bigger, I can be like cloak ward save, 4-up ward save from the rulebook, armour 4-up ward save, 4-up ward save from this. I mean, it's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I quite like it.
Yeah, I think
More
it's
fire
alright.
with the 4-up ward save.
Yeah, treat yourself.
Treat
Why not?
yourself.
I think it's good. I do agree with you, but I do think that its opportunity cost is what stops you seeing it.
Fair enough. Is that your...
I don't think it's opportunity cost. I quite like it as a primary take on a Dreadlord.
So why do you think more Dreadlords don't take it?
Because people just take more refined to use the points elsewhere in their army.
You see a lot of Dreadlords though out there still.
But I think that's because, I don't know, just their personal preference.
I just think it's because you're going to look at other things like OTS.
I mean, it's helpful because it means you don't have to remember as many items.
Brilliant.
It's helpful. If you've got bad
Helpful
memory.
if you've got a rubbish memory.
I don't think it's a bad choice though.
I quite like it.
We could say we think it's okay.
On to the second talisman then, and that is the Ring of Hotep. 50 points, it gives you MR3, and any enemy wizard that attempts to cast or target a spell on a unit within 6 of the bearer will suffer a miscast on the roll of a double 1 as well as a double 6. So 5 points more than MR3 for that extra miscast. Yeah, I like it.
I quite like that,
Yeah, I'm a fan. I know John, your brother, is a big fan of this on a level 2. And I've got to be honest with him, I agree.
He puts in executioners a lot of the time because it gives them some magical defence, which is
Yeah,
really
the witches
helpful.
have got MR from the Cauldron.
As we talked earlier about it being a bit magic defence can be a bit light from time to time. I think it's nice on Doomfire Warlocks. Obviously, the MR3 is a little bit more than you need because 2's enough, but the spells are something people do. The thing that's good about it is it's not just targets them, it's targets units within 6 of them or casts a spell within 6, so they can get round near the wizard, and that's a really good way of delivering the increased miscast.
Yeah, it'll also give Doomfires a ward save against Law of Snatch.
It would. It does.
The 4+ variety.
Yeah,
it's a good little item, this one.
Yeah, I do like it. Big fan.
I think you don't see it as often because people don't think magic res as often as they may.
No.
It's a good item.
Yeah. But next we are soaring right back up to 100 points. And it's the only magic banner in the book, actually, and it is the Banner of Nagaroth.
It really bugs me the fact this is not the last item in the page, because banner should be the last item.
Okay.
In the traditional sense of how magic
They're not in the main rulebook.
No, and that does bug me itself as well.
Surely, though, the template should be the rulebook. Surely it's all the other army books.
My template is 7th edition army books, in which it goes weapons, armour, enchanted items, talisman, arcane, banner. That's how the template should be.
I'd have gone talismans before enchanted.
Ooh.
Well, this is a thrilling conversation, but I'm going to get back to the script if it's alright with everyone at home.
How me and James are right our army books.
Come on.
So anyway, what does the banner do? All models in the unit carrying the banner have the Unbreakable special rule, as do Alathanar, Shadow Warriors, and Shadow Walkers from the High Elf book within 12 inches of the banner.
That's game breaking because those are such competitive units. You see those all the time.
What are Shadow Walkers? Are they Shadow Warrior unit champs?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why?
Because
Why
someone
did
would
they
have been
specify?
petty enough to go, you've only got the champ left. He's not actually a Shadow Warrior, is he, mate?
He's not wrong. He is not wrong. Rules is written that is
person-
correct.
Arnicar
person
and undead,
is wrong.
undead.
Yeah,
That's all I'm going to say.
Is wrong. It's a nice little thematic piece. You can get a very survivable BSB with no magic equipment, so you might be tempted to go with a magic banner. I wouldn't go with this magic banner, but you might be tempted to go with a magic banner on your BSB.
I think
I don't know, Unbreakable Witch Elves.
Yeah, I did say maybe something like Witch Elves with a Cauldron, force your opponent to kill them to the last elf. Can the Death Hag BSB take a magic banner?
Yes, no. I say yes and no. I'm going to check.
We'll check that.
Wax lyrical while I find it.
I think one of the things with this is what does it go on? What do you put it on?
There you go, on a Sea Thunder, one master of Death Hag may carry a Battle Standard Bearer for 25 points. The Battle Standard Bearer may carry a magic standard
can.
with no points limit.
Cool.
So the Death Hag can take it.
Okay, so she could take it on Witch Elves, but she is quite squishy. Only got 5 up wall
The
save.
master can be quite good.
He can be, like I say, 1 up armor save.
Yeah, I
around him,
think-
But
My big point would be if you're really into the Witch Elf thing, why not just suck up the damage on a 1-up armor save master and give him the Crown of Command?
Yeah.
That would probably be enough.
yeah,
And he, great, lovely, move on. I think this is a really good banner. I don't only mind the 100 points because in this book I can get a 1-up armor save really easily on mounted or unmounted. But my problem is, what unit does it go in? You want this in a unit that likes to grind out a good result. What unit in the Dark Elf book does that?
Blackguard.
Black
They're
Guard.
stubborn, don't need to.
And you can take her in Dark Hand as well. For that.
Yeah, but he does just die after the
Yeah, I
first
mean
round.
that's an even bigger waste of points than that. That's my problem.
Yeah.
Maybe execs, but they're not tough.
They don't. Yeah, they
Yeah,
don't really like the grind.
They want to break in 1 or 2 rounds of combat.
Yeah,
Otherwise
I
they
mean,
just take too much
so
damage.
really you're going, I'll take a massive unit, I'll take 40.
Tell you what, Black Hawk Corsairs, they can grind out quite a bit. And they're 4-up armor save.
I think the problem
That's
with
not a terrible
with the
shout.
2 strength 3 attacks though is are
you
they
can-
ever going to win?
but you
Or are
can
they just
boost
going to be
up-
unbreakable until they're all dead?
You can just boost it up into like Shadow and everything like
Yes.
Power from Darkness.
Yeah, Power from
I
Darkness.
think the other problem for me is I've got Lockyer Felhart as well.
Mhm.
He can make me unbreakable.
Mm-hmm.
Only if you manage to kill a character or get into a challenge.
Yes, but
Yeah, so you just issue a challenge
You
with him.
issue a
If they say
challenge.
no, you just go, okay, fine, I'll jump over it and kill your wizard.
Yeah, that's fair.
and I think the Fleet Master's another one. I'll issue a challenge. Most people will accept with their champion because they don't want the risk of you sending a BSB
Yeah.
or something useful to the back.
Yeah.
So actually,
There's actually quite a few ways to become unbreakable in
yeah,
Mm.
and
The Dark Elf
you've
book.
still got the Crown of Command. You've still got
Yeah.
stubborn characters.
inherently stubborn units.
I think the best choice probably would be the Corsairs, in my opinion.
Yeah, or maybe on the BSB on the witches, and I could see the argument for that just based on the fact that it means that most people get one shot
Yeah.
at hitting the flank of those
Yeah.
witches and bouncing them around, and then they don't. But
Yeah.
do you want to make that thing that could get cannonballed, and she could die on turn 1 with only 2 wounds, a 5-up ward save? Do you want to make her another 100 points
expensive, yeah.
and miss out on the
On
Obsidian
this-
Blade?
Yeah.
I do, so that's why I think it's better on the Master than it is on Death Hag.
Yeah.
Death
Yeah,
Hag,
that's
if
fair.
you're taking it in the unit, which
Or
I
a
think-
second Death Hag, perhaps, with the Battle Standard Bearer
Just
in
on
the
foot.
unit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not
So
a bad
that
shout.
that could be. We're giving you ideas. We're
Yeah.
mining.
We're trying.
It's
It's
not-
not
we
as
think it's
awful.
okay.
It's not as awful.
Well, I think it's okay.
I quite like it as it is. It's not as awful, but I like really stupid things. So it's not as awful as some people, as like most 100-point magic items are out there.
Yeah.
I think you catch
it's-
people out of it.
I
Yeah.
think it's too many points, but I think there are potentially places for it.
And though your opponents do like to use the Shadow Warriors, will thank you for it as well. Before you tear them in half because they are Shadow Warriors in combat.
Yeah, because they're just going to die. Moving on though, we've got the 3 arcane items, and we'll start with that absolute gem that I was talking about earlier.
Oh, God.
The Gem of Spite. For 35 points, you get to inflict a Strength 6 hit on every enemy wizard within 12 every time you take a miscast. However, your opponent can negate the wound by discarding a dice from their Dispel pool. It could not be further from the description I gave it earlier, it's rubbish.
Mm.
And unless you're me, and you're probably going to miscast at
Every
least
time.
once a game, there's no guarantee it will be... even if you do that, there's no guarantee it will be on the wizard that has this item. If there is, there's no guarantee there'll be enemy wizards within 12. And even if there are, most miscasts require you to lose dice. And you've probably thrown a lot of dice to miscast in the first place. You're probably not going to have many dice left. So your opponent's not going to feel that bad about chucking a couple of Dispel dice away to not take hits on their wizards.
Yeah, its biggest sin for me is slot.
Arcane.
You couldn't put it in a not arcane slot because of what it is,
Yeah.
but it's up against
Dispel Scrolls.
Book of Asher, Dispel Scroll, Power Stone, Channeling
Scroll.
Staff, Power Scroll,
Earthen Rod?
Earthen
It's not
Rod
bad.
for those that those bottle jobs like Chris Howe.
Oh, why?
Oh,
What?
why? You're alright, don't play Dark Elves.
You,
Probably won't
you
listen to
should
this.
take more Earthen Rod,
I
though,
really
Scott. So I can see you rolled have a 1 followed by a 2 and a 1.
That's why I should take more Banner of Nagarifs then, yeah?
Yeah, I'm being a little bit sarcastic about being scared of the miscast, but
It's just a comedy of errors for me.
there's so
It
many
really is.
items that are better than it
Yeah.
that you have access to. And I even think the next arcane item is better than it, and I don't think that's particularly good. The next 2
No.
are better than it, and I don't think they're... I'm not sure I think they're particularly great either.
So yeah, all in all, just don't bother. The penultimate magic item then is the Sacrificial Dagger, the Dark Elf Classic. This is 25 points, and I'm going to get Max to read this out. I
Oh.
feel like he's not done enough reading today.
No, I've not. You've left me out in the cold here.
I have.
In the cold of Nagarond? Nagarond?
Nevermond.
Nagarond's the
Just say
country.
Grond. Just say Grond.
Grond?
Yeah,
Grond.
there you go. The Cold of Grond.
Okay.
So Morathai is. You're good. That's a city.
Not chancing the name of the battering ram from Lord of the Rings, no?
No?
Grond.
No.
I wanna move on.
No.
Right,
Other
Separate
fantasy
Dagger.
franchises are available.
What have I got to put up with today? Oh,
Once
my.
per casting attempt, after the casting dice are rolled but before the spell attempt is made, the bearer of this magic item can sacrifice 1 model in her unit. Choose which model is sacrificed, it is immediately removed as a casualty with no saves of any kind allowed. Yee. And then roll a d6 on a 4+. The sorceress gains an extra power dice that must be rolled and added to the casting results. This spell attempts can now be made and the spell resolved. On a roll of 3 or less, the sacrifice does not generate enough power. You can either immediately sacrifice another model from the unit
Or call it a day.
and roll again following the procedure as above, or accept the original casting results.
So I'm going to be honest. In the previous army book,
Hilarious.
Did you store it?
This automatically gave you a power dice when you stabbed a guy.
Okay.
You didn't roll a 4+. And crucially, the dudes you were stabbing were 6 points a model, not 9 points a model, like they are in this book.
It's frivolous. Next.
It's
Why? It's rubbish.
Yeah, it's not very good.
used to be so good.
How the mighty have fallen.
It's not terrible if you keep your wizard in a unit of something cheap, but just don't get carried away with the sacrificing.
Yeah, I think
Don't stab your Doomfire Warlocks.
You're paying the points
No.
for it, and actually what you're saying is, well, I'm paying the points for this item, and I'm probably only going to use it maybe once a turn when I'm really desperate. Maybe less, and maybe once every other turn because I don't want to kill. I mean, you can legitimately panic your own unit.
Yeah, you can. if you continually stab someone in the head.
I love the little bit at the end. If the bearer is the only model remaining in the unit, no further sacrifices can be attempted. She can't sacrifice herself.
Just devastate the entire unit.
It's not enough. It's not enough.
Devastate the entire unit.
I think that's it. I think you get to that point where you're like, I'm going to take a panic check this turn. How many more do I have to kill? Let's give it a go. See if I don't have to take the check because they're all dead.
It's just absolutely devastating a unit.
You just sacrifice your entire
30
unit because then she immediately becomes a unit on her own and doesn't have to take the check.
No, she's good.
She becomes an impromptu unit of characters.
Character.
Sarah character.
Shall we move on?
Yeah, I think we shall. To the final magic item, and I do think this one is a rather undermined gem, if I'm honest. So much so that before I got the Dark Elf book, I didn't know that it existed. This is the Tome of Furion. It's 25 points, and as long as you are generating your spells from a lore of dark magic, you can choose one of your spells and then generate the rest normally. I think that's really good.
Yeah, I quite like it.
The only reason you don't see it is because of how prevalent Morithai is.
With Laura Death.
Well,
Because she can go for dark anyway.
Yeah, but I also think the regular sorceress, when you don't see Morithai, she almost always goes on death. Or if she's on foot, she'll take shadow.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue, is that you don't actually see dark magic as often as you probably should.
No.
And part of that is as well because people look at dark magic and say it's got good spells, but the SIGs are ace, and I can get those one of those on my Doomfire Warlock units.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll just take a cheeky level 1 and just go for another Doom Bolt.
Another Doom Bolt,
you know?
yeah.
I don't know if I want to pay 25 points to pick a spell. I've got to have a plan in mind. I think that's it.
Yeah, I think it means you can be a lot more confident in building around a mechanic that requires a spell that isn't a signature spell.
Yeah.
And one of the lists that we'll look at in a little bit does that actually very well, and I think you definitely have this item in that list.
Yep.
I really do like it. It'd probably be on my level 4 wizards if they were on dark more than level 2 wizards. I think it can still be good on a level 2. I just don't think it's as good on a level 2.
I think, again, if you're building around a mechanic, I know the mechanic you're going to talk about, so it's not very good on an unmovable wizard.
No.
But, I mean, if you were saying, well, actually, I think one
Well,
of the
level
things...
2s can be unmovable.
At a tournament, one of the things you could think is I'll put it on level 2, they get +3 to cast, and actually what that means is I can go, well, you know, actually I do want Honest Paul's Black Horror. I do, you know, when I draw up against different opponents, I can say, well, what is actually good for me?
It's the element of taking away the randomness of the game and getting give yourself the. And we've always spoken about taking away randomness to make sure that you do get what you need to get.
It's the best of the 3 arcanes by some distance.
What's wrong with the dagger? Come on, man.
No,
Kill
only
Thay Dark
half the
Elves.
time makes you take panic checks.
Kill Thay Dark Elves. Come on.
Hilarious. But that is it. That is it for the Armoury of the Dark Elves. All their mundane and their magic items. So now we are going to move into the lore of dark magic. With the slave ships full of their treasures, it is time to move on to analyse the lore of dark magic. The way we'll do this is with our magic lore rating system, which can be found on triplecrownwargaming.com/ratings. But to put it simply, we'll give the lore a score out of 24 based on the following 6 criteria: variety of spell types, power and frequency of the lore attribute, average spell range, spell flexibility, average casting value, and the quality of the signature spell. So, let's summarise the lore of dark magic. With the lore attribute first. Spiteful Conjurations. Every time a hex, direct damage, or magic missile is successfully cast by a Dark Elf wizard, and the spell is not dispelled, and the roll contained any doubles, the spell's target suffers 2d6 strength 1 hits with the armour piercing special roll. If the casting roll contains a treble, then it's 3d6 hits. It's a nice little bonus. Comes up reasonably often if you cast dark magic spells a lot.
Brucey bonus.
Yeah, it could be good for sort of nicking the last wound or two off a unit.
It's not piercing
It's
as
not
well.
bad.
So it's
Yeah.
actually pretty good stuff like Bretonians. They don't like armor piercing. It's not high enough strength to give them the better ward
It's
save.
strength 1, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's hard to make the wounds happen, but
It's free at the end of the day.
It comes
It's
off hexes.
Little free damage.
Yeah, that's weird. His hexes are weird.
no, it's not one of the best lore attributes out there.
No,
It's,
no.
it's fair to say.
It's
not.
It is. What is that? It's 6 out of 8 spells. This is
Yeah,
true.
but it
Yeah, it
does
does happen a
struggle
lot.
to have a meaningful in-game impact
Yeah.
because you have to flip the double and then do a good amount of hits because
To win something. at
otherwise you're not
strength
going to
one.
do any
Yeah.
wins. So yeah,
Yeah, it's not terrible though. It's not bad.
it's free, like you say.
Yeah, it's free. So a bit like with high magic, there are 2 signature spells in dark. The first being Power from Darkness. This augment targets the caster's unit, and all models gain +1 strength. Then add D3 power dice to your power pool. If you're on a 3, the wizard takes a wound with no arm saves. +1 strength is decent on any of your units, really. You know, as we discussed before, there are times when even you want dark shards in combat.
It's not the auto included that it used to be.
Well, you didn't take the wounds before.
No, you didn't take the wounds, and it was cast on a lower caster value, wasn't it? It
What's
was
it
casting
cast
on
on?
5. I think it's cast on 8 now.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
was lower than
Because
that.
I remember a lot of people just, I got 1 dice left, Power Darkness.
But the previous
Yeah.
book was designed with a different magic system.
The
in mind.
magic
You didn't
works,
add your you didn't add your wizard level to it then.
Yeah.
So
I like it. Like, you can probably 2 dice it with a level 2. Because you're adding 3 to your cast.
I think it's really good on at its best again on Doomfire Warlocks because I'm going their strength 5.
Yeah.
I like it with Black God.
Yeah, I don't dislike it on Blackguard either. I think it's good with them too.
Which elves?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but again,
But you're
your
probably
wizard's
not gonna
probably
have
going
the
to get
wizard in
stabbed
the
to
unit,
death
which
first,
is-
which is the problem. So I think it's those 2 units are the ones. that stand
Corsairs.
out.
Very good on Corsairs.
Yeah,
actually.
Corsairs it could
Yeah.
be good with too. So,
Strength 4 Corsairs. Very nice.
but I think it gets beaten out most of the time because the risk of taking the wounds, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of other really
Yeah,
great
it's not-
spells in this.
It's not a 6 you roll, it's when you generate 3 dice.
Yeah.
So it's a 5 or a 6 you take the wound.
Yeah, so it's a third of the time you throw the spell. It's
But-
pretty regular.
If you 2 dice it, on average, it won't actually cost you any dice. And it might draw some dispel dice from your opponent, which is nice.
I mean, the fact it's giving the +1 strength now makes it a lot better. If it was just you gain D3 dice, I don't think it's worth it.
No.
No.
I think with the
It needs the
+1
+1
strength.
strength.
I think that's why they added the wound
Yeah.
Yeah.
to try and feel like it wasn't all gravy. But I'm not sure they needed to go that far.
No.
I think it would have only been good.
But the second signature spell then is much more frequently used and seen is Doombolt. Magic missile with 2d6 or 4d6 strength 5 hits. It's cast on a 12 or 24 respectively. It truly is a terrifying magic missile. Very,
18
very good.
18-inch range, I don't know if you mentioned that.
Only 18-inch range, which is a slight downside, but when it's on something as fast as, I don't know, a Doomfire Warlock,
Doomfire.
Or
that matters a lot less.
Dark Elf Sorceress on any mount.
Any mount, yeah.
Running around,
Very
absolutely
good.
devastating your units with strength 5.
Yeah, it's a chunk of strength 5 range attacks, which they can't get any other way as well.
No, it's nice.
Very good.
It fits in nicely with the bolt throws and all of the crossbow shooting.
Yep.
I mean, you guys that have seen any of the battle reports where I've used Wood Elves on the channel will have seen me use this with them. It's the same principle, really.
Yeah,
It's
works
manoeuvrable.
exactly the
It
same
drops
way.
lots of extra damage for your army. It's a great spell. It's just that
Very good
cast value.
it's just quite high for a signature
For a
spell.
serious spell, it's ridiculously high.
Yeah, but you can't fault the damage it puts out.
No.
And in this book,
No.
when you can use the Doomfire Warlocks to cast it,
Yeah.
For
Right,
6 dice, big doom bolt.
it's a staple of filth.
Moving on then, Chillwind is spell number 1. Another magic missile, which inflicts 2d6 strength 2 hits. If the unit suffers any unsaved wounds, then it is -1 to its ballistic skill until the next magic phase, the caster's next magic phase. Strength is low, 18-inch range, cast value of 5 though.
24-inch range.
Oh, is it 24?
No, 24.
Oh, well, clearly I wrote that down wrong. It's only casting a 5 as well, actually, which is nice, you know, it's cheeky 1 dice casts. Good on things like Wood Elves, good on any other elves, really.
But this is one of the things with Morathai again,
Yeah.
that she can flip the switch. And when you do pull Wood Elves in a GT with Dark Elves, you're worried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're about as bad as it gets for you.
Yeah.
They're as manoeuvrable as you in a lot of cases. Their shooting is all wrong for you. You're just
Yeah.
not set up for it in any way. And that's a problem. And But flipping to Dark Magic is really horrible against Wood Elves.
Yeah,
it's got so many spells that cause you problems. Doombolt being one, this being an immediate second bounce. If your opponent's toughness 3 and they're shooting you, this is hideous.
Yeah,
they
Blade
can't
Wind is
abide
another one
this.
which we'll get
Blade Wind's really
onto
good.
in a bit. But yeah, very, very good.
Boiler Pain's really good as well. We're going to get that down.
Yep.
Yeah, and
sorry to interject just quickly. It's also -1 BS. It's not -1 to hit.
Yeah.
And that's what
Which
makes
is
it
why it affects Wood
so
Elves.
good against the True Fly. It's also really good against Tomb Kings.
Yeah.
For the same reason.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They hit on a ballistic skill, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought it's not just
No.
getting 5s.
No.
They
it's
don't
not
suffer
like
modifiers to hit.
Which
what
is
it
why
says.
Khalida's unit hits on 4, because her My Will Be Done gives them
Gives
her
them that
ballistic skill,
ballistic
not
skill.
weapon skill.
Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, we digress. Moving on to Word of Pain, which is spell number 2. For me, is one of the standout Dark Magic offerings. It's a hex with a range of 24. Enemy units have their weapon skill and ballistic skill reduced by D3 on a 9, and this can be boosted to include strength and initiative as well for a bargain 12 plus.
Yeah.
I mean, where to begin? Another option for reducing ballistic skill. Great for your low armor troops who are going to suffer from being hit by that shooting. Reducing weapon skills, help ensure your combat threats get to hit on 3s. Or also re-rolling almost all of the time.
Chose are only weapon skill 4.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Lowering enemy strength is always good because you are only toughness 3. You are an elf, your units. Great synergy with Chill Wind above and with the rest of the lore, to be honest. So don't be surprised if we come back to this spell again as we get a bit further through the lore. But really, really solid spell.
I think that's the best spell in the lore. I've played a lot of Dark Magic, and I think that, having used this lore tons, that's the best spell in the lore. What wants that spell cast on them? That literally hits all of the unpleasant stats except toughness.
Yeah.
But it's like your shooting units don't want it, combat units don't want it. It's an absolute
it's a
threat nerfer.
It's a better Melkoffs.
And with that 12 plus, that bump of 3 points, for me it only really has one cast value.
Just casting a 12.
On a 12 plus.
And you're getting +5 to cast that spell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At base. Or if
Yeah,
you
it's
have
mad.
It's 7, mate. It's an average 2 dice on level 4.
Yeah.
Well,
It's worth saying now, rules as written, the boosted value caps at 1. The basic value doesn't. So it's the basic value just says it reduces your weapon skill and ballistic skill by D3. The boosted value goes on to say you can boost this to 12 plus blah 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 to include strength and initiative to a minimum of 1.
Yeah, I think we would probably cap it at 1.
Yeah, I think it's meant that both are capped to 1.
I think they probably fit in the minds that you aren't always ever going to go for the big version.
Yeah, who knows?
Possibly. But yeah, still fantastic spell.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Ace.
On to Blade Wind now. One of our first direct damage spell, actually. Not one of, this is our first. With a range of 24 and a cast value of 9 again. Every model in the enemy unit immediately takes a weapon skill test. And if they fail, they suffer a single hit, which is strength 4, as the armor piercing special rule. Great spell for maiming sort of large units with rubbish weapon skill.
Goblins.
Goblins, zombies, skeletons.
I used this against James in the Light of Albion campaign we just done on the channel against his 50 night goblins and killed like 30 of them.
I played a lady at Warhammer World who had a
Skaven
unit
slaves.
of Skaven clan
I think they were
rats.
clan rats, weren't they? Actually?
Yeah, which was about 80 of them.
Yeah.
And I dropped their weapon skill with
Word of Pain.
Word of Pain, and obviously not being a long way away. You think, well, I'll get it back next turn, and then I got this one on the bounce and killed 50 of them, and that's after their magic rest saves. It's good.
It's good.
Yeah,
Good
and
little
those
spell.
big target units can be a real nightmare for your elite units, for things like executioners who, struggle to get through big units.
Even
And
things
then
like-
suddenly you just cut them down for it.
Even things like plague bearers don't want this, mate.
Yeah.
Weapon skill 3,
Still
they're
is
going
my
to fail half of the tests. They're going to take quarter of their unit taking wounds. They're going to take off about
I
50
like
of their
this
unit.
against like Bretonian Lances. Strength armor piercing is the antithesis.
Oh,
of
Yeah,
yeah.
it is.
And
It
again,
is the absolute
weapons
worst.
skill
They're a
Three
weapon
on
skill
the
3 and
errands.
everything. Yeah.
The absolute worst for Bretonians.
Surprisingly flexible when you start thinking
Yeah.
about it, and
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
casting value is
Oh,
just
it's mad.
non-existent.
Yeah, it's mad.
It's horrid.
Yep. So moving on, spell 4 is the Shroud of Despair. So it's another hex, which affects all enemy units within 12 of the bearer. Until the caster's next magic phase, those units may not use the General's Inspiring Presence or the Battle Standards Hold Your Ground special rules. Furthermore, if a unit affected by the spell fails a leadership test, then all other affected units immediately suffer -1 leadership until the caster's next magic phase. This is cumulative. pretty amazing for a 10 plus to cast. I think good when you build around it. It doesn't have a place in every list. It doesn't have a place in every game that you're going to play. But certainly building around it, or at least manoeuvring around it, if that's the right sort of phrase, getting your wizard in the right sort of place and the rest of your army in the right place to capitalise on it, making something fail a fear check that then makes everything else worse leadership, and sort of trying to go down the line. I think it's really, really
If
good.
only your army could be very fast.
Panic is the hot way to maximise this,
Yes.
I find, because you shoot some dogs and you leave one alive and then he panics and he's leadership 6 because, you know, he's under the shroud, so he can't
use the general. Yeah.
He fails, and then everyone else is -1, and then you shoot another unit that's in front of a unit you care about. They probably now panic because they're -1 leadership, can't use the general. Now the big unit that mattered, that maybe has your general in it or has the BSB in it,
Is now -2.
is now -2 leadership. They can't re-roll, and it's all game over.
Yeah.
And again, I use this with Law of Death a lot for a very similar reason.
For Doom and Darkness,
Let's-
you drop that unit's leadership by 3, then you go and make that unit panic. Everyone's now another -1.
Great with
huge.
terror,
Yeah.
self-explanatory.
Everything
Really
running
good,
away.
really good with the monster mash build,
Yeah.
which we're going to actually look at later. You want this on a quick wizard though.
Yes.
Something on a peg or a dark steed.
Something with this as well that I've seen people fall into the trap with. So I'll point this out now for you guys at home that are fighting against it as well. Is it's units within 12 when the spell's cast. It's not a 12-inch bubble off the wizard
That moves with
that
it.
moves with it. So I've
Yeah.
lost count of the times I've sort of played people and they've gone, oh, well, I'll move forward. I'm more than 12 from your wizard now.
Yeah.
On their turn when I've cast it on
Yeah,
mine.
yeah.
And they're going, oh, well, I'm more than 12 away, so I'm safe. You're not safe. You've been hit
You
by
were
the
hit
spell.
by the
You were
spell.
hit by the cast.
You take that shroud with you.
So the shroud
Yeah.
stays on. So it's just worth remembering that as well. Is that like if you're hit by it, it's not being under the shroud. It's you were hit by the shroud. I like little counters for that, but when
Yeah, that works
Wood
well.
Elves drop counters, whereas
Yeah.
Dark Elves don't. It's just easy to keep up. But yeah, same thing. You just get counters if you're going to use it.
Yeah. Little, just like a 25mm round base with something on.
Yeah.
Works well.
A scary face.
They're your scary voice.
But moving on, and we return to direct damage this time with the Soul Stealer. This one has a range of 18 inches and is cast on an 11. Place a small round template on the target and scatter it d6 inches. All models hit suffer a strength 2 hit with no armor saves allowed. Pretty decent actually, especially against sort of human or elf knights. Anything with good armor save, especially Bretonians.
Good against blocks, isn't it? Lots of hits.
But wait, there's more. For every wound inflicted, the caster rolls a d6. On the roll of a 4+, they immediately gain a wound. This can take them above their starting value to a maximum of 10. The wizard can also pump for a 14+ version, which has a massive 36-inch range. Really good spell, especially if your Dark Wizard is your general as well. Really helps to keep them survivable. Again, something that's good at dealing with like big units sort of at range that you don't have to worry about getting into combat with. Big fan.
It's weird that a lot of these damage spells have got lower strength apart from Doombolt, which obviously stole all the strength from every other spell.
Yep, all of it.
It's the armor modification on these spells that makes them really
Yeah.
unpleasant though. This one's no armor. Again, we talk about Morathai against the Wood Elves. This is pretty vital tool for her. She
Yeah.
hits them from
Stays
36
alive,
with
yeah.
a boosted version, rocks herself up to 7 or 8 wounds, and suddenly the shooting is not going to kill her, and she becomes really difficult there.
Yeah.
The sole reason my Dark Wizard is my general when
In
I
your
play
Wood
Wood
Elves.
Elves
Soul
is
Stealer.
because
Soul
of
Stealer.
the Soul Stealer giving me the option to get to 10 wounds.
And you want a 6-dice purple sun and not worry about losing your general.
Well, yeah, but I am also going to throw big doom bolts. So I'm going to throw 6 dice on a lot of things because
Yeah.
I'm that sort of guy. I've got no friends. But this is an underrated gem, and again, and for Dark Elves, they are going to be close. They're very rarely going to need to pump for the 14.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
they're not.
Even when they do, it's not that hard to cast. They get +5 on their big
Whole
wizard.
9,
Yeah.
3 dice. Treat
Yeah.
yourself.
Mad. And last but not least then is our unit killer, Arnsapul's Black Horror. This one is a remains in play magical vortex that's cast on a 15 for a small template or 25 for a large template. Pretty standard cast values for the unit killers. Its range is an artillery dice times the caster's wizard level. Any model touched or passed over must pass a strength test or be removed from play. If they have a ward save, they may take it. If they pass, they live. It's a unit killer, which are very, very rarely bad. It's also in a lore with a spell that can reduce the stat that this unit killer tests on insane. I don't think that can be said of any other unit killer
It's
spell.
one of only 2 laws that can actively improve the output of its own unit killer.
Shadow.
Law of Shadow is the other one.
Yeah, I suppose Pit is a sort of unit killer.
But Pit of Shades is a large template. Everyone under it
It's
takes
not a
initiative,
vortex
tests
though,
or
is it?
dies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That's the only
it's not a vortex, but
difference,
it's still going to kill a
I
hell of a
suppose
lot of models.
Yeah, you still call Final Trans and Dwellers unit
Yeah.
killers.
Killers,
so,
yeah. This
Fair,
is a battle
fair.
line killer as opposed to unit killer. But then you can only reduce the strength of 1 unit. So in a very real sense, you're having the same level of effect. But yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, very, very good.
No,
now,
Lockwood.
my next paragraph. While we're here, I just want to make something very clear when it comes to this spell. Okay, particularly around the point where it says a model may take a single ward save if it has one, and how this phrase interacts with the Banner of the World Dragon from the High Elves. I'm going to look at my cheat sheet a lot because I want to get the wording right on this bit. And I've lost where I was. There we go. The 2 pieces of crucial wording are pass a strength test or be slain outright in the wording of the spell, and all dragons within 12 are stubborn. No, I'm kidding. It's that have a 2+ ward save against wounds caused by bit of the Banner of the World Dragon rules. Answer Pulse does not cause wounds. It slays a model outright, and therefore the unit with the Banner of the World Dragon does not have a ward save to take, as the condition of the Banner's ward save has not been met. As in, they have not taken a wound from a magical source.
Hasn't done a wound.
I just wanted to clear that up and sort of explain why we rule it that way at Triple Crown events, and why we'll be playing it that way when we inevitably have an elf off on the channel, which I don't actually think we've had yet.
No, not yet.
No.
It is worth pointing a couple of other points out to touch on that. Magic resistance follows exactly the same pattern of rules.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't get magic resistance saves against this spell either, because they are a ward save against wounds caused by spells, and this spell doesn't cause wounds.
But then just regular ward saves you do get against.
Yes, you do.
Because
Yeah,
they are unconditional.
as long as they're not sort of
Yeah.
conditional in a
Yeah.
sense,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
So your Armour of Destiny, your Talisman of Preservation, etc., etc. Being a demon, you get your
being a
save.
Phoenix Guard.
Your Cursed Coven having a 4+ ward save.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah. So just wanted to clear that up. But that is it for the Law of Dark Magic. So let's get a rating score for the Law. It is a 4 for variety of spell types, a 2 for power and frequency of the Law attribute, a 3 for average spell range, 3 for spell flexibility, 4 for the average casting value, and this is going to be different from the Wood Elves using Dark Magic because of Dark Elves' Hecate's Blessing. Hecate's? Hecate's, I've just spelled that wrong. Hecate's.
Hitarkis.
Yeah, Hecate's Blessing, so effectively dropping the cast value by 1. And then a 3 for the quality of the signature spell. For a total of 19 out of 24. Another very strong score.
Did it get the same for Wood Elves, do you remember?
I think it got 20 for wood.
I think it got
also
the same
got
because it got a bump for power and frequency of the law attribute.
because it's better.
Yeah.
It is better, sorry.
So I think that's the same score as Wood Elves, but in a slightly different way. Dark Magic is an incredibly powerful law that has some really good combinations, both within the law itself and across the other laws that the army has access to, particularly Death and Shadow. Helpfully, the other 2 laws that Morify can take.
It certainly is. She can mix and match.
She can indeed. And on that note, we are going to move into the final section of today's video, the army list.
Before we do...
No, we're not. James is going to talk.
I am going to talk, because we did the 20-0 tactics on all of the battle magic laws.
Mm-hmm.
Dark Magic, it gets left at home a lot. You don't see people run this law.
No.
It scores the same as Law of Shadow, which was effectively the second highest, because Death
and Life.
Life were the same score.
Yeah.
Now, Law of
Which
Shadow
was 21?
20 or 21?
2021.
Let's say 2021. Let's do that.
2021.
Shadow was the same as
fine
this,
year.
19.
Yeah.
And I think it just goes to show this is really good law.
Yeah,
More
very
people
good
should
law.
be looking at this law.
But people just see Morify Flying Death.
I think they
Yeah.
do to an extent. I think
Yeah,
they're missing
I think
out.
you're right.
They see Doombolt and they go Doombolt. I
Yeah.
think they're missing out.
Do Warlocks.
Yeah.
I think they're missing out on Word of Pain.
I think they're missing out on a lot of stuff. Blade Wind, Soul Stealer, all that
law.
sort of jazz.
Yeah.
Good law.
I like it a lot. And now we're going to move on to
I
the
wanna
final
say
section. No, you don't get to talk. We're going to move on to the army list in today's video. Stop talking, Max. So, as ever, we are going to finish up with some sample army lists. And Max can close his book dramatically.
So I was dramatic enough. Hang on, it needs to be louder. There we go.
Thanks. Just deafness here in the studio. Echoes around the room.
What?
as ever, for the Dark Elves, we've got 3 2,500 point lists. One of them is completely uncomped, and it's an avoidance type list. There's a it's super manoeuvrable, super fast. The one of us would likely take if there were no restrictions at an event. Then we have 2 lists using the Triple Crown GT comp. One is a Monster Mash aggressive list, and one is a sort of combined arms previous Triple Crown winning list.
Multiple times.
I think that
one won it
particular
once.
version won it once.
Yeah. Okay.
But very similar versions
Similar one won it.
have won it twice
Yeah.
before.
So, we're going to start off with that uncomped avoidance list, coming in at exactly 2,500 points. And I've got Morothai with a Dreadlord on a Dark Steed with a Sea Dragon Cloak, the Armour of Destiny, Dawnstone and a Lance. I've got a Master on a Dark Pegasus with Heavy Armour, a Sea Dragon Cloak, a Shield, a Lance and the Cloak of Twilight, the Elf of Many Cloaks, if you will. A Master BSB on a Dark Steed with Heavy Armour, Sea Dragon Cloak, Shield and the Ring of Hotep. And a Sorceress who's level 2 on Dark Magic with a Dispel Scroll on a Dark Steed. I've then got 5 units of 6 Dark Riders and 2 units of 5 Dark Riders. All of them have got shields, repeater crossbows and musicians. And then I've got 2 units of 10 Doomfire Warlocks.
That's a lot of horses.
All avoidance, all of the time. It's 80 shots a turn if everyone double taps. Best special character wizard in the game. One of the best monster killing characters in the game in that Elf of Many Cloaks. Everything either moves 9 or it flies. It's a seriously hard list to get any points out of at all.
Who would you make a general in that list?
I would probably make the Dreadlord my general in that list.
I think I would agree with you.
I would also agree.
Yeah.
More if I go down a hole.
I just think there's no... she's... You know, you want to be aggressive with her anyway. Dreadlord's
Yeah.
harder to kill. He's got a 1-up armour save.
2 up, he's not got a shield.
No.
Couldn't afford the shield. But he's got 2 up re-rollable armour save.
He's
for
got to find the
4-up
points
warlock.
anyway to
To be
get
honest,
the
I've
shield.
definitely found the points for that shield.
I would have given the shield from the Master.
I could have dropped one off, a shield off of the Master, although they're more points on the Dreadlord, so I probably would have had to drop both shields, 'cause I think they're double, or they're like a couple of
Still
points.
2 up rerollable.
Yeah,
And a 4
and a
up.
4 up.
Very good.
Yeah.
I'll find that.
On a horse that moves 9 inches a turn.
Yeah.
You know, he's very hard to get into a position against anything that your opponent wants to fight him with.
Shield is 1 more point than on a.
Yeah, so I'll have
Dreadlord.
to drop both shields from the Master.
Petty.
But yeah, like I say, it's really hard to get any points out of. You've got really powerful magic. You've got a really scary reach with that Master on the peg.
don't
Lots of
catch it.
shots. No, you just don't catch it. The Doomfire is cast as level 3s as well before you kill some of them.
That's if you don't
Big fan.
put any characters in those units.
Well,
as
that's the thing, yeah. So a Sorceress will probably go in one of those units, the level 2 Sorceress. She might go in some Dark Riders, but probably in a unit of Doomfires. The BSB will go in a unit of Doomfires, definitely as well, with his Ring of Hotep, with that Sorceress, I would have thought. So that will be a unit of 12. So that unit, you're going to have to kill 3 Doomfires before I lose the +1 to cast.
Yeah.
Or the extra +1 to cast, rather.
Dreadlord
big
as well.
fan. Yeah, Dreadlord could go in there as well. He could go in the other one with the other Master. If he wanted.
They would lose fast cavalry with the Master in there on the Pegasus.
They
So
would.
They
That
probably
is
be
a fair
better on his
point.
own.
So yeah,
But-
he just rocks around on his own. But
it's not like he's easy to kill, though, is it?
The thing with this is it's death by 1,000 cuts. It's the type of list that will chip points away across games.
Yeah.
If the game runs too slow, or if you're using 20-0 scoring, I'm not sure I see it always scoring really big wins.
not necessarily unless it goes for its magic. It depends what you're
It's got
fighting
to
in
get
those
the right
games.
magic.
Yeah.
hasn't
I found
it?
it's death by 1,000 cuts until Morify gets bored and blows you apart with Purple Sun.
Potentially, but you know, there's a lot of armies out there that are not that fast.
No.
No, but to be fair, you've also got at least two Soul Blights.
Yeah, I agree.
And with those 80 shots, dropping toughness by 2, suddenly those 80 armor piercing shots are terrifying for basically anything.
Yeah, I think the thing is, I don't know, I've used this type of list quite a lot, and I think that the thing you find is that it does, you know, you get the double soul blight, say, and you drop all that shooting and kill a unit.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
It's really good, it's really consistent, but it's a unit. And you've got to do the same next turn and next turn. So if you only get 4 turns, you're probably going to win this game 13-7. If you get 6 turns, you're looking good.
Yeah.
And if you don't get cost back, because you're right, it is hard to get points off, but there will be things that get points off.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Obviously, just from an enjoyment point of view, I don't know how much fun you have because Chris Howell said he took the Avoidance Wood Elf list to Card Crusade, and he said by the end of it he hated using it.
yeah, see, I have no friends, so I'd quite like this. But
Okay, fair play.
I think I'd quite like using this.
I
actually, as well.
think it requires a lot of skill, and I think you can't make a mistake. And when you
Yeah.
do, you'll lose points.
I think that's what I'd enjoy about using it. I think I'd enjoy the stress almost of having to get it right, or I just lose.
Yeah, I also think the thing with this type of list is it gets in your opponent's head a lot. And
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
can really help you out.
It's really frustrating when they're like, "Oh, I'll turn and face this," and then suddenly those 4 units that were in your arc are no longer there.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine, I'll reform and face this way. You just do that. It really can get in your head.
What is the score for this army?
Well, I was going to say, I wanted to take the Tome of Fury actually on my level 2, because I just really like it. But I did go for the scroll instead. I just don't know why you wouldn't in an uncomped environment. But speaking of that comp, this list is a whopping -12 on the Triple Crown Wargaming
Isn't that
comp
like
pack.
the biggest minus we've seen in our sample army list?
I think we had a
What's
minus.
that last sentence, Seamus?
There we go.
What is it?
I think that's the
Did it
biggest
beat the
negative we've
dwarves?
ever had in a deep
I
dive
think
list.
the dwarf version, similar to this type of list, was
I
11
don't think
or 12.
Don't
That
think,
was big.
I remember reading it. I think I remember reading it being a 10 or 11.
Yeah, it was big.
Until we get to next month, in which we might have a bigger minus.
Maybe.
This could, in fairness, be made to be a less minus quite
A lot
easily.
softer,
You
yeah.
could drop the scroll. You could amalgamate a couple of the units of Dark Riders into 10-man units, and then you've cut the comp back.
Yeah.
And that would very easily give you a sort of more manageable version for comp to play. But I think you're maxing your mill here.
Yeah, I think you probably go, if you really want to skirt the comp as much as possible, I guess, but keep the avoidance type list. I think you probably go 3 units of 10 Dark Riders, with Banner and Musician each, in your core, which will save you a chunk of points, probably 150-ish.
You probably take a couple of
200
units
points.
to support 2
Yeah.
units of 5.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe.
something like that. Or you could go with maybe Shades for the pluses.
Yeah, I mean you could. I think that's right. I think the obvious answers are not to have 3 Masters Dreadlords with Sea Dragon Cloaks. Is maybe find another way to save one of those points of comp. That's easy.
Yeah.
Maybe drop the scroll. Because your units are not that valuable, so you can probably suck up a bit of magic and save some points. So I think you could easily, with a little bit of playing, you can do it.
You can make it a much more manageable comp.
But why would you in an uncommon environment?
There's
is the point
absolutely
you're
no
making.
point. Yeah, you're going to go all out all the time.
And it's even better if you're playing win, loss, draw.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's such a good.
Oh, I've killed a monster. I'm just going to stay out of your
I've
arcs.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.
How boring.
I'm going to dance around you for 5 more turns.
Yeah.
But on to the Triple Crown comp lists then. This first one is that Monster Mash list that we were talking about earlier. Perusers of our articles may recognise this as the same one that I wrote for an article way back when we were still doing articles. I went through, gave all the units and characters names, bit of an intellect backstory. I was quite happy with it. Don't think anyone read it, but I was quite happy with it.
Self-burns. Those are rare.
They're rare.
Their tales are much better. The
Yeah.
tales are much better.
I-
We'll translate it. It may have been translated by the time we see this.
No.
Well, it depends when they watch it.
Well,
They
actually,
watch it
that's
in
true.
6 months'
Depends on
time.
you. I put a little competition in there and everything. It was if anyone could tell me where I'd got the name for one of my units from, they got a point.
Did anyone reply back with it?
Nope.
Self-burn. They're rare.
List.
Anyway, we're going to move on. It starts with a Supreme Sorceress. She's level 4 on the Lord of Life. She's got the Crown of Command and a Dispel Scroll. Then I've got a Master BSB. He's got Heavy Armour, Sea Dragon Cloak, Enchanted Shield, Sword of Anti-Heroes, and the other Trickster Shard. Then I've got a level 2 Sorceress on Dark Magic. She's got the Tome of Furion, and she's on a Dark Pegasus. I've got 2 units of 7 Dark Riders with repeater crossbows, shields, musicians, and standard bearers. 2 units of 12 Dark Shards with shields, musicians, and standard bearers. 25 Executioners of Harganeth with full command. 2 Reaper Bolt Throwers, 2 War Hydras with Fiery Breath. 2 units of 5 Doomfire Warlocks, and a Charybdis. So this list is a -1, considerably more bearable than that last one.
It's 11 points cheat, it's 11 points better.
It is, and it tries to do one thing, which is make you fail panic checks and terror tests. The Tome on the level 2 will most likely be used to go for the Shroud of Despair, unless it's fighting undead or demons, or something else with a lot of immune psychology. If they don't have much shooting, that wizard is going to try and fly around on her own. If they do, she'll stay with a unit of Doomfire Warlocks, or at least behind the unit of Doomfire Warlocks if they've got shooting
Hard
that
cover.
does worry about modifiers. But essentially, she'll try and get behind the most expensive unit that I can make flee, cast the Shroud, one of the monsters charges something, or I make something, take a panic test, and as James was explaining before with the Shroud, just make that unit flee on its.
You've got
Dropped
the crossbows and
got
the
the
bolt throwers
crossbows,
to do that really well.
to sort of kill some
And the
chaff.
Doomfires.
Yeah, Doomfire's good at it.
And that's
as well.
something actually we didn't say, that Shroud stacks across phases.
Mm.
So you do some kills in the magic phase after you've dropped it, and it knocks a bit off. You do some in the shooting phase, and it knocks a bit off.
Yeah.
And then
Yep.
your next combat phase, your next movement phase comes around. You go for the
Go
terror
for the
bombs.
terror, you're like, oh, you're
and
like
it's all
-6
over.
leadership. See you later. Yeah, love it. Yeah, it's huge, really. That sort of when you can get it to go off, it's insane. Yeah, it's very tricksy, and because no one really plays around psychology or builds lists around psychology a lot in 8th, I think it could catch a lot of people out.
A lot of people see psychology as saying it's not particularly worth trying to build around because it's really hard to get it working properly.
Yeah.
I've
When-
had plenty of success with this type of stuff.
Yeah, with this
yeah.
cyber list, it's fine, but most
And this is probably better.
armies that don't have access, say the Law of Dark Magic with the Shroud of
Death,
Despair
yeah.
or Death, there's
Or
like Dweth. It's like is that the
That's the Welsh
is
one.
that the Welsh
That's
version?
Death from the Valleys.
Not again. No, it's really hard to make psychology work well unless you're doing this sort of army list that does do it well.
I
Yeah.
think something that I've seen as a popular criticism of this type of idea with the Hydras and the Cryptices, because we've talked about it at events and talked about it with people in the past, is they're like, well, if they're a demon or if they're an undead and they're immune to psychology, it doesn't work. No, it doesn't, you're right. I'll just have to settle for the Executioners, the 3 massive monsters and all the magic in the world to put you in the ground instead.
Oh no!
Tearing apart the armies.
Yeah.
With life magic as well.
Yeah, which brings
So,
the wounds back.
yeah, brings me back. Those Executioners toughness 7, they've got a regen.
Dwellers below.
Dwellers, all those
Got the
undead
unit
units.
killer access, yeah. And again, your Tome of Fury gives you a guaranteed access to another unit killer.
Yeah.
if you want to.
Oh, you're undead, I'll just answer push you.
Yeah. So there's great versatility in it, surprising amount of versatility in it.
Yeah. We've also not even gone into the number of shots that this list puts out. So, the last list obviously had loads of shots. I think it was 80 shots if they all double tap. This list obviously got a lot less Dark Riders, got some Dark Shards in there. This puts out 84 shots.
Yeah, Dark Shards, you see, they bring that home for you.
It's the Bolt Throwers, 12 shots from the two of them.
Yeah. And then you've
Insane.
got 24 shots from each of the units of Dark Shards.
Yep.
So that's
Another 48. 28 from the two units of Dark Riders. Huge.
Yeah, and you've got the potential in there. Again, going to be a little bit easier to use than the previous list.
Yes.
Probably a
I think
little
so.
bit trickier to get right than the final list, because I know what the
Yes.
final list is.
Yeah.
But I mean, you've covered it, Scott. I think you know what,
Yeah.
you know your jam.
I'm
It's
looking
good stuff.
forward to eventually, at some point, who knows when,
Because
at some point getting this on the table.
The year is 2025.
Wait,
Scott has finally built his
35.
last Hydra.
That's a generous estimate.
35.
Scott's still painting all of his empire.
Yeah, I'm not doing this in 3 years' time.
The year is
Definitely not.
2035. Scott paints his last Hydra. James sits dead in the corner of the studio.
The last Chaos Dwarf commission still
Chris Page, I'm so sorry.
The Old World 6th edition has finally been released. There are no Hydras in the Dark Elf book.
Can you imagine? Shroud of Despair hasn't been a spell for 9 years.
Max cackles in demon.
Oh.
Max is now a demon.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Finalist?
Yeah, the final
What
list
was it?
then.
Oh, -1.
It was -1.
You did say.
So the final list we have is a tried and tested, competitive, Triple Crown winning Dark Elf list. We are back to Marathon. We
Surprise.
have, surprise. We have a Black Ark Fleet Master with an Enchanted Shield and the Talisman of Preservation.
Commonly known as Captain Pugwash.
Captain Pugwash. We've got a Death Hag BSB on a Cauldron of Blood with the Obsidian Blade and the Rune of Cain. We have a level 2 Sorceress on the Law of Life with a Dispel Scroll. 2 units of 5 Dark Riders with repeater crossbows and shields. 15 Dark Shards with a Musician, Standard Bearer and the Banner of Eternal Flame. 28 Witch Elves with full command and the Banner of Swiftness. 27 Executioners with full command and the Gleaming Pennant. 2 Reaper Bolt Throwers and 5 Doomfire Warlocks. So this list was originally piloted by John and would currently be a -5 on the Triple Crown Wargaming GT Compact. I think that's about what it was when it won, to be honest.
Yeah, I think
a couple of things have changed, but it's
There's been a
overall
little up
stayed.
and a little down.
Yeah, overall it stayed at what it was, at about -5. I don't think it takes a genius to work out what this list is sort of designed to do.
It hits hard.
Yeah, it's got a big block of witches with that cauldron, the decent sized block of executioners, with some of the best fast cav across your chaff and your doomfires. Yeah, I mean it's a very, very good all round list.
Hits fast and hits hard.
Yeah, your Black Ark Fleet Master and your level 2 on life obviously going your executioners.
They don't want to get stabbed by witches.
They can have a 5+ regen guaranteed because it's the signature from Law of Life.
Yeah.
And as we talked about when we talked about Lockheed Fellheart, if the Black Ark Fleet Master fights in a challenge or kills a character, which he's not going to at strength 4 with no magic weapon, but he has got a 1-up armor save and a 4-up ward save. So he goes into a challenge against just about anything
and just doesn't die.
Makes the unit not run.
Yeah.
The witches win a lot of combats.
Yeah, and the Dark Riders can be used to stop those witches getting pulled around with overruns, charges they don't want to make.
Yep.
And I just wanted to point out that's something John did exceptionally well when he used this list, was
absolutely.
stopping them getting pulled around and running out of position.
It's got great chaff clearance because it's got 2 bolt throwers for 12 shots potentially.
Yep.
It's got 14 or 15 dark shards.
15 dark shards.
30 shots there.
And 10 dark riders.
20 shots from the Dark Riders. So again, we're back to in the 60s for shots. Plus, you've also got the Doomfire Warlocks with their guaranteed Doom Bolt. Morathai can guarantee a Doom Bolt if she wants it to.
Yep.
She gives you excellent character attack potential.
Yeah.
She gives excellent synergy with things like Doom and Darkness and Shroud of Despair and the Terror from the Cauldron.
I think running this, he ran Death almost exclusively.
If it wasn't Wood Elves, he ran Death. If it was Wood Elves, he ran solely Dark Magic. I can tell you that now. Because I know. Funnily enough. So that's what he did, so that he could orientate for the Doom Bolts, the Chill Winds, the Blade against the Wood Elf players.
Even.
Yeah, and the Black Horror is excellent against Wood Elves.
Yeah. He's got the classic of the Dark Shards with that flaming banner.
Yep.
To strip that regen off of
which
anything.
He very often advances at 5 a turn.
Yeah.
Most turns. So that they're in a range to come in with the Executioners to strip the regen to help him out like that. It's that combination play that makes the list unpleasant. And like you say, it's actually really hard when he's playing sharp with the chaff clearance to pull him out of position.
Yeah, it really is.
And then he gets the cavalry. And even Morathai, the amount of times he drops Morathai behind something that he's going to charge. Overruns into Morathai, has to stop. Sorry, mate.
Yeah.
It's look, that's a really strong
combo
list.
play
It's
that's
pretty list A. It's pretty common. What do you want to fight in that army?
Yeah, it is terrifying to face off against, and when it's commanded by someone as aggressive a player as John,
it's not nice.
it gives you as the opponent so many decisions to make. None of them are the right ones.
No, and I think even when you're not playing that hard with it, even if you're playing a little,
it's hard to play
slower
this
place.
list.
How do you deal with it all on the way in?
Yeah.
It's really not easy to deal with it all on the way in, and it's got lots of little basic backups, like the witches having the extra movement, so they can make those more daring charges. The gleaming pennant on the executioners, so that if he does get caught out of position with the BSB on the cauldron, well, actually, it's not a big deal.
Or if she gets killed off the back of the cauldron,
they've got some backup there, and they've also got the option to be unbreakable, more backup there.
Yeah.
Again, Runa Kane and Obsidian Blade on a Cauldron means that even when armoured targets try and get
that's fine.
sharp,
she just kills
lots of them.
Yeah.
So
it's terrifying.
It really is.
It's a really good amalgamation of someone who used Dark Elves from the day the book came out, playing competitively and building it up and working it out and saying, this suits my style.
Yeah.
This is a good list. It's got 2 really competitive blocks. It's got lots of flighty elements that can zip around. It covers all the bases of a Warhammer army. I know this is why you think that that Dark Elves are the best army in the game.
I do.
So
I do. I think this
is a big
combined
part of
with
it.
something we said earlier, which was that there are so many units that aren't in this list that could be, that don't take away from the list, that don't just objectively make it worse. I think that's why, for me, it's the best army in the game.
Well, you said
Best
yourself,
book in
in
the
the first list you could have included Shades, you chose not to. In the second
Yep.
list you've included Charybdis and Hydras. I might have included one less unit of Doomfires to get another monster in there myself. There's options. He hasn't got any Pegasus type characters. You've got those in the other lists.
Yep.
Always do that.
You've taken Cloak of Twilight once throughout all 3 of those lists.
Yeah, and we said how fantastic an option it was.
Great item, and John took that to North Remembers, Cloak of Twilight.
Yeah.
You've taken one Dreadlord and across all 3 of those lists as well.
Yeah.
Another fantastic choice.
Yeah.
As well, the Dreadlord, they're ace. Can you say?
And only one of the lists had a cauldron.
Yeah.
Yeah, although that is probably some deliberate choices from us too.
Well,
deliberate stylistic choices, because the cauldron would also work really well in that terror bomb list.
It would,
because it causes terror as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, really strong.
But then
Books
again, just another option for that terror bomb list. Have it with a cauldron and the witches. Very good.
Books ace. There's very few units that are really poor. I think the problem, which
Scourge Runner Chariots. Counteract Medusa.
2 of them being the 2 core choices.
yeah, but I think the problem really is, like Scott said earlier, and we've talked about it over and over, is that the units that you see regularly are the ones that are so underpointed and so obviously sick.
Yeah.
That you just go, well, I'll include them. Oh, I haven't got any points left. You know, that's basically it. That's basically how you write
Dark
off.
Elves have a lot of those units.
Yeah, they really do.
A lot of those units.
Yeah,
Great
they
army.
do. Well, the prowess, the murderous prowess, you could say, of the Dark Elves, thanks Max, has been unleashed, and we have come to the end of today's deep dive. The Druchii are probably the best elf faction at outright combat, I would say. I know you're going to disagree. But
I don't know about outright combat, maybe, yeah.
But they are still fantastically good at shooting and magic, that you don't feel like you're wasting your points when you don't buy those dedicated combat units. Which makes them feel like they're probably the best combined arms elf faction out there. And as we said, why I think they're the best book in 8th. The list we just discussed give you an idea at how different competitive Dark Elf lists can look. And whilst the last is probably one of the top 3 best lists in the game, that doesn't mean that all the book, that's all the book can do. Although crucially, that doesn't mean that all of the units are good. Very, very clear, not all of the units are good. Just that enough of them are good that you don't have to take the same 3 or 4 things to make your Dark Elf list competitive.
You will.
Probably will, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
Hopefully though, in this video we've shown you how to get the most out of your Dark Elves competitively, maybe giving you an idea for a list that you've never thought of before too. As always, feel free to give us your feedback on the socials, share your lists, ask us questions, but thanks for joining us, and remember to head back to the Night of the Realm Mustering Ground where you can check out all of our other exclusive content.
Remember to tag your friends and like, subscribe and share. Then head over to triplecrownwargaming.com and become a Knight of the Realm today.
What are you doing, mate?
You alright?
Do it for Warhammer!